What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the 8th annual Hitting the Field NFL Draft Show. My name is Nick Cohen, and I'm joined by a couple other hosts. To my left, as always, is Andrew Greig. How are you doing, Andrew?
Wow, I'm so happy to be back and joining you at the desk. It's been too long, Nick Cohen. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. But I also have Kathleen Moore to my right. How are you doing, Kathleen?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Nick. I absolutely love talking about the draft, and I love the NFL so much. And it's so nice to get to co-host with you guys,
I love to hear that. Now, we have 4 hours of some of the best content you will see all year. It is the NFL Draft. I'm joined by 2 other hosts, but we'll introduce them after this intro, so don't go anywhere, because the draft show starts right now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. The rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hit it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
It's Michael Penix!
No!
And welcome back. As I mentioned, I'm joined by 2 other hosts. First, we have Ty Paton, future NFL analyst, NFL guru, draft guru. Ty Paton, how are you doing? Or should I say Mel Kiper?
Definitely Mad Mel Kiper. Okay, that was a beautiful introduction, Nick Cohen. You make my heart tingle over there, pal. Thanks, pal.
Thank you. So, Ty Paton is going to be going over his big board through the night, but we have one other host in our podcast room, Tyler Brownrigg, going over every team's needs for the next 4 hours, 32 picks. How are you doing, Tyler?
I'm doing pretty great. This is my now 3rd draft show, 2nd hosting. As you can see, they have locked me in a room to keep me away from everyone and my loudness, because everyone hates me yelling. But now I'm in here, contained safely, and I'm very excited for this. Oh my God, this is my favorite night of the year.
Awesome, and mine as well. And we did not.
We love you, Tyler. We didn't lock you out.
And we are so ready for you to give us your team needs. However, we are sitting at about 7 minutes until the draft officially starts, and the Tennessee Titans are officially on the clock. For the Titans pick, we have a guest with us as well. Nighttime host, Matthew Brackert. How are you doing, Matthew?
I am doing so frickin' good. I'm so excited. Draft show is like Christmas Day for us NFL fans, so I can't wait to get into it.
Perfect. Me as well. Now, does anyone have any opposing thoughts to the Titans selecting Cam Ward out of Miami?
I don't think there's been thoughts for maybe months now. I mean, Cam Ward has been the guy. Obviously, I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan and an active Cam Ward fan, so I've been following this for a while now. But Cam Ward is undisputably the best quarterback in this draft and one of the best players in this draft. So I don't see why the Tennessee Titans, who have a clear need at quarterback, I mean, Will Levis has fallen over himself last year. I don't see why he wouldn't be the exemplary pick of a number 1 overall pick in this draft.
I completely agree. Now, we also did some of our own mock drafts. We'll get into that in a little bit. We're just going to get started, though. Ty, who is on your big board to start this draft?
Okay, so I have a full big board prepped for tonight. Several names, close to 50. But kicking things off, we have our top 8. Starting things off, Travis Hunter out of Colorado. One of the only players we've ever seen, in fact, the only player to play both ways, starting 114 snaps per game in 2024. How does that happen? Number 2, Abdul Carter out of Penn State. Pretty much the only Abdul Carter, Micah Parsons comp we've ever seen. Same height, same weight, same numericals. Number 3, Mason Graham, the big defensive tackle out of Michigan, the 3 tech that is an absolute home wrecker. He is going to make a difference immediately. Number 4, Ashton Jeanty, of course, the best running back we've seen since probably Bijan Robinson, maybe Ezekiel Elliott, and even probably further past that. Maybe even better than Saquon, Nick Cohen. You got that right. Number 5, Teteroa McMillan, 6'4", 225-pound, big man, Mike Evans comp out of Arizona, okay? As a Buccaneers fan, you love to see another ex-receiver wind up in the draft. Number 6, Tyler Warren, big tight end out of Penn State, okay? Maybe even a better prospect, truthfully, then Brock Bowers, then Kyle Pitts, then some of the more big, more prominent names we've seen in past draft classes. 7 and 8, both offensive tackles. We've got Will Campbell out of LSU, and of course, Armand Membo, the guy who can do it all. From center, right guard, left tackle, right tackle. Membo's played every position on the offensive line and can probably do so heading into the NFL. We have plenty more picks to come after that, but for our top 8, what are we thinking?
Well, I want to ask Matthew Bracker that. Matthew, do you have any gripes with that top 8?
I mean, look, I think Travis Hunter has to be the number 1 going into it. As much as I do not like him as a person, I think Genty at 4. I think that's a little bit of a problem. I would go Genty at 2, Carter at 3, and then put maybe Graham at 4, and then T-Mac, Warren. I think that falls. Warren is one of the best tight end prospects I think we've seen since obviously Brock Bowers, which I know hasn't been that long, but. I mean, I don't hate it. I like Will Campbell a lot. He's one of my favorite linemen.
I do. It's something I love up on this top section right here, okay? Abdul Carter is an edge rusher prospect. People have been saying for the longest time that, I mean, even the Tennessee Titans GM and teams up there, high up on the draft order, said if we get a generational prospect this year, we cannot pass up on that generational prospect. And Abdul Carter was the one initially brought it up into those conversations. He was the quote-unquote generational prospect that everybody was chasing. But underneath, Mason Graham, old Papa Bear back home will get a kick out of this, but Mason Graham has a history in wrestling, okay? He has a great center of gravity on him, great balance. And as somebody who wrestled in high school and can understand kind of how much...
You wrestled in high school?
Of course I wrestled in high school. What do I look like to you? So Mason Graham, okay, great center of gravity, great ability to stay up on his feet and control weight in front of him. That's something you don't really ever see. There's only one other player that I know of that is a true wrestler back in their history, and that's one of Nick Cohen's favorite players ever, Charles Grant from William & Mary.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Many arguments were had over this very topic.
Okay, Tyler Brownrigg. Now, the draft starts in about 3 minutes, but again, we know this is going to be Cam Ward, so I want you to jump right into the Titans team needs, please.
Yeah, of course, Nick. So the Titans, they're actually a surprising team, I'd say, for what they need. If we go here to the board here, you'll see it. Surprisingly, their defense was actually incredible this season. They were the second best ranked defense in the league overall, which when I was doing this really surprised me. And obviously their big 3 needs, quarterback unquestionably. Will Levis just really cannot be the guy for them. Wide receiver is also another need. You want your new quarterback, Cam Ward. Get him some weapons. And also, you're going to need an edge rusher. A big loss for them was Harold Landry this offseason, one of their premier pass rushers, right? But overall, again, this Tennessee team, the offense is what needs help the most. Because, yes, you did lose Chidobe Awuzie. Yes, you did lose Harold Landry. These are needs you can address later in the draft. With the number 1 overall pick, you need to get your franchise guy. You need to get the guy who can lead your team like a Jaden Daniels, like a Drake May, and you can be confident in the future of your team right now. And Cam Ward, I think, is unquestionably that guy. Obviously, may not have the talent of quarterbacks in past draft classes, but right now, he is just the best guy to take, and Tennessee could really need him.
Okay. And by the way, I love all the Drew Brees merch you have in there. Beautiful choice of decorations.
I wonder where those came from, Nick Cohen. I wonder.
Hey, I want to point out I was the proprietor of one of those Drew Brees pieces of memorabilia.
Wow.
There's
the
a
real
lot
goat
of
in there.
Drew Brees stuff in here. I won't lie.
Okay? That's the real goat in there.
A beautiful Funko Pop indeed.
Thank you.
Now, I can announce the draft starts in less than a minute.
Oh, man.
So,
my God.
we're going to start. Each of the hosts are going to give their top 10 picks projected in this draft before it officially starts, and maybe we're all wrong, but I don't think we will, because spoiler, we all have Cam Ward going 1. So, and then Matthew is going to give his thoughts after each one. So, starting us off, Kathleen, you had no trades in your top 10.
No.
What's the order?
Yeah, so I have it Cam Ward going to the Titans, Abdul Carter going to the Browns, which I know is a little controversial at this stage of the game, but truthfully, I hate Travis Hunter, and I also hate the Giants, so I think that they should get stuck with him personally. The Patriots.
Honesty over there.
Get stuck with a great player. My God.
Wow.
What a tragedy.
Shout out everyone.
It's a good time to be alive there, Cohen.
A sigh of relief. And now you can continue. Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you
Roger
so
Gillis
much.
walked up and said his thing.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
Roger. But the Patriots are going with Will Campbell. The Jags are taking Ashton Genty. It's going to happen. I thought I was on the Raiders Genty train, but the Raiders are taking Tet McMillan. And then the Jets are taking Jahdae Barron. And then the Panthers are going to go with Armand Membo. And then the Saints are taking Shadur Sanders. I know it's up in the air for Shadur at the moment. I still think the guy is a New Orleans Saint. Personally, I think he fits right in. And
That's
then
solid.
Mason Graham is going to the Bears.
Okay. Bears would be very happy with that. Matthew,
Yeah,
do you have
they would
any
love it.
gripes with Kathleen's top 10?
Well, Kathleen, I just want to say, my co-host, I'm so proud of you and how much you've grown. You're the best. And but I think you're wrong. I don't see Shadur going to the Saints here. I know Jackson Dart's stock has been growing so much this last week or so.
I'm loving
Personally, I
Jackson
don't
Dart.
get it, but I can see him in the Saints. I see Shadur going to the Steelers. I know a lot of people be saying Genchi to the Jaguars. I don't see
It's
it.
crazy.
I don't see it. And then,
But it's going to happen.
You think so?
It is.
It's going to happen.
Well, it
They're
depends. I
stupid
know
enough,
they're
it's gonna
talking
happen.
Jaguars Browns. Is there going to be a trade? Because you said Carter to the Browns. You don't think that's going to be Travis? Listen, I'm a hater just like you, but you don't see that?
No, I mean, it could definitely go either way at this point. Like 2 and 3, they could be swapped, whatever. But ultimately, I think that the Browns need to address the edge rushing issue in Cleveland. Obviously, they need to fix
have a lot of
everything.
issues.
But I think that Abdul Carter would be a perfect base to build this draft class around.
Yeah, and you mentioned just like the fact that they need to address edge rushing, but even more so than that, Abdul Carter is like the best, possibly like
Right.
singular prospect on the side of the ball. Obviously, Travis Hunter plays both sides of the ball, and he's the #1 overall prospect where you look at any individual site. But on one edge of the ball, Abdul Carter was one of the most dominant players in college football, and just one of the best prospects we've seen in a long time. So I completely agree that the Abdul Carter pick, it wouldn't be a shame to see him go to Cleveland, but like odds are that it's probably gonna be Travis Hunter at that position.
And so with that, Andrew, just keep going. What is your top 10 looking like?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, we all said Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans is going to happen. He's minus 10,000 odds. You can't, like, in some sites you can't even bet on it. So Cam Ward will be your #1 overall pick. Shocker. And then I have Travis Hunter followed by Abdul Carter, Will Campbell going to the New England Patriots, obviously beefing up their offensive line. And then Ashton Genty, he is a minus 600 to go under 6.5 picks. So it's either going to be them, the Jaguars as them, or the Raiders as going to be one of the teams to pick him, possibly a trade up there with the Bears. I'm going to keep going. Kelvin Banks to the Raiders at 6, and then I have Armand Membo going to the Jets at 7. I have Jalen Walker to the Panthers at 8. I have Mason Walker to the Saints at 9, and then rounding out the top 10, I have Tyler Warren going to the Bears at 10.
Okay.
Wow.
Matthew,
Warren
any
to the
thoughts?
Bears would be a very good pick. Very fun toy for Caleb Williams over there. And I like Campbell actually going to the Patriots. He feels like a very Patriots pick. I don't have a lot of problems with that mock there, actually.
Okay.
I don't think I do either.
Yeah.
Okay,
pretty
well then
solid.
we're just going to move right along as we are 3 minutes into the drafts. The Titans pick should be due in about 7 minutes or so. So Tyler, I want you to give us your mock draft now, your top 10.
Yeah, my top 10, starting it off, obviously Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell. That 4 seems to be a lock for basically everyone in the NFL draft world. I have Mason Graham going to the Jags at 5. Andrew didn't have Mason Graham go at all in his top 10, which I think is insane. Mason Graham, to
Yes,
me
I did.
personally,
Yes, I
is
did.
the best
Sorry.
defensive player in this draft over Abdul Carter. He is just a beast in that interior. But then to round out the top 5, Ted McMillan at 6 to the Raiders. That pick has always just made sense to me. Armand Membo to the Jets. Jalen Walker to the Panthers. Nick, they all thought we were crazy to have Jalen Walker go here, but now Andrew's doing it. They're all like, it makes so much sense. He's such a great fit here. I also have Shadur going at 9, but he is my final quarterback in the first round at 9. I don't have the other guys going. And then rounding it out, Ashton Genty to the Bears. It's a great need for that offense and to improve it heavily and help Caleb Williams.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, I have some gripes here, Tyler. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I'm looking straight at this camera when I tell you that Mason Graham is in my top 10, and I have him going to the Saints. He's just too good of a player, too good as a defensive lineman to not go in the top 10. He is a top 10 draft pick. I just couldn't see him going as high up as some of the other picks. I know that he's rumored to a lot of different places. He was maybe a Jacksonville Jaguar at some point during this draft process, but I have him going at 9 to the Saints. So I do have him in my top 10.
I meant
Don't
top
do
5.
that.
That's what I meant to clarify. But
Even
no, Mason
more so,
Graham
he's
is
not
just
better
so
than Abdul
great.
Carter.
Yeah. I mean,
Even more so, I don't think Mason Graham is a better football player than Abdul Carter.
Oh, he so is.
Oh, Tyler, we are not going to get into this right now.
let's
We've
not
talked about
do
this
this.
so
Let's
much
not
stuff.
do
The
this.
greatest
Hot
sin
take
that
of
is
the
on this
night.
world.
Oh my gosh.
And I can't even
Why don't we
talk
take
to
a
you about
poll
this.
in the room? Why don't we take a poll
That's
in the
a
room?
good idea.
Okay,
Oh.
Abdul Carter is better than Mason Graham. Hand up.
I'm a big Mason
1, 2,
Graham
3,
head,
4, 5,
and I
6,
will be
7,
proven
8,
right.
9.
Maybe not.
Tyler, it's
As
you.
well as 4 crew members.
It's unanimous, Tyler.
But
You are incorrect.
Oh, listen,
That's
just you
crazy.
wait. Just
No.
you wait. Maybe not today.
Tyler, we're
but in
locking,
like
we're
a
locking the
solid 4
podcast room
months.
right now.
Muting your mic
Okay,
right now.
so Matthew,
Yeah.
besides saying that Mason Graham is a better defensive player than Abdul Carter, any hot takes in this mock draft? Anything you want to discuss in Tyler's top 10?
I mean, that's crazy. You know, I know that Graham was. There's a lot of talk connecting him with the Jaguars. So I mean, like, I kind of see it. But I mean, I like where T-Mac goes in that draft you
agree.
have there. I personally, I think, you know, we talk all about Travis Hunter, whatever. But if we're talking about just wide receiver, I put T-Mac over Travis any day of the week at the wide receiver position.
Easily.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
think anyone here disagrees.
So
You
I
can-
think T-Mac is so worthy of a top 10 spot. I know we haven't really talked about him much since the show started. So no, I mean, that's just it. You have anything?
I like most of it.
Yeah.
Granted, we'll get into mine in just a little bit, but I like most of it.
Actually, we can just jump into yours
Yeah,
right
why
now.
not?
We're going to jump into mine right now.
Okay, your
supposedly.
top 10. Go for it.
Top 10, we're firing things off. Okay, the first 5 are pretty standard. Okay, nothing's going to change. It's Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell, and then Ashton Genty to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pretty much I think everybody has roughly the same thing in the top 5. It's pretty set and standard, okay? There's nothing's going to change. Number 6, okay, the Las Vegas Raiders. There's a lot of talk of what's going to happen here, and the correct pick is Armand Membo. Okay, the one guy who can play right tackle over there.
That feels
the
shocking
one
to
guy
me and
that
not
can
true.
Sit over DJ Glaze. Yes, I said that correctly.
His
The
name's
Raiders'
DJ
right
Glaze?
tackle is DJ Glaze.
That's crazy.
okay. They
That's
need
unfortunate.
somebody.
Could be worse. Could be Liam Eichenberg.
Stop hating
Yeah.
names. Not
not a
worse
cool
than
name.
DJ
Not a cool
Glaze.
name.
Okay, Armand
Levi
Membo,
Gerg is fine.
6 to the Las
not gonna
Vegas
hate on that.
Raiders,
Not a cool name.
7 to the Jets. They make up for their mistake last year. They didn't take Brock Powers, passed for Olufashinu. We saw where that got them. This year they correct that, take Tyler Warren at 7. Okay, we're going to move on. Pick number 8, the Carolina Panthers. Good night, almighty. Nick Cohen was right. It's going to be
Nick Cohen
Jalen
and Tyler
Walker.
Brownrigg.
Hey, yeah,
It's going
I was
to be
on
Jalen Walker. the
I was on the
linebacker
Jalen Walker
slash
hype train
edge rusher
too.
out of Georgia. The guy's
he's
a dog.
awesome.
Okay, everything about him screams perennial All-Pro, Pro Bowler, linebacker, and he has so much versatility, whether in the box, down at the line, even at strong safety or nickel. This guy can play wherever you need him to. Number 9, the New Orleans Saints. No, it's not Shedeur Sanders. The last time the Saints took a quarterback in the first round was Arch Manning in 1971. Okay. My dad.
That
is
is
older
insane
than
to
What is
me.
that, 54 years ago?
Yes!
Wow.
Time to
Okay.
break
My
the cycle.
dad is older than that too. Wow.
Finally, number
dad is
10,
not.
Chicago Bears.
My-
I had a very tough time choosing Colston Loveland, Tep McMillan, Omarion Hampton. I had trouble going through the
Marion Hampton.
Oh, yeah.
Top 10?
That
They
guy's
took
a
Jameer
bad
Gibbs as
deal.
well.
Colston
Who wants
Loveland
to
That
at
man
10?
is
But I
a
wound
go.
up settling for Walter Nolan. Okay, the
Okay.
Ole Miss beefy boy. He is going to play a one-tech up there in Chicago, and I think he'll do him justice.
I know you really like that fit. I also like the fit of Walter Nolan to the 49ers.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
I like that.
Now you're
but,
talking.
I mean, what can they do if he's gone before them, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
I guess.
so
What are you gonna do?
Matthew, any gripes with that top 10? I know there's got to be some, right?
I mean, I don't really like the pick to the Bears. I think I would have gone with another skill player. Like you said, you have your Loveland, not T-Mac. You don't think?
I don't think T-Mac. I mean, with the setup that they have currently, with the Romo
If
Dunze, who's
only
already
you
6'3",
knew Ty's
with the
full mock draft, how fall T-Mac,
How far?
how far he
How
falls.
far?
16.
That's for. Get
It's
out
not
of here.
ridiculous.
That is.
That is
ridiculous.
disqualified.
That is
16?
He'll find a place.
Okay, here's the thing.
Get him
Okay,
out.
we got to
Why-
think
why
about
don't the
this
Cowboys
on the
take him
grand
in
scheme.
yours?
Matt
I'm
Right,
so
exactly.
Of
what?
course,
Oh,
the speedy guy.
but-
That's all the Cowboys care about. Kathleen Moore
He
knows it
thinks
more
he's
than anybody.
cooking. The
They
kitchen's
could
Actually,
burned down.
the
Okay,
Dallas
look, here's
Cowboys
the
are
deal.
taking a quarterback from Bowling Green
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I
Hey,
hate them.
the Dallas Cowboys, okay, they could have Jerry Rice
generals,
sitting in front of them. They could have
Yeah.
Randy Moss sitting in front of them. They pass on him for John Ross, okay? This organization values speed above all
It's
else.
true.
It's clear.
I guess,
And the one
dude.
Texas boy
Sure.
ran a 4.29. He can't beat it.
Hey, I'll tell you, if T-Mac falls to the Broncos, I'm
Well,
snagging him.
I actually think
That's
he falls to
not
the
gonna
One
happen.
million.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, you're talking a
There's
world
no
where
way
Dallas
T-Mac
takes the Bowling
gets
Green
anywhere near
quarterback.
that.
It's a world where
It's a
T-Mac.
big.
I don't
It's
see
a
how he
big.
gets past 12. I
It's
really
a
don't.
bit.
It's
Yeah,
a
we love
bit.
doing bits.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
We love that. We love that. Oh.
Well, and I don't love the Raiders taking Armand Membu. It just gives Alex Leatherwood vibes.
Yeah,
does.
I'm about to say.
Very much so.
I think that's a little too high for that.
Titans select cornerback Travis Hunter. Is that real?
No.
Is that real?
That's not
No.
real. Are you
Bro.
kidding me?
No way.
This is
We
so
spent
hot.
we spent the
No.
last
Bro.
'Absolutely
Thank
fake
you.
news.
That's
Get
ridiculous.
owned.
I was gonna
Okay,
say.
okay.
I saw our lower third, and I had
First
to.
fake of the night, first fake of the night.
Absolutely
Attention, everyone in
pranked.
here. We get one fake of the night. We are not messing up anymore. Fake news. We're not doing it again. But
what do you mean, Nick Cohen?
it's
You don't want to
okay.
spread
It is
misinformation on the
A-okay.
internet?
It was still going to be Cam Ward. We can
This
all
guy's
have our
mine.
I was
hearts
about to
go
say.
back to
Who
the right
did that?
place.
Who did that in studio?
We're about to have another.
The Titans,
Michael
the
Patrick.
Who's the
Titans
funny
are
guy?
still on the clock. And with that, for more craziness, I'm going to go into my top 10. Okay, Cam Ward, 1, done. Travis Hunter, 2, done. Abdul Carter, 3, done. Will Campbell, 4 to the Patriots, locked in, fine. Now, the Bears are going to trade up with the Jaguars
The Bears.
to take Ashton Genty. They want to jump the Raiders. They don't, and the Jags. I think they secretly want Tet McMillan, and they think he'll be there at 10 if they trade back. So that's my thought process with that. Bears get Ashton Genty, a top 3 player in the draft. That's not all the craziness, though. Then the Raiders pass on Tet McMillan as well. They select Mason Graham. They also pass on Armand Membu because they learned their lesson with Alex Leatherwood. So Raiders take Mason Graham. Fantastic pick. Their defensive line is absurd. Now, Jets take Armand Membu, which I'm quite upset about because I want him for the Dolphins. We've discussed this.
Not
He's not going to
happening.
fall. I have come to terms with it. But, yes. And then at 8, Jalen Walker goes to the Panthers. Tyler, we've been on that. It's going to happen. Jalen Walker, 8 to the
Guaranteed.
Panthers. Lock it in. Now, all right, everyone brace yourselves. Sit down if you have to. At 9, to not the Saints.
No.
The Saints trade back with the Eagles. I know what you're thinking. The Eagles pick 32. And I'm not an Eagles fan. We just disclosed I'm a Dolphins fan. And Kathleen didn't have any say in this either. But Howie
I love it
Roseman,
though.
Howie Roseman loves making draft moves. He'll trade up if the player is good enough. And if Tet McMillan finds himself still available past the Raiders and the Panthers, if he's there at 9, the Saints will trade down with the Eagles. Call me crazy, you're going to, but it's invalid. The Eagles will bet on themselves, thinking they're going to win the Super Bowl again next year. They're trading 32 and then potentially 32 next year for number 9. Take Tet McMillan, learn behind A.J. Brown, and then Devonta Smith is in the slot. It's going to happen, trust me.
I would just like to say.
Do you want my opinion on this, Nick Cohen?
And the Saints think that if they trade back to 32, they can get Jackson Dart. That is why they do this as well. I have
Nick
one more
Cohen.
pick in this draft as well.
I don't
Nick
think-
Cohen,
I don't think it
I got a
matters.
better chance of waking up 12 inches taller than I am now than the Eagles do of trading
I
up
would
from
just,
32 to 9.
I would just like to say,
Oh my.
I
I
don't
think
know.
you're freaking insane for like making this, but I love it. Like
Right.
I would be super
The
excited.
pick is in, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah.
I don't
Oh my
mean to
God,
cut you
the
off.
suspense is
The pick
killing
is in.
me.
Now we just wait for it to be announced, but it is
It's
in.
just
We can keep
some
talking.
Oh, yeah.
guy.
Jackson
Oh,
Dart?
The wait.
Sorry.
It's not doing it.
No, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Jalen
I'm sorry.
Milroe.
But-
You're fired.
Oh,
Then at pick 10, I have so now the Jags, they traded back to 10, like I mentioned, to take Tet McMillan, but the Eagles traded up to jump them because that's just what the Eagles do. They stink.
whoa, Dolphins fan.
And so they take Tyler Warren, the Jags do. All right, Matthew, any thoughts on all that craziness?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have some.
Yeah, what? Like, that's just a little too crazy. I do like Jags and
know.
Not
Bears,
March
though. That
anymore.
seems very few. What are they giving up for that? Do you think, though, for that trade?
It's a good question.
Yeah, because that's a big.
I'm not answering it. Cohen made this mug.
Well, yeah, I'm waiting.
And the pick,
Oh, yeah.
I already
Wow.
mentioned the
This
pick is
guy.
in.
Here he goes.
Sorry, I just need to disregard
Avoiding
that
the
because I don't want to be flamed. It's going to happen. Cam Ward is officially a Tennessee
There you go.
Titans, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, give him a round of
After
applause.
the
Will Levis
longest
just
wait
fell
of all
to his knees
time.
in a Walmart.
And
I
an
know.
insane
It's
Twitch
been 20
stream.
minutes and
We
we've
finally
known
know it's
that
him.
was going to happen.
For months.
Any thoughts on that?
I would just like to say that I have been saying Cam Ward was going to go number 1 overall for so long, for 4 months. And people are like, no, Kathleen, Cam Ward's not going number 1 overall. Like, he's such a mid quarterback. Whatever.
Who was saying this?
Whatever.
Who
it
are
wasn't,
these
it
people?
wasn't you.
It
but
clearly
it was-
wasn't me.
But there were people saying it. Oh, Ty Paton has news. Ty Paton has trade news.
Ty, announce it. What's the trade?
Supposedly from
Oh, the
Adam
Brown- yeah.
Schefter,
Oh.
what we're seeing on Twitter is that
The Browns
Jacksonville
trade number 2,
Jaguars
a 4th,
have
and a
traded up.
6th for the
did it.
Jags
They did it.
for their 5th and their
Oh my-
2nd at 36,
they're actually
and a
wait.
4th and a 6th
this-
in,
are they-
and a
are they
1st
gonna
in
take Travis?
2026.
Can we?
Okay,
All right.
someone in production, let's get Justice Covert out here ASAP to
Right
give
now.
his thoughts on this trade. Let's get someone on graphics. The Browns are now not at 2. They're down at 5. What are our thoughts on that? Ty, you're speechless.
This is Cam Ward's moment, and we just ruined
We
it.
did,
Gosh
you're right.
dang it,
No,
bro.
no.
Cam Ward is
revisit it.
Cam Ward highlights play
We'll
versus
revisit
the
it.
Jaguars.
We will revisit it.
At
Matthew,
this
we
point.
will see you very soon.
Resident
We will see you very
Jackson.
soon.
Just
What is
insane
going on?
shakeup happening.
Okay, initial thoughts before Justice Covert gets up here. Cam Ward, great. Great pick.
Hi,
The Tennessee
Justice.
Titans are going to make this work. Okay, Will Levis, Mason Rudolph, whoever they formerly had is no longer the bomb command of the ship. Okay, it is now Cam Ward. And after signing Tyler Lockett, we called this, or Matthew Bracker technically called this earlier, credit to him, that was essentially a housewarming gift. They knew he was going to be there, okay? And over the past few weeks with Cam Ward on stream, playing Fortnite, talking about how Tyjae Spears is the best running back in the league, okay? Calvin Ridley and Traylon Burks are top 4 receivers in the league.
No need
We knew
to
it was going to
lie.
happen.
No
We
need
knew
to
it was going to
lie.
happen. But now, the Jacksonville Jaguars up on the clock. It's hard to put into words how big of a move this is, and who better to put it into words than the lone Jacksonville Jaguars fan, the guy who dies on the hill of Liam Cohen, despite him being a bum. Justice Covert, what do you think of this?
You're not going to get much analysis from me. We have sucked for decades. This is our moment to climb to the mountaintop and pick Travis Hunter, probably, I guess, at number 2, or
Best player in
Ashton
the
Genty,
class.
run it back. Like
This
what
has
they
to
did
be.
with
This
Saquon
has to be
Barkley.
Travis Hunter.
I
It
don't
just makes
see us
too much
messing
sense
this
if it's
up. We're
not.
gonna make a big
to not be
splash.
Travis Hunter.
I'm super excited, Ty Paton, and you're going to get my live reaction in about 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
We weren't expecting anything like this.
No, hey,
See, me just telling the future, I was expecting this when the Eagles trade up to 9 and us all being flabbergasted. But
Yeah.
the Jags trading up all the way to 2. I know it's only 3 picks, but you now have the 2nd pick in the draft.
And really the first pick in the draft. They're not taking a
Right,
quarterback.
right.
So they have the whole draft board available. They have Abdul Carter. They have Travis Hunter. They have
'Cause they were
Ashton
never
Genty still
taking
there.
Cam Ward, so.
Did we already ask you this, Justice? Who do you think they're going with?
Who do I think they're going with?
Yeah, who do you think the selection's for?
Well,
Number
I thought
two.
it was Ashton Genty at 5, Mason Graham, but then Ashton Genty was a lot more flashy, a lot more fun to the offense, and that's kind of the guy Liam Cohen is. But number 2, it's got to be Travis Hunter,
It's
right?
gotta
I
be.
mean, it's got to. I mean, he's a great athlete. I'm a big Travis Hunter guy. I don't know about you, Ty. Patton.
We
I
don't
know
like
that
him
you
as a
guys look at
character.
that.
No,
He
no,
is a
no.
good player. We will
He's a great
disclose
player.
that before we all trash on Travis Hunter.
I'm a Travis Hunter guy. Like I don't dislike his
Can you
like
believe
his
this guy?
personality
No, no,
either.
no,
But keep going. I want to hear.
He's all there and hit this desk.
I need the Jaguars like fan opinion of this. Like, what is Travis Hunter on the Jags? He's gonna be a Duval.
Let's stir the pot. Let's have some fun. I mean,
And now
What
the
is Liam
Browns,
Cohen cooking?
Hold on. The
Super
Browns
Bowl winning
now
team.
own 3 of the top 36 picks in this year's
Jesus.
draft, with number 5, number 33, and number 36.
That's crazy.
Which is like, so the
That-
Jags
that's
are
really
kind of
big
looking
for
up.
Cleveland.
But all right, Tyler, any thoughts on this trade?
I mean, this trade just makes so much sense to me in terms of like how now it needs to be Travis Hunter as the pick. If we look at the Jaguars' needs here, defensive back, that's number 2. Obviously, the offense is terrible, 25th overall, one of the worst defenses. Travis Hunter, he fixes that problem. You get an elite wide receiver to pair with Brian Thomas Jr., and you get an elite number 1 cornerback in one guy. It's just like perfect. Liam Cohen, he's an offensive quarterbacks
Warner just
coach,
said Jags
so he'll
guy.
be helping Trevor Lawrence, and now Travis Hunter is just going to flourish in this new system with the Jags. It's insane to me.
I mean, here's the other thing. You know, the Jaguars are losing a pick, so it only makes sense for them to pick a guy who plays both sides of the ball.
Oh, they're very good analysis, Kathleen. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that makes
much.
a lot of sense.
They're getting 2 and 1 for losing a pick
There
in
we
the
go.
first round, or in not the first round.
I also just can't get over the actual details.
pick is in.
Pick is in.
Pick is in.
Ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in.
Oh,
We will
boy.
wait for it to be announced. I will announce that. But
You move
But
up,
guys.
If you're gonna move up and trade up all of this draft capital, you
All
move
this
up for
draft
a
capital.
specific player.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
read the
package?
draft
Do we know
capital
what
that
they
they
gave up?
traded
Multiple
again.
firsts,
Okay,
a
the
second.
Jags traded obviously number 5. They traded number 36,
know that.
a 4th, number 126, and your 2026 first round pick next year. You're basically, if this doesn't work, if Travis Hunter maybe gets injured, or at the end of the day he is just a corner. If the Jags have a top 10 pick next year, it's actually the Browns. And the Browns we know are going to be bad. They're going to have 2 top 10 picks potentially next year, as well as, we already mentioned, 3 in the top 36. So, Justice, I'm still hoping for
I
this.
didn't know we gave up multiple firsts.
Yeah,
What are we
no,
doing?
I had to
I just learned that off
semi-spoil it
screen.
because look at this
Oh,
reaction.
no.
I know.
That's how you get to number 2, dude.
You know, whenever
Ty
people
just
saying
whispered
about
it to me.
whenever people saying about the London Bridge falling, okay.
And the pick
I
is
have found the
announced as
collapse
Travis
of
Hunter.
a man.
We all predicted
Hey.
that. Travis Hunter is now a Jacksonville Jaguar. Tyler, we'll go to you in a second. Justice, Travis Hunter's
Switch it to
officially a
Justice.
Jaguar.
Go to Justice. Go to
Justice, how are we doing?
This guy's not doing well.
Oh, my.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Liam Cohen's going to lead you to the
26
promised land,
first
bud.
round
Don't
pick,
worry.
So we don't have a first-round pick next year?
Nope.
Nope.
Oh, jeez.
You don't have a second this year either.
Jeez. You know what, though? Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr.
All that for Travis
That
Hunter.
doesn't
That might
sound
have
too
been the
bad.
kiss of death, folks. We're moving to London.
Tyler, any thoughts on Travis Hunter being a Jaguar now? Out of nowhere.
I mean, I think the fit is very good in terms of, like, you're addressing multiple needs with one guy, and he's just such a great player overall. Obviously, you're hurting your future, right? But you have your franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. You have your new offensive-minded head coach. And just this pairing in wide receiver alone, if he was just a wide receiver, would be outstanding. And you still have Travis Etienne in your backfield. I like this Jags offense now and how it's going to look, and I think its defense will definitely improve going forward. So it's just, but Justice, you did have a similar reaction last year at Draft Show. Not as much with Brian Thomas. It definitely wasn't because the Jags traded down, and now they've traded up. So it is just funny to see the juxtaposition of that, I think.
So let's while we talk about this, let's get that graphic on the board. Perfect timing. Now, you know, Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. is a very bright wide receiver tandem for the future. Do we have any thoughts on this, Kathleen?
I mean, as much as I don't like Travis Hunter, but I really like Brian Thomas. I think that they're honestly going to complement each other really well with Trevor Lawrence. Hopefully things work out for them because it's really rough watching Jaguars football, and I'm not even a fan of it. Sorry, Justice. I'm really sorry. The emotional roller coaster you've gone through in the past 5 minutes is not something I wish on anyone.
Justice, any continued thoughts on this?
You know what?
I think we're
Brian
still a
Thomas
little
Ju-
speechless.
Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, I think that could be a pretty good combo. We did need a cornerback coming into this draft, so that was good too. He will want to play both sides of the ball, so he's not necessarily a cornerback. He is an athlete.
Yep.
I'm watching the program monitor, though. They had Eric Armstead announce a pick, which I thought was kind of odd. But anyway, I think Travis Hunter.
Thank you.
This guy's coping
Now,
in the weirdest
Ty,
ways.
Ty,
Jags
I need you to
legend,
tell
Eric
me
Armstead.
your hatred towards Liam Cohen. Why does this guy stink? But
You
now he's
don't even
pulled
got
off
to
this
tell
move.
me twice.
I've had
Okay.
this story.
Let's go over what happened and why Liam Cohen is a dirty snake. Okay, this man has been slithering the grass for far too long. So, NFL offensive coordinator with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for quite some time. He's a QB coach with the Los Angeles Rams with Baker Mayfield. But then everything kind of flips around. Okay, Baker Mayfield comes to Tampa. Liam Cohen decides to follow, becomes the OC. Everything works out well for a time. Fast forward through the season, we have a great year. We're looking to bring him back. His contract is up, and we give him a phone call. Liam Cohen, Tampa Bay Buccaneers want to bring you back on a multi-year offensive coordinator deal that will make you the highest paid OC in NFL history. That sounds fantastic for a guy that was a QB's coach 2 years ago, doesn't it? I think it does. Move forward again. Liam Cohen verbally agrees to this deal. He verbally agrees, I'm going to become the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator for the time being and for the foreseeable future. In fact, it was a 3-year deal. Then, out of nowhere, he ghosts us. Stops answering phone calls. What are we doing? And then he calls Todd Bowles. I'm sorry, Todd. I'm currently in the hospital. My kid is sick, and I didn't know what to do. So everyone took a deep breath, a deep sigh. Maybe we were too hard on Liam Cohen. But no, we weren't. He lied about it, and he wasn't at the hospital. He was in Jacksonville taking a head coaching interview. Are you kidding? What are we doing?
I know.
Liam Cohen, I think I have seen pieces of dirt on my shoe better looking than Liam Cohen, okay? He might be the single worst NFL owner, GM, head coach, OC, DC, janitor, that I've ever seen. This guy stinks, and I will
let's
die
everyone
on
get your
that
best
hill.
Liam
Nick
Cohen
Cohen.
Duval impression.
No, let me go first.
okay,
Let me go
okay.
first. 99% accuracy. Duval.
Oh, that was really good.
That was.
You got that?
Duval.
Oh.
I thought that was pretty good. I'm not maybe.
Duval.
No.
All right.
Sold.
I give up. I give up.
Tyler,
Whatever.
Missy.
We welcome in a new guest now, a returning guest to Hitting the Field Network, former Bets host of 2 semesters, Ezra Hines. How are you doing, Ezra? Thank you for coming back.
It is absolutely a pleasure. Thank you for having me back, Nick.
Of course.
I love Draft Show. Loved it last year. I'm just happy to be back again for it this year.
Absolutely. So you see what Ezra is wearing. He is a Patriots fan. His pick is coming up, barring any big-time trades, in 2 picks. He's going to be talking about the Giants, who are now on the clock. Now, Tyler, Giants are on the clock. I want you to tell me what they need as a team, because it's a lot.
Yeah, they're definitely a lot that the Giants need. Now, thankfully for the Giants, this trade doesn't really affect them with the Jags because all of the guys they were looking at are still here. We look at their big needs, quarterback, corner, and D-line. One of the worst offenses we've probably ever seen, obviously, with Daniel Jones. They need this new quarterback. I don't think they're going to address it here. Shador was rumored to go here for a long time, and now it's just not happening. Cornerback, obviously, maybe Travis Hunter if the Browns went Abdul Carter, but we don't live in that world now. We live in a much different world a few minutes ago. They did add Russell Wilson and Paulsable Adebo to address those 2 needs, but now Abdul Carter has kind of fallen in your lap. So I think taking him makes sense. It's just you improve your defense a lot. You have your bridge kind of quarterback guy. So honestly, I think just defense, whatever it is, honestly, you can't go wrong, but the pick is going to be Abdul Carter, I imagine.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with that, like, literally at all. I mean, for a while, it was just a pick of, we know that Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are going 2 and 3. It was just what order, and we all thought it was going to be the Browns at 2. Obviously, that's not the case. Andrew, any thoughts on, I mean, like, it's obviously Abdul Carter, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe talk about the Browns a little bit more. Obviously, they're in a position where their team just isn't very good, so it makes sense to grab another first-round pick for the future, especially if in a weaker quarterback class you don't really see anybody who's going to fix your immediate needs. Obviously, the Deshaun Watson situation is what it is, and he's just not a very good quarterback at this point in his career. So they're going to need to address some things in the future. But then moving on to the New York Giants, I mean, Abdul Carter was probably going to be their pick either way, and Travis Hunter goes. So it's still the 2 players that we thought were going to go in front of him. It's just Abdul Carter going at 3 now.
And the pick is officially in. Ezra, do we also think it's going to be Abdul Carter?
I mean, yeah, it has to be. Like, when you look at it, you have the 5th-year option for Kayvon Thibodeau coming up this offseason. Do you really want to pay that? Not really. I'm not too big on it. You got Brian Burns on the other side. Are you going a little bit lighter in your edge core when you pick Abdul Carter? Yes.
Yeah.
Are you also picking the best prospect available? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And when you have a pick this high, you don't really worry about, like, fit after the first couple picks go, because obviously if you're the Giants, you'd obviously look a little bit towards quarterback, but you got Russell Wilson, you'll be fine for a season. Take Abdul Carter.
Don't
He's
forget.
there. You got him for 5 years.
Ty, I'm going to cut you off and
Buccaneer
return
legend.
to you. The pick is officially announced as Abdul Carter. So the top 3, it was still the same exact players, just different order. And Ty, before I send it back to you, Adam Schefter decided to announce that the only other on-the-clock trade, blockbuster trade that included 2 picks within the top 5 was when the Bears traded number 3 that became Solomon Thomas and 2 third-round picks, one in 2017, one in 2018, and a 4th-round pick to the 49ers for the number 2 overall pick, in which the Bears selected Mitch Trubisky. So hopefully, I mean,
What a blockbuster
definitely
that
one
is.
bust,
My
but
God. 2
arguably
true
2.
legends of the game.
I mean, like, hopefully this does not pan out the same way. Ty, do you agree with this pick regarding your big board, what was available?
I do. 110% I do. Okay, Abdul Carter, arguably one of, if not the best players in this class. We were mentioning it before, everything, before the draft actually started, but Abdul Carter is roughly the exact same height, the exact same weight, with the same numericals, the same stats, the same roughly tackles as Micah Parsons. This is as close as Micah Parsons you can get to Micah Parsons without actually getting Micah Parsons. Okay, Abdul Carter is a difference maker day one in any organization that he's in. And the biggest question that this raises is Brian Burns is going to be completely fine over at your will. Okay, but then at your Sam, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, former first-round pick, former 5th overall pick. What are we going to do here? I think there is going to be a case to be made to ship Kayvon Thibodeau out of New York.
Absolutely think
I don't know if that's for certain. Maybe we bump somebody down to defensive end and rework, because that combination of 3 is the magic number. Okay, that is going to be despicable on tape. But there's a lot that New York can do with this.
Yes.
Just from the selection of Abdul Carter.
Okay, now we're going to move on to Ezra's favorite team, the Patriots, officially on the clock. Ezra, before we get your opinions on who they should take, Tyler, tell us the team needs for the New England Patriots.
The Patriots addressed what was their biggest need, honestly, as a team last year, getting Drake May. So now it's just building around your franchise signal caller. And now here on the board, you'll see, obviously, wide receiver, number 1. That is a big, big need. He needs a true X to throw to. Obviously, they got Diggs in the offseason, which was pretty big. But they did lose David Andrews and Juwan Bentley this offseason. So those might be what we need to see. And you'll see there, O-line, linebacker. Will Campbell, obviously not a center, David Andrews was. Will Campbell does just make a lot of sense. You don't want to take Tet here, really. It's kind of like a bit of a reach here at 4. But Will Campbell, best overall tackle here in the draft. And this is what I think will be the best pick to address one of their biggest needs right now at this point.
Absolutely. Now, I can't agree anymore. I think this is going to be Will Campbell, but it's not a lock like we saw at number 1 with Cam Ward. It could be Will Campbell. It could be Armand Membu. It could be Ashton Genty. What are any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the draft really starts at 5, personally. I think that the first 3 picks were pretty much solidified, and then Will Campbell, it just makes sense, especially with the fact that you draft Drake May, somebody who hopes to be your franchise quarterback for years to come. It just makes sense that you want to maybe beef off an offensive line that isn't the greatest in the world. So Will Campbell here, he's been the top offensive line prospect for like a year and a half now. Everyone was talking about this guy coming into the year, and then he's been phenomenal throughout the year. Maybe not given as many highlights as you would have wanted. He's an offensive lineman, but here we have it.
And the pick is in. We will wait for that to be announced. Kathleen, we'll come back to you. Ezra, you are our Patriots fan, as I mentioned, so I need to know who you want taken here.
So realistically, I've seen enough of Vidarian Lowe at left tackle. I think it has to be Will Campbell here. I've heard talks of Armand Membu, but he played right tackle in college, and we've seen with J.C. Latham last year, transitioning from right tackle in college to left tackle in the NFL, not easy at all. I would respect it if they just probably went for the left tackle. I wouldn't be mad, however, if they went Ashton Genty. We've seen that Ramondre Stevenson can't really be the lead back in a running back committee, so I like him to be like a third down or like a goal line running back, and then get Ashton Genty to get most of our, reps during the running back and the normal 1 through 3 down plays. So realistically, either of those two I'm happy with. Even a Mason Graham being thrown in there would be cool, but I think realistically it's going to be Will Campbell here.
Okay.
Right.
Absolutely. And the pick is announced as Will Campbell. We all expected it. Congratulations, Ezra. I envy you as a division rival.
I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier.
2 years in a row, you got the guy you wanted. Last year, Drake May. This year, Will Campbell. That's got to feel good.
It's amazing. It's probably the best feeling I've ever felt in my life. Like, legitimately, getting Drake May last year, because, I will also say, last year, I was very wrong. I did not want Jaden Daniels at all. I wanted Drake May instead. If you ask me now, probably taking Jaden Daniels, but I'm still very happy with Drake May. And this year, now we get Will Campbell, 2 for 2. I will happily take it. I'm a very happy Patriots fan right now.
Oh, yeah. Tyler, did the Patriots make the right decision with this pick?
I think absolutely. They're like I said, receiver was another big need that they could address, but right here at 4, there's no guy worth the 4th overall pick at receiver. Maybe you could argue Tet and you can reach there, but you have Diggs. You can get guys later like Luther Burden or someone farther down the draft board. Get Will Campbell. Protect your franchise single caller at all costs. If he gets injured, then it sets you back years and years. So Will Campbell it makes too much sense.
Absolutely. Now, we are going to move on from the Patriots. Tyler, we will come back to you in a minute or so for the Jaguars team needs now. Ty, I want to check in with you. We'll check in a minute, actually, for your big board. Kathleen, any thoughts on what has happened in the last pick or so?
I mean, I think we all expected Will Campbell to go to the Patriots. Again, it just makes sense to protect your franchise guy. Drake May's a delicate little guy, you know. He kind of needs it. He kind of needs a big beefy tackle to help him out a little bit.
Indeed.
And honestly, the Patriots again need all the help they can get. That's kind of the story with the top 5 picks in this draft. But things have been crazy so far, Nick Cohen.
It certainly has, and we've heard all draft cycle that Will Campbell, his biggest knock was his arm length, but I really don't think that is going to be that big a factor in the NFL as part of the Patriots offensive line. Now, again, we will come back to Ty for his big board, but Tyler, with the Browns now on the board, what do they need? Let's do this again.
So, obviously, Travis Hunter was expected to be the guy here, but they can still address a big need. And obviously, a big need is quarterback, if we look at the board here. I don't think they take a quarterback here. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is just, it's not working, gang. He's awful. It's terrible. Good Lord, it couldn't get worse. Wide receiver, another big need. Jerry Jeudy had a great breakout year, but I don't see that as really sustainable. Tackle is another big need. But now they're kind of in this weird funk because all the top guys were taken. They could take an Armand Membu here, but Mason Graham is now here. You traded down to 5. Pairing him up with Myles Garrett, I think would really help their defense overall. They were a middle-of-the-pack defense. Obviously, the offense, was pretty abysmal outside of Jerry Jeudy. But Mason Graham here, I think would be really great. Pairing him with Myles Garrett, an elite interior guy with one of the best edge rushers in the league, I mean, that just makes too much sense to me.
Yeah. So, Ty, I want you to dive right into your big board. Who should the Browns be taking right now?
So it's kind of a tricky situation for the big board where a lot of the guys that we still had on at the very beginning are still on, and I don't think a ton of them are going to make very much sense. The Tet McMillans, I don't know about. The Tyler Warrens, I don't know about. All the way down the list, I can't really sit with any of them too incredibly well, but the few names that I really do like here, like you mentioned, are Mason Graham and the one and only Ashton Genty, I think would make a terrific fit in Cleveland. Kind of right on the nipping at the heels of a dying breed that is Nick Chubb. Ashton Genty replacing one of the GOATs would be phenomenal, to say the very least.
Yeah. Now, Ezra, I believe, if my memory serves me correct, aren't you from Ohio? Wouldn't you
am.
kind of secondary support the Browns? What do you think they're going to do here?
So, yes, I am from Ohio, which is very funny that you bring that up.
And the pick is in, for the record, but keep talking.
They seem to know who they want at the 5 pick, and that's kind of shocking to me because when you just brought that up, that Ashton Genty to the Browns sounds really good on paper now that I think about it. Originally, from what I've seen from the reports from Adam Schefter, they're not looking quarterback. They're planning on going quarterback next year with that first they just got from the Jaguars. So and I also saw a report, I believe it was from Jordan Schultz or Adam Schefter as well, that they're, with moving down from the 2nd to the 5th pick, they're plotting for the trenches. So we could definitely see an Armand Membu here. We definitely could see a Mason Graham. I think Mason Graham's probably the best bet here, but I'm really not opposed to this Ashton Genty pick going on here.
I think both are ideal fits.
I think perfect fits, if anything.
Both
Jerome Ford over there, please, give me a break. Get Ashton Genty in there.
Now, Ezra, I'm going to let you keep cooking because the pick has been announced as Mason Graham to the Browns. Pair him alongside Myles Garrett. What do we think about this pick?
I think that's actually a fantastic pick for the Browns. I mean, you just, we talked about, mainly a lot of the pre-draft. We were talking about pairing Abdul Carter with Myles Garrett, and that was going to be elite. This is borderline just as elite. We just paired Mason Graham, the best D tackle in the class, by a very far margin. Walter Nolan's a great D tackle, but we're talking about one of the better pass rushing D tackles in college football coming to the NFL, one of the highest graded tackles coming into the NFL. I believe he was top 5 in the combine. I mean, we're talking about a real, set in stone, cornerstone guy that you're going to add to this already really good defense on the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
You're going to sound really smart if they do that.
Now, Ezra, we will be seeing you later in the draft. Thank you for coming on and talking these last 3 picks, and I hope you're happy as a Patriots fan. Now, the Raiders are on the clock, so Tyler, we're going to kick it right back to you with the Raiders team needs, and also what were your thoughts about Mason Graham to the Browns?
I mean, to start off with Mason Graham, Mason Graham, excuse me. I'm 5 for 5 in my mock draft, not counting like the trade, obviously. That's the one little hiccup in it. But I'm doing great so far. But to move on to the Raiders, a big add to them was obviously quarterback Geno Smith. You look here, their biggest needs: running back, wide receiver, cornerback. They've been the team that is like, are they going to be the ones that take Genty? Are they the one that pull the trigger? I don't think that at all. I think Pete Carroll, their new head coach, he has his guy Geno that he had in Seattle. What was Geno Smith succeeding at in Seattle? Throwing the football, especially deep downfield to like DK Metcalf, JSN, Tyler Lockett, that trio. And getting a guy like Tech McMillan, can pair greatly with Brock Bowers and improve this passing offense astoundingly. So wide receiver, I believe, is the position they're going to address here to try and bolster this offense and help Geno Smith out and go back to that form he was when Pete Carroll was his coach in Seattle.
Okay. Any comments, Kathleen and Andrew, about what the Raiders might need, Kathleen?
I mean, I have started out being an Ashton Genty to the Rams girl. Obviously, you guys had other opinions when we were making our mock draft. But I just think that that's kind of the easiest thing for the Raiders to address at this point in their franchise. You know, they have Geno Smith over there. Ashton Genty can catch a short pass and gain a few yards, like, absolutely very easily. And he has a couple of weapons on wide receiver already, so I just think that running back makes the most sense for them at the time.
Yeah, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree for the most part. I mean, we didn't see as much of like pass catching from Ashton Genty like in college, but I mean, he can take anything for a couple of yards at least. So I mean, Ashton Genty, like, what can you say about him? He was one of the best like overall like players in college football this year. So.
Yeah, and so now we welcome back Matthew Bracker. I do want to apologize for shooing you off the set after pick 1, but we had a blockbuster trade. What do we think about the Raiders? You're a Broncos fan. You want the worst for the Raiders, I'm sure.
Yeah, hey, I mean, happy to be back. I know you guys are trying to get rid of me, but you can never get rid of Matthew Bracker.
No.
I'm kind of realizing that Ashton Genty is going to go to the Raiders right now, and I'm kind of having a panic attack. Broncos defense is so good. They've added so many pieces this offseason, but I mean, he said it himself. He can't stop the guy. He can't tackle or whatever he said. Oh my gosh, it would be terrible. This would be terrible for me and be awful for the next however long he plays for them. I hope this doesn't happen. If it does, I might crash out.
Yeah,
And I would too.
Yeah.
If I were you.
And Tyler mentioned all the additions that the Raiders have had with trading for Geno Smith. They brought in Pete Carroll, hence why they traded for Geno Smith. Yeah. They have had some defensive additions. They did lose Nate Hobbs, as Tyler mentioned. Their starting corner, that kind of stinks for the Raiders. But Ty, it doesn't stink for us. No, Ty, I want you to delve into your big board for the Raiders pick.
Okay, so for this Raiders pick, we're going to come back over here to the board. We have Ashton Genty and Tet McMillan obviously up at the top. Matt Brack, you were just saying about how the Denver Broncos had developed a terrific run-stopping defense, but Ashton Genty recorded 1,700 yards.
He's a monster.
After contact.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
Should have been
that is the perfect counter to everything you've worked so hard to build. Beneath that, Tet McMillan, okay, we've already talked about him once. The big Mike Evans comp would line up probably out of all the receivers in the draft, the best opposite Cortland Sutton, and over there with the 6'5" Devon Vele. Right. Tyler Warren, we don't need to really pay attention to, okay? After recent acquisitions, we got Brock Bowers. We don't need to look here. But then going down to Armand Membo, okay, the guy that we mentioned can play anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. The guy that can replace DJ Glaze. You know what you have to do.
Which is just an insane name.
This is the best pick on the board.
Yeah.
Kind of trying to save your Denver Broncos in saying this, but I do truly believe Armand Membo is the best pick here.
I love that pick. I mean, you know, offensive line is so important. It doesn't matter, you know, if you have a running back behind the line. If they can't get, you know, space for him, then what's the point? You know, and they have Mostert over there, or Mostert, whatever.
Raheem Mostert and Sincere McCormick, don't forget about him.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot about him.
And then finishing everything off, the few players that have been added to this big board over the time we were away. Jalen Walker, the linebacker/edge rusher out of Georgia, has moved up to 5. Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia, has come up to 6. And then Will Johnson and Kelvin Banks, the Michigan corner, who I believe is the best true cornerback in this class. Kelvin Banks winning all those major offensive line awards at the left tackle and captain for the Texas Longhorns. A different, very much so different big board, but a lot of the same names there, Cohen.
Yeah. Now, I do you have Kelvin Banks pretty high on your big board. What do you
do.
like so much about Kelvin Banks?
Well, for one is non-numericals, okay? All the major awards that he's won over the year for being the best offensive lineman. Now, granted, we can say that with some air quotes.
And the Raiders pick is in. FYI, keep going about Kelvin Banks. Hey, I have to keep everyone
this
up
guy's
to
all
date.
mad about Kelvin Banks, like the Dolphins aren't going to pick him in 7
Don't
picks.
say that.
Okay, that's what's going to happen. Who knows ball? This guy. Okay, so Kelvin Banks, I like that about him, like the non-numericals. They kind of add a little bit of the confirmation bias,
Right.
I guess you could say.
Right.
But outside of that, I love the fact that he's a left tackle that can anchor himself, that likely will somehow bump into guard on most NFL teams. Okay, you don't have to play him solely at left tackle and worry about him anchoring the backside of a quarterback's field of vision. Okay, you can bring him inside, let him roam around, let him find his footing before anything else. A lot like I like about Josh Simmons, the same offensive tackle, kind of prospect, left tackle, left guard guy out of Ohio State. Both of them, I think, have the same kind of, not necessarily statistics, but same non-numericals. I keep using that word, but there's such important statistics to factor. It is a fun word.
Yeah.
It's such an important statistic to factor in when you look at offensive linemen. Not many have it, and Kelvin Banks is definitely one of the ones that do. So any team that does draft him can be very, very happy with him. And for that reason, I mean, he has to be up high on your big board, Cohen.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. I think we moved on from the Browns pick a little bit too quickly, though. Obviously, they select Mason Graham a couple minutes ago, and I think that it fits them very well. But then also, just like the fact that Travis Hunter doesn't have to live in Cleveland and can actually live somewhere that we care about watching him play football is just an added bonus. And then I feel like if there's going to be anybody who you can kind of just shove off to the Browns and not care about them play for a year, it'd be Mason Graham. He's obviously an exciting player, but
he is a defensive tackle.
lineman. We'll see about him if he has a really good season, but if not, it won't matter that much. But if they go Ashton Genty or if they go Travis Hunter, then you have to watch Browns football for no reason. So I'm actually really glad.
No one wants to do that.
Right, and Tyler, there's really 3 names that it could be right now. It could be Membu, it could be Genty, it could be McMillan. Who do you think it's going to be before it gets announced? Because the pick is in.
Couldn't be McMillan.
I am willing to bet a lot on that it's Ashton Genty really at this point. After listening to you guys, and running back is a big need. They don't really have a running, and I have it as their top need. They don't have a starting running back really that's worth it. They tried the experiment with that Georgia running back, I think Swift was his name. I don't know. It was just terrible. But I'm willing to bet that the pick is, in fact, Ashton Genty.
Well, and as you say that, it has been announced as Ashton Genty. He is now a Raider. I'm terribly sorry,
Get
Matthew.
this camera on Maddie right now.
Kathleen, what are our thoughts?
It's not good thoughts. It's not great thoughts.
Yeah, I think we can sum all this up to pain and suffering, okay?
Yeah.
Pick 2 and pick 6 has both resulted in one of the Night Times crew members falling near desperately ill. And you know what that means, Kathleen Moore. The Dallas Cowboys are going to somehow find a way to get Tet McMillan.
No. Don't
We
speak
don't need to
it.
jump to
Don't
the Cowboys.
speak it.
Matthew,
Don't speak
Matthew,
it.
what are our thoughts?
Look, Genty obviously is a generational player. He was my Heisman pick. I mean, I glazed him all semester last semester on nighttime. For him to go to my favorite, arch enemies, it's heartbreaking. Because now I have to hate Ashton Genty, and I can't do that, guys. What am I gonna do? What am I going to do?
Do we think maybe Ashton Genty will start to show signs of Marshawn Lynch, something like that, under Pete Carroll?
What are we doing?
That's
What are we
crazy.
doing? No, this
former
is
Raider
kind of
Marshawn Lynch, I might
blasphemous
add.
right now, Nick Cohen. How are you
know
going to
what?
compare Ashton Genty to Marshawn Lynch? Okay, Beast Mode was a different animal.
Genty hasn't even entered the league yet. And as Tyler
So
just
why are we
mentioned,
comparing him to one of the greatest we've ever seen?
Marshawn Lynch
It was
also
a
a Raider.
hypothetical.
Yes,
It was a
you were
hypothetical.
comparing Abdul Carter. You were
To
comparing
Michael Parsons?
Abdul.
Because
Yes.
they're the same height, same weight. If they both walked in a building at the same time, you couldn't tell them apart.
Guys,
Cohen.
pick
Mom,
6.
Dad,
How many
stop
crash outs have we have
fighting.
already?
Guys.
Okay.
Someone can be counting
You know
the
what?
studio.
I think we
I
all
wanna
need
know.
we all
It's
need
gotta
a
be at
breather.
least 4.
I'm
I
gonna
need
send
a
it to commercial. If that's cool with everyone, we're gonna come back on pick 7 for the Jets. Matthew will still be here. We will all still be here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello. So I guess the crew's getting ready for the next segment on one of our amazing
Yeah, that
shows.
first hour passed.
I'm Nick Cohen, host of season 20 of Hitting the Field, and let me tell you about those amazing shows. On behalf of HTF, we hope you're enjoying today's content, but I'm here to tell you about everything else we offer here at the network. Mondays at 4, HTF Bets goes live for season 10 with 3 gamblers that, although it may not always seem like it, are here to help us all earn a little bit of extra money while we watch sports. Diego Ortiz, Tyler Brownrigg, and Andrew Greig's ball knowledge and fun personalities make this show a fan favorite. On Tuesdays, you all loved it, so we brought it back for Season 2. It's Girls Got Game, hosted by Frankie Noble, a show blending women in sports, the biggest sports news stories, and creative segments that make for a fun and engaging show. Next is everyone's favorite sports podcast, The Combine, hosted by who other than Ty Paton, an easygoing, conversational, and technical podcast dropping Wednesdays, also on Spotify at The Combine. Then tune in Thursdays at noon for the network's main show, Season 20 of Hitting the Field, hosted by me. Here, we'll cover any sport, any topic, any story, no matter how obscure. We love some football, basketball, hockey, F1. We also cover baseball, soccer, and we even have to show the UFC love sometimes. Penultimately, TGIF, because Friday is nighttime, hosted by Kathleen Moore and Matthew Bracker. Season 8 of Nighttime is where you'll turn to for all things March Madness, UCF sports, and other collegiate events. We're ending with something brand new. HTFN has never had 6 shows running at once. Also filmed in our new podcast studio is HTFC, hosted by Edgar Rodriguez and Patrick De Leon. Football, or soccer in America, is the most popular sport in the world. Across multiple leagues and cups, soccer is a year-round sport, and HTFC is your news source to stay updated. Also on Spotify, by the way, at HTFC. Outside of our 6-show roster, be sure to tune in to our other content, such as the Studio Days vlog, run by our vlog squad of Brianna St. Jean, Michaela Croker, Ashley Rowe, and Ben Huber. Make sure to follow us on our social medias like Instagram, Facebook, and X to stay updated on all HTFN news. Remember to subscribe right here on YouTube, leave a like and comment, and with that, I think we're ready for your next segment. I'm Nick Cohen. Thank you for your continued support, and back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Thank you
course.
so much.
Oh,
my
of
gosh, we're
course.
so happy to
Oh,
be back.
thanks. Now, while we were gone, the Jets thought about their decision, and they've submitted their decision. Before we officially announce it as well, Tyler, who do you think they need?
The needs here, obviously, the 2 big losses to the New York Jets were Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. You see on the board, they have them there. Offensive tackle, D-line, and quarterback. They have Justin Fields now as their guy. Their defense is astounding. 3rd best defense in the league. 24th offense, though, is a bit of a yikes. Their offensive line is obviously the thing they need to address. And the guy mocked to them the most has been Ahmed Membu out of Mizzou. So, and I had him going there. But yeah, O-line I feel like is going to be the pick here. Will it be Membu? Will it be Banks? I'm not 100% certain. So, but I imagine it will be an offensive tackle as the position they do address.
Okay, and I can't really disagree with that. Can you,
Right.
Kathleen?
Not really. I'm not gonna lie. The Jets, to me, kind of look a lot like a flipped version of the Bengals. It's like
Yeah.
the Jets' defense is so good, but their offense is just
And the
letting
Steelers
them
are
down.
like that too.
Yeah, they are. But oh my gosh, their offense is just letting them down time after time. It's just like Joe Burrow freaking carrying the Bengals defense, and they just get let down every single time.
Yeah.
It's tragic.
Now, I have a feeling I'm going to announce the pick while you're doing this, Ty. But number 3 on your board, and Matthew, I want you to get into this as well. Number 3 on your board is our offensive lineman that we think could go to the Jets. Get into this.
Yeah, so we have Armand Membo up there. Okay, we're looking right here at this big board. Sitting right here, we've been talking about this all day, is that Armand Membo can play anywhere on an offensive line. Okay, Tyron Smith departed in free agency. Morgan Moses departed in free agency. The Jets have needs at both offensive tackle slots, and if they're to fix anything right now, they need to give kind of Justin Fields that pat on the back. Hey, we want you here, pal. Okay.
If you can fill in a spot, that's.
He can.
be
Okay.
perfect for him.
They do have somewhat of a hole at the tight end position. Okay. Jeremy Ruckert is the guy over there right now, and although that doesn't scream Pro Bowl talent, it's good enough to get you through the season. But what you don't need is your brand new quarterback who you're paying $20 million a year, essentially dying.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't need to see that again. We don't need to see another Aaron Rodgers.
No, exactly. Especially because of his mobility too. You need like someone to open up, a little space in there and let him work.
Absolutely. Okay. I think before this pick, I would have told you, your mom, and everyone you know that Tyler Warren is the pick. Okay. But that was before I knew that Armand Membo was going to be available at 7. So with him on the board, I don't see a world in which it's not him. But it'd also be wise to take Tyler Warren. I could see either of these 2 players sitting right here. Cohen, everybody else over at the desk, between Membo, between Tyler Warren, who do we like, and is there any kind of dark horse around here?
With about 20 seconds left on the clock, I do think it's going to be Armand Membu. Now, I don't want it to happen.
As well.
But I'm not going to get into that. We think Membu.
I agree. It's not going to be Tyler Warren.
Okay.
Yeah, where does Kelvin Banks fit into this picture at all? I mean, he could have went to the Raiders at 6. I thought that could be a pick, but I mean, I think it's been solidified as Armand Membo. I had him in my mock draft, so I like Armand Membo.
I just don't think it's his time yet.
Aaron Glenn, if you're listening to this, you're not. Take Kelvin Banks. Leave Membu for the Dolphins.
Don't
Please.
do that.
Take
What are we
Kelvin
talking
Banks.
about?
You know what? Or even take that Bowling Green quarterback that Kathleen alluded to
There you
earlier. Tyler, do we think it's going to be Armand Membu?
I mean, I'm pretty confident in Membu, though. McMillan would make sense. You lost
would.
Devontae Adams. That's a big loss, and you get a receiver that can help Justin Fields. Membu, though, I imagine will be the choice. Fields is a quarterback who holds on to the ball, gets sacked a lot. You want to help him as best he can to prevent sacks. Membu does that, and at a high level, he had an outstanding year at Mizzou in this final year. So Membu will be the guy.
Yeah, and you know, as you see on the screen, the clock has reset. We are just waiting for that pick to officially be announced. Now, where do we think the Jets will look next year? They've brought in Justin Fields. They're potentially drafting another offensive lineman. There's been talks about wanting to get rid of Breece Hall. Not get rid of him, but trade him. You know, what do we think could be in store for the Jets next season? Ty, I'll ask you and Matthew that.
Do you mean to ask me how good do I think the Jets will be next season?
Well,
Record- on a
especially how good
record-wise?
will they be with Armand Membu? It's officially been announced.
Golly.
How good will they be, Ty and Matthew?
I mean, Jets are gonna jet. You know, any season
Right?
Jet is gonna jet.
J-E-T-S,
No,
suck,
okay.
suck.
JETS,
No,
That's
no,
the
no,
chance.
no.
That's
Okay.
the chance.
We had this
Yes,
conversation
yes.
last
Okay.
year, and I told everybody in this room, and I'll stand on it. I said the Jets are going to be an AFC Championship team. And then
That's
what
insane.
happens?
That's
Aaron
insane.
Rodgers spent five
That's
more
crazy.
minutes, 5 minutes too many, with his little whatever he was doing in his
In a
dark room
darkness
retreats.
retreat?
Okay, and it ended the season.
Listen,
okay.
all I want to say, we're talking Membo, can play any position. But Warren, he lined up at a bunch of positions in college last season. I would have picked Warren here, but that's just me.
I mean, no.
Okay,
I
of
mean,
course
no.
you disagree.
Matthew,
Goodbye.
we
I
will
have
see
to
you in a
disagree with
couple
Matthew.
picks. Thank you for your analysis
whatever.
on this. Now, Kathleen, why do you disagree?
I mean, it wasn't going to be Tyler Warren to the Jets, clearly, but I mean,
It could have been.
It's no, they
It
were
could have been.
they were not going.
It could have been.
They
It
were
could have been.
never going tight end on this pick. It was either going to be Tet or it was going to be Membu, and obviously it was Membu. But I do think that in the later rounds of the draft, they're going to try and pick up a wide receiver. You know, just someone to try
Well,
and help
speaking
out.
of a team who could pick up a receiver, the Panthers are now on the clock, but they're not only on the clock, the pick is in. So we will
Holy
wait for
crap.
that to be announced. Maybe, Tyler, we'll kick it to you for team needs after we introduce our guest for the next 3 picks. Augie Aronson, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing fabulous, guys. Thank you for having me on the draft show. What an incredible production value we got here, by the way, though, at HTF.
Right?
Shout out to
I was going to
everybody
give
behind the
shout-outs
scenes.
later in the draft, but yes, shout-out to all crew working on the show today. Now, Tyler, who do the Panthers need?
I would say the Panthers obviously are garbage, to put it lightly.
Thank you so
If we look at the
much.
board here, 29th overall offense, dead last defense in yards per game. My God. Their top needs, wide receiver, edge, and DB. A big loss was Shaq Thompson to that defense, which was already just abysmal, so it's just gotten worse. All right, now they do kind of have their pick of the litter to address their needs. There's obviously the top receiver. He's there available, Tet McMillan. Though, Nick, obviously you know our guy, Jalen Walker.
Oh, yeah.
He's here. He's right there waiting to hear the call for the Panthers. And I think it really makes a lot of sense to be Jalen Walker. Pairing up with Derek Brown, really bolster that defensive line. Jalen Walker is great. But honestly, really any pass rusher will be good as long as it's in the right value area here. And though I wouldn't blame them for taking Tet either. He's fallen right in their lap. Either player is a good pick at this point.
I would love for it to be Tet personally, like coming from a secondary Carolina fan. Just pairing him with Adam Thielen, and then Bryce Young is obviously getting better with every season. I think that this is a no-brainer for the Panthers, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Ty, you're shaking your head. What's wrong?
Oh my gosh.
So I have recently, we'll call it
Spit
found the Lord, okay? I have recently come into my own, and I have discovered that I am mostly wrong, And there's a gentleman that is mostly right, and that gentleman goes by the name of Nick Ryan Cohen. Okay, that gentleman over there
Wow.
decided to
government
tell
name.
me months ago that Jalen Walker should be the pick at 8, which I downplayed 100,000 times. Okay, I said that might be the worst thing I've ever heard, and then I start thinking about it. Okay, a guy that lines up as an off-ball linebacker that plays a lot of his snaps, nearly half of them, down inside the front 4, whether it be a stunt or outside the linebackers. Outside the defensive ends. And he's played snaps at nickelback and strong safety. This is a guy that is essentially a Taysom Hill on defense. We rarely see anything like this. And just to top it all off and put a little extra cherry on top, Jalen Walker hails 20 minutes away from the Carolina
Yes,
Stadium
he
in
does.
Salisbury, North Carolina. Salisbury.
No,
There's an
it's
I in the middle,
Salisbury.
Kathleen Moore.
It's my hometown.
Okay, you carrying a thesaurus with you? I didn't
I'm
think so,
from
okay?
there.
She's from
I'm
there.
from
I'm
there.
moving there.
Bro, your parents are moving there.
You
That's
guys
a
don't
little
know anything.
different.
It's Salisbury.
You're right.
It's Salisbury.
There's no U in that word.
So,
Yes, there is.
so basically, Augie, the decision is it's either Jalen Walker or Ted McMillan, right?
Yeah,
And who
those
should
are the
they
two I'm in between. Now, Carolina did lose Brian Burns, but they also have pretty much not a whole lot of weapons for Bryce Young. Leggett, I mean, look, it was year 1 for Leggett. I personally would probably pick Tet. That's who I think they're going to pick, but either way, I would not be surprised if it's Walker.
Augie,
Yeah,
I like
and
you way better than Ty right
think-
now.
Huh?
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank
What was
you.
that?
I said, Augie, I like you way better than Ty
And you know what? I think there is a case to be made, though, for Jalen Walker that both Jadeveon Clowney and DJ Wonnum, the starting Sam and Will for the Carolina Panthers, only each have 1 year left under contract. So
Well, and
after
also
the
one of them
2025
is
season, they're
not
both
good.
gone. Okay,
DJ Wonnum
both
needs
of
to
them
be
are not
replaced.
good, and they're both starting. That only adds to
that's
my point.
Any thoughts on that, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of thoughts. I definitely don't think that they're going to go with Ted McMillan, unfortunately.
However, we just got word. It is Ted McMillan. Crazy timing for that. So sorry for
Oh,
the
yeah.
wrong
Makes perfect sense
pick.
to me.
But
I win. I win. I win.
Nick Cohen, I take back
And
every good
Augie
thing I
wins.
said about you over the past 2 minutes.
listen, they still should have maybe gone with Jalen Walker, but they didn't. It is
I'm not
Ted
saying they're
McMillan.
a
Why
smart
would you not give
organization
your
by
young
any stretch of
quarterback
the word.
another huge weapon to throw the football to?
Right.
It just
Especially when you need to
Everybody's
prove
quarterback.
if he is your franchise guy or not. It makes no sense. I mean, yes, obviously edge is always a great pick because you need to get after the pass rusher. But it makes too much sense not to draft the 6'4" wide receiver who was the best wide receiver pretty much in all college football besides Hunter.
Peak
Whatever.
athleticism.
But I
from
mean,
this
look,
guy.
you got to see if your guy is the guy or not, and there's no better way to show it than by drafting a stud receiver.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much,
well,
Augie.
okay, Tyler, we wanted it to be Jalen Walker, and for good enough reason, because you said they had one of the worst defenses in the league. What's your reaction to Ted McMillan now being a Panther?
I mean, it wasn't one of the worst. It was the worst. Dead last, period. Okay? Jalen Walker obviously would have made so much sense. He's a good Shaq Thompson replacement, and obviously you lost Brian Burns, and then you finally get your star pass rusher. However, they had needs everywhere. Their offense, 29th, right? It's still pretty bad. So Tet, not a bad pick here by any means. He can be your true number 1 going forward for Bryce Young. Adam Thielen, love him, Minnesota legend. He is getting up there. He can't be your number 1 guy. But that veteran, he can be that veteran to kind of mentor McMillan as he develops in the league. But just McMillan, such a great catch radius, pretty good route runner. You want to see him improve in single coverage here, but Bryce Young, just having that safety net in a true X receiver will just benefit him greatly.
Yeah, and now, of course, barring any big-time trades, the Saints are now on the clock. Question before I throw it back to Tyler for team needs, do we think this is Shadur? Do we think? We'll just take a poll.
I mean,
Kathleen?
Yeah, I think it should have.
Okay. Andrew?
Okay, I mean, I'm not going to let this happen twice. Lightning doesn't strike twice. It's not going to be Shadur Sanders actually this time. I know, okay, the Tet pick makes sense just because of the fact that you want to give your franchise quarterback another receiver, but like everything that Tyler was saying, like that defense was terrible and that offense wasn't necessarily the problem towards the end of it.
Everything
Obviously,
was
I mean, Bryce Young looks really good towards the end of
Other
that
than
season.
Bryce
So,
Young.
and I mean, like Xavier Leggett, like obviously wasn't great, but like he wasn't the worst thing in the world. They just drafted a wide receiver receiver with one of their first picks last year. I just didn't see it happening. But hey, and there's a lot of buzz on Jalen Walker. But I mean, we'll see how that pans out. And I just don't see it being Shedeur Sanders. There's been for all that the draft season is and how much buzz there is around it and how many smoke screens are put out, the Saints just really didn't seem sold on Shedeur Sanders here, at least this high in the draft. So I don't believe it's going to be him. But I mean, I literally just got the 10th pick wrong. So we'll see how it goes.
I mean, I would love to get everyone involved in this Shedeur drama because that's what he is. He is a drama queen, and you know his colors are also black and gold. I feel like I always need to allude to that when choosing a player. Can I see them in a Saints jersey? Can you guys, Tyler, Augie, Ty,
Shedeur is coming here.
Absolutely not. Shedeur Sanders is not a New Orleans Saint. As
hope
much
you're
as I would like
I'm pretty
to
confident
see
that Shedeur is a New Orleans Saint at this
because he bleeds
point.
red
Thank you,
and
Honest to
God.
or because I bleed red and pewter, I should say. As much as I'd like to see Shedeur in a Saints jersey, just for that notion that the Bucs are okay for another 5 years. If it's going to be any quarterback, it's going to be Jackson Dart.
Okay, well,
Yeah, but I don't think it's Dart.
the
I
Saints
Jackson
pick
Dart at
is
9.
in. Now, Tyler, give us the team needs for the Saints while the pick is officially in.
All right, with the Saints, obviously there is a lot. Obviously, they've had these they've been in cap hell seemingly forever. But if we look at the board here, wide receiver is a big need. Though they did add Brandon Cooks, they need a guy for either if it is Derek Carr or Shedeur, whoever it's going to be that ends up going to be their QB1 in the future. They need another wide receiver outside of Olave. Olave has been good. They picked up his 5th-year option. But a middle-of-the-pack offense at 21st, honestly below average. Defense, horrific. You traded away Marshawn Lattimore, and by God, did you miss him, all right? DB would be another fine pick here, but there's just no one worth that. Will Johnson, I don't think he's going to go here at 9. Way big of a reach. Defensive line, Jalen Walker. This is a guy who could still go here. His name could be called. Michael Williams, the other Georgia guy. Walter Nolan, another defensive lineman. Anyone on the defensive line really would be a good pick here also. But I am leaning towards Shedeur. Kellen Moore, your new head coach, gets his quarterback that he gets to build up and mold. Dion really wants Shedeur to go to New Orleans, so it just kind of makes sense. Will it happen? I think it has a good chance. Derek Carr, he's not the guy. He's not their answer.
Okay. Now, what if I told you that the pick has indeed been announced and it is not a player we have said? It's Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle or offensive lineman, might play guard, out of Texas. I think this is kind of a shocking pick because we all said it might be Shedeur. We said some other players. We didn't say Kelvin Banks.
No.
I literally said it won't be Shedeur. But yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But you didn't say Kelvin Banks.
No, I didn't say Kelvin Banks, but I mean, like, this is a very Saints pick, I think.
It is.
Like maybe build for the future. They have so many holes to fill, especially because of the fact that they're constantly in cap hell. They're not going to be able to fix their quarterback issue this year. I don't think that Shedeur Sanders personally is the guy. So clearly they didn't think so either. So I mean, there's going to be a deeper quarterback class next year, possibly. Maybe they suck bad enough to get like Arch Manning. So there's a couple guys that are definitely in play for next year, and I think that they just decide to wait on that or a free agency class next year. But I don't think that they like Shedeur, and clearly not enough to have taken him with the 9th overall pick. So
They
Kelvin Banks.
certainly might be bad enough to get a quarterback early next year. Now, Augie, Kelvin Banks is now a Saint. What are our thoughts on that?
I get it. It's never a bad pick to take an offensive tackle. Now, they've taken a lot of these recently in the first round of drafts. But like Andrew said, you're protecting for the future. What future? You have Spencer Rattler throwing the football. You needed a quarterback because somebody's got to throw the football, and the guy is not Spencer Rattler. So, yeah, obviously you always obviously want to have a bookend tackle or a bookend offensive lineman anywhere. But your biggest hole is quarterback, and you haven't addressed it so far. Maybe they trade back in later or scoop somebody in the 2nd round. But I think they should have gone quarterback.
Are we forgetting about the Fresno State legend, Jake Haener, back there?
What?
Yeah, because Jake Haener's an absolute
He was a
stud.
5th-round pick. Okay, he's all right.
I mean,
All right, but
The only thing you know Jake Haener from is from those social media photos.
No.
Yeah, that's the only reason you know who Jake Haener
Don't
is.
say that, okay. But you know what? I don't actually hate the Kelvin Banks pick at all. Cohen and I have been talking about this for a little bit of the potential that the New Orleans Saints make a move up, stay where they are, and take a left tackle. to give the guy Talise Fuanga, their 14th pick last year, the chance to move back over to right guard where he naturally plays. So now a natural left and a natural right on both sides. Granted, they're protecting a rock and nobody else, but, you know.
Well, Ty, now we kind of have to play a little bit of matchmaker, because if Fuanga goes back to right guard, where does Cesar Ruiz go? And also, now taking Kelvin Banks, is he going to start? Is he going to start over Trevor Penning, or is he going to start over Nick Saldiveri?
Did I say right guard?
You did.
Right tackle. Talise Fuanga played right tackle in
Okay,
college.
so now Kelvin Banks at left tackle?
So 2 true offensive
Because
tackles
we
on
still
their
have
outsides.
Nick Saldiveri starting, and I think that's an issue.
That's fine, but there's no other good interior offensive lineman outside of Tyler Booker, and you're not spending a top 10 pick on Tyler Booker. So, I mean, later in this draft, you look at a Tate Ratledge. Okay, you want to go get somebody that you can pick up in the second, third round, somebody that'll give you that extra help. A Christian Haynes at a UConn type guy. That's not this year, previous year, but you get the gist.
I mean, as far as addressing the quarterback situation in New Orleans, maybe they're holding out for Jackson Dart in the second round. Because
I was going to say.
Jackson Dart's not going first round if he wasn't going to the Saints first round.
The Steelers would definitely
trades back in for him.
The Steelers would definitely in play for him.
I think he's definitely in play at the middle, I think, of round 1. If somebody trades back in for him, like maybe watch out for the Saints. Trade back in for him later.
But, I mean, the Steelers are going to go Shedeur Sanders here. It was always going to be Saints, Steelers, or Shedeur falls out of the first.
I mean, it could happen, but I don't think that it's undoubtedly that they're holding out for Shedeur. I mean, anybody can jump in and steal the pick from them.
Okay. So we have to move on because the Bears are not even on the clock anymore. The pick is in. Now, Tyler, you're a Vikings fan, division rival of the Bears. Who do the Bears need? And don't sabotage them.
I mean, the Bears, their offense was terrible with Caleb Williams as their quarterback. He's their new franchise guy. He was one of the most sacked quarterbacks. Offensive line is a big need still. Even though they did address it, they traded for, obviously, Joe Thuney, and then, obviously, new head coach Ben Johnson, an offensive guru. You look to see that improvement a lot. D-line and safety, those are also things they can address here. There's really no one that stands out on this defensive line. Outside of Sweat, you have him, and he's been a very good player for them. But you need a true edge rusher to try and pair up with him. If they don't have that, this defense, which was, again, one of the worst in the league, 27th, dead last offense, but it just needs to be, I think, maybe someone on the defensive side of the ball would be a good pick. Though, offense wouldn't shock me, honestly. I had Genty going here, and if it's not, and since Genty's gone, I don't know really what offensive player it would be. Maybe a Tyler Warren, but I don't know. It's just kind of, it's an odd pick here.
So I noticed you didn't have tight ends on your team needs, but you did mention at the end there, Tyler Warren, the best available tight ends. The pick is in, and it's Colston Loveland
It's a
to
Michigan
the Bears.
guy, dude.
The
Oh my
second
God.
best tight end in the class by a lot of people's opinions.
Tyler Warren,
This is
scrub
arguably
he
a big
is.
draft
Has he ever
reach.
done anything good in life? Probably not.
Yeah, you have
Is he a good
literally
football player?
scratching my
He
head
lost
over
in
here.
the playoffs.
The best tight end
You know
was
who's a
by
national champ?
far Tyler
Loveland.
Warren.
By
far
far
Tyler
and
Warren.
away, Tyler Warren.
No, I disagree with you guys. I don't think it's by far and away. I think that it's maybe a reach at the 10th overall pick, but like who did he have Colston Loveland have throwing him this past year? Obviously, you saw him with J.J.
true.
McCarthy, and he was able to separate and get a lot of he was one of their best offensive players in a very good offensive they had J.J. McCarthy throwing to him, and then they had whoever throwing him to him this year. So I think that is a major difference. I don't think that the stock between them is drastically different. And I thought they were going Tyler Warren. That was my pick. I had them going tight end a different way, but I think that the state in which your guys are talking about Colston Loveland is a little bit egregious.
Well, you know what's kind of ironic that I'm sitting on right now that it feels a little strange, but we looked at Joe Thuney beefing up the offensive line, okay? We looked at Jonah Jackson being brought into the offensive line. We looked at Drew Dahlman being brought into the offensive line, okay? Ben Johnson and company and the Chicago Bears have beefed up their offensive line all offseason. And then you go and get somebody from the Michigan regime, okay? Somebody that is Ford-built tough, okay? This guy is essentially a six-man on an offensive line. Although he can go out and make high-point catches, he has a history in basketball, Loveland does. He is probably the best blocking tight end that we have in this class. So it's kind of ironic to me that we look for those skill players, those defensive players, and they wind up just continuing to beef up the trenches.
It's also, they got Ben Johnson to be their head coach over the offseason. I think it's really funny that people weren't thinking that this was going to be an offensive player because of how much Ben Johnson likes calling up those trick plays. He's obviously an offensive guru, an offensive genius. Everybody's labeled him as such. And who are we to say that if he thinks that Colston Loveland is the better player, who's to say that they're wrong? Ben Johnson is wrong.
And Ty, you and I were talking about this leading up to it with running back. Maybe they'll reach on a running back just because they really like him, like Jahmyr Gibbs. We didn't expect this for tight end, though, going with the second best or potentially reaching.
Have been considering this for so long that if Genty's gone, maybe they pull a Detroit Lions, a Dan Campbell, a Brad Holmes, and reach for a Marion Hampton. No, they reach for a tight end.
Well,
this
and full
is
transparency,
what we live for, Cohen.
Full transparency, I'm not saying this is some massive reach, like a Cole Strange to the Patriots or a Michael Penix to the Falcons, but it is a consensus reach because he is pretty much the tight end 2 on everyone's boards.
Tyler Warren has been everyone's #1 tight end in this draft class. For months. I mean, not to say that it's not like without good reason or that Colston Loveland is like some kind of bum. Like he's not.
Yeah, but how far back is this reach? Because I feel like a lot of people are talking about how the Colts, one of their biggest needs is obviously getting a tight end, and that was their top need by Pro Football Focus and a lot of other different sites. That's only 4 picks after this one. So if it is a reach, it's only by 4 picks, and if Ben Johnson likes him, Ben Johnson has one of the best offense for years now. So, I mean, or not years, but like that Lions offense was really good this year. They're trying to revamp something with the Bears. They got a bunch of offensive linemen during the offseason. I think that he could add a lot of pop to their packages.
You talked me down from my ledge. You talked me down from my ledge.
I try.
That's what you're here for. Wow, that was very good.
Oh, thank you guys.
Welcome to the draft, Andrew Greig.
I try my best. Look,
Also,
I tried.
just to keep the spotlight on Andrew Greig, your birthday was yesterday.
Oh,
Happy belated
man.
birthday.
Thank you,
Happy
guys.
belated birthday
Yeah, I love
to
you
Andrew
guys.
Greig.
Aw,
Thanks for being here. Now, someone else that is here, Augie, we will see Augie a little bit later. Layla Wall is now joining us to talk for the next 2 picks. Layla, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Happy to talk some football.
Absolutely. I mean, aren't we all? Yes. Now, Tyler, with the 49ers now on the clock and the pick being in, who do the 49ers need?
The 49ers, they're kind of in a weird spot because if we look at the board here, they were a top 5 offense and a top 10 defense statistically. They were hammered by injuries, though they did have some big losses in the offseason. Leonard Floyd and their pass rusher, Dre Greenlaw, a big linebacker that they lost. O-line, D-line, and cornerback are what I have needing, all right? And I think a defensive lineman will be the pick here. I think pairing up someone with Nick Bosa, because if you look back at their Super Bowl runs, their front 7 was just completely stellar. You get a guy to pair up to Nick Bosa, one of the best pass rushers in the league, I think it'll be outstanding. Look to hear for Mykel Williams. Look to hear for Walter Nolan, and maybe even a Shamar Stewart at this point. Anywhere on the defensive line, I think is a great pick.
Okay. Now, Ty, looking at your big board, we didn't have to update it because Colston Loveland wasn't in your top 8.
No.
Now, who's at the top?
So up at the top is Tyler Warren, who nobody expected to be here right now. Beneath him, Jalen Walker, Malachi Starks, Will Johnson. We've mentioned all 4 of these guys up top, but cracking into this bottom 4 here, okay, starting off, my favorite player of the NFL draft, the guy that I think at the end of the day will be and will certainly be. Let me justify everything that I'm saying. Nick Amenwari will be a top 5 player at the end of this class, okay?
Wow.
Out of all defensive backs, the best numericals of the combine, the best 40-yard dash, the best 10-yard split, the best bench press of any defensive back, best 10-yard shuttle, I apologize, best 3-cone drill, best everything you can imagine across the board. Nick Amenwari is such a dog. South Carolina guy, please come to Tampa. Okay, beneath him, Josh Simmons, offensive lineman. We mentioned him earlier with the comparisons to Kelvin Banks. Very, very good. But I will add, he's kind of the last of that early elite set of offensive tackles. After that, we have a bit of a drop-off leading into the Gray Zables, the Josh Connerleys. Beneath him, obviously, we have James Pierce Jr., previously, at the beginning of the season, the projected first overall pick, now sitting closer to 15 on most big boards. And finally, Walter Nolan, the Ole Miss big defensive tackle, 1-tech, that people have him mocked everywhere. There's a very, very interesting big board going on here, Nick Cohen. I think there's a lot of players that we originally thought had a home, had a destination, but now they could wind up really anywhere, except for Malachi Starks or Nick Emenwari. One of those two is going to be a buck.
Now, I think this pick could be one of two players. I think it could be Walter Nolan, who a lot of people like going here, and it could also be Jalen Walker. Yeah. What are our thoughts on that, Layla? Who do you think it's going to be to the 49ers?
I also had Walter Nolan, but I also had Michael Williams because they do need his position. So
my thoughts are that Layla's absolutely correct. The 49ers did take Michael Williams with their 11th overall pick. So
did they?
Hey,
officially?
Yeah. Hey, okay. I decided to be the guy for a second, Cohen. I'm sorry.
You got that. No, you're
It was
good.
his birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
I
love
his birthday yesterday. Give him some flowers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I try.
Absolutely. Now, Michael Williams, kind of somewhat of a reach, in my opinion, for the 49ers. Is that a hot take?
Well, I mean, Cohen, we got to ask the question real quick. When have we ever seen a Georgia front seven man not wind up okay?
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Jordan Davis,
Everyone out of there
Jalen
is
Carter.
good.
I mean, we go all the way back to Devontae Wyatt with Green Bay. This guy stinks. Still winds up a good football player.
Yeah. Now, Tyler, any thoughts on this pick? Did you think they were going to take Michael Williams?
I knew that. I feel like I knew they were going to take an edge rusher. You want a lot of losses there on that defense, and the edge rushers were the best players here. Honestly, I would have been fine with either of the Georgia guys, Walker or Williams. I think this is a very good pick overall. Michael Williams, he was a freak athlete. His stock has really plummeted over the course of this season because he dealt with injuries during the season at Georgia. But don't worry, Mom. Big Niners fan, shout out, Mom. This is a good pick for the Niners. You will be hearing his name quite often on Sundays for the Niners. Him and Bosa will be rushing the quarterback with great efficiency.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a beautiful duo they're going to have over there.
Yeah, I do wonder who's going to be up front on the defensive line. They don't have much talent there, hence why I thought Walter Nolan would be a good pick. Any thoughts on that, Andrew?
It also makes sense just with the defensive coordinator coming back. Robert Saleh from the Jets, moving back to his position with the 49ers, which he previously coached at maybe like 3 years ago. I think that just a defensive lineman or any defensive pick would have made the most sense here for them, especially because of the fact that like Brock Purdy obviously didn't have a great season last year, but they were dealing with so much between the Deebo Samuel drama and Brandon Ayuk being out. So I think that they'll be fine on offense, at least relatively, but they needed to beef up that defense a little bit. With Robert Saleh coming back, I think it makes sense that they go defensive lineman here.
Yeah, starting two defensive tackles are Kevin Givens and Jordan Elliott.
Oh,
not necessarily studs.
Yeah.
But what do we think about that, Ty? Am I overreacting by saying that taking Michael Williams is a reach?
No, not at all. I mean, the only thing you have going for you with Michael Williams is that he's a scheme fit, at least in his stature, okay? Him and Nick Bosa are clocking in nearly around the same height, nearly around the same weight. He's kind of a 49ers defensive end, if you want to say. But out of all the defensive ends that you could choose, I mean, if you really want a true bottom defensive end, somebody that's going to be able to utilize power, kind of a we have this kind of conundrum lately. It kind of feels good to finally explain it. Now we have edge rushers in the draft. Okay,
Yes.
We used to have defensive ends and outside linebackers, and now we just have edge rushers, which are those two merged. Michael Williams is an outside linebacker. He is an edge rusher. I think they should have gone for like a Shamar Stewart, a Nick Scorton, a guy who's pushing 270, pushing 280, even 290, someone that kind of bridges the gap between edge rusher and defensive line and can anchor a side of the defensive line opposite Nick Bosa. But this pick kind of feels more so like an outside linebacker, and in the 4-3 that they play, it's just, it doesn't sit right with me, if that makes sense, Cohen.
That does make sense. Now, I do want to move on. Okay, we don't want to harp on the 49ers too long if we think this was a bad pick or if we think this is a good pick. They don't deserve all those flowers. The Cowboys are up next. Now, I want to leave enough time to talk about the Cowboys enough because we're joined by two major Eagles fans and obviously Kathleen Moore making that face that she's making right now, repping Kelly Green everywhere.
Ways, baby,
it's ridiculous.
both ways.
And also Layla Wall is an Eagles fan. Now, you guys don't want anything good for the Cowboys, right?
No.
Who do you have them taking, actually?
I'll tell you about my mock draft. I have them taking Connor Bazalic, the quarterback from Bowling Green. Now, I was on PFF making my mock draft, and I said, I don't want to give him anything. I don't care if it messes up my flow. I don't care. I went to the 9th page of players, scrolled all the way to the bottom, found this guy is perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
So-
Start him over Dak. I don't care. I don't care.
My biggest question isn't even with your pick. Where did you find a Kelly Green suit from?
That's such a valid question.
So the jersey my boyfriend gave me for
Okay.
Christmas. Shout out Thomas if you're watching.
Shout
and
out.
then
He should
this blazer is actually from my mother.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. Shout out Mom. I know you're watching.
Ooh.
That was crazy. We
Yeah.
did.
Now-
We said shout out.
Shout
Mom
out
at the same time.
Amanda.
Layla, what do you want the Cowboys to take before we send it to Tyler to tell us who they actually should take?
I'm going to be so honest with you, Nick. I did not make a mock draft. I did have Michael Williams going
okay.
for the Niners, but
Oh.
I didn't have anything besides that. So hopefully someone not good.
Okay.
That's all I have for you there.
That's super valid.
Perhaps Connor Bazalik
Sure,
from Bowling
sounds good to
Green.
me.
Please.
Sure. I mean, he made Harold Fannin look pretty good, didn't he? Got y'all there. Now, Tyler, who do the Cowboys need?
The Cowboys are still a very talented team, as always,
No,
it seems,
no,
every
no.
year in and year out.
No.
But I would say this has to be defensively, I would go with. You look at it here, 16th best offense overall, pretty middle of the pack. You can get guys later in the draft. Your defense, though, 28th. Again, a defense with this much talent, with Micah Parsons, Trevon Diggs, names like that, you shouldn't be 28th. A big loss was DeMarcus Lawrence and Brandon Cooks offensively. This was the team for a long time that we thought Ashton Genty would be here, but now obviously he's not here. He is gone. So who is it going to be here, I think? I think we look back at those defensive linemen here. It's a very valuable position. It's one of the most important positions on the defense and on the team overall outside of quarterback. Walter Nolan is still available. Jalen Walker is still available. These defensive linemen, and again, you lost DeMarcus Lawrence, so getting another pass rusher. Pair him up with Micah Parsons. I think this greatly improves your defense, which has plenty of holes, despite having so many talented players on it, which is ironic, I find.
Well, the issue with the Cowboys is never the talent of the players. The issue is Jerry Jones. This team is so poorly managed, and frankly, most of the guys that end up in Dallas, they don't care about winning anymore. At this point, they care about the money, which is what they're going to get from the Cowboys. That's what
You
they're gonna
Eagles
get.
fan here.
No,
Nick,
no.
Nick, give us
The
the
Cowboys are hated by America.
Give us the pick, Nick Cohen.
The pick has been announced, and it is Tyler Booker, offensive guard from Alabama. The Cowboys built the Great Wall of Tylers.
We've been talking about this for so long.
Tyler Smith, Tyler Booker. They used to have Tyler Biadasz. Bro.
We were
what are
talking
they
about
doing?
Colston Loveland as a reach. PFF has him rated as their 48th player on their big board. I
So
personally
are
had him
you
nowhere
happy with that,
close
Eagles
to-
fans?
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't care. I could not care less about who the Cowboys draft, especially if it's not in my mock draft. You're drafting way too low.
Yeah. Layla, what are our thoughts about drafting an offensive guard?
Same as Kathleen. I try not to think about the Cowboys, so.
Except for when they lose.
Except when, obviously.
Love
And
that.
I must mention, in addition to the Great Wall of Tylers, also Tyler Guyton, pick from last year. Ty, what's your thoughts on this?
I am shocked right now, like out of my wits, out of my core, okay? Months ago, I'm sitting in Nick Cohen's living room, we're mock drafting, and Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft 2.0 comes out. And in it, he said Tyler Booker was going to be a first-round pick, and I can vividly remember, like it was yesterday, looking over at Nick Cohen and saying, just get a load of this guy. Okay, what does this guy know? Little do we know, he was right on the money 2 months ago. Tyler Booker, I mean, it makes sense. I get why. The offensive line will thank everybody else, but it's just weird. I really thought it was going to be Matthew Golden. Boys,
Yeah,
I did.
I did as well. Now, I want to send it to another Tyler. Guys, the Dolphins are on the clock. Our team, I know, I'm so ready to just be disappointed. We could tell you what they need, but I'm going to respect Tyler's role in telling us what the Dolphins need. And what were your thoughts on the Great Wall of Tylers?
Oh man, now I feel
Dallas?
worse about stealing your flow here with the pick.
Hey, no, you are chilling. Tyler, take it away.
You love to see so many Tylers in one place in the NFL. You wish it wasn't Dallas, but oh well. But to move on to your Miami Dolphins, Andrew and Nick, it's again another one of those odd spots here, especially at this pick.
We need so much.
A great defense, top 5, 4th in the league. Offense, middle of the road. All right, Tyreek Hill has just been not working out, especially this last year. Offensive line, a big name. Teron Armstead, retired. He was your blindside tackle to Tua, and now he is gone. That is a big hole. You have to go and look at Phil. You also lost Kendall Fuller, and it's looking like Jalen Ramsey is going to be gone soon. So now your cornerback room is just who exactly? I also have defensive line. That could be really just anyone. You are getting back Bradley Chubb, and I'm blanking on the guy from University of Miami. I'm blanking on his name right now. He's a great player.
Jalen Phillips?
Yes, Jalen Phillips. Thank you. But again, I think you can look at the O-lineman here, but Tyler Booker just went, and tackles, Banks is gone, Membu is gone. So they're in a really weird spot where there's no one really worth this pick outside of maybe D-line. But again, you're getting guys who are injured back. Maybe this could be the first spot where Will Johnson goes, though I've seen a lot of people have him like plummet, especially recently. So again, this is really weird. There's no like clear-cut answer at this point with how the draft has fallen.
Yeah, Tyler, you give us this graphic here that says the Dolphins had the 4th best defense by yardage, but any Dolphins fan who watches their games knows that the Dolphins didn't have the 4th overall best defense in the league last year. We were terrible at spots. It felt like maybe they weren't getting yards because they winded up so close to the end zone so constantly that they didn't need all that many yards, but the Dolphins definitely needed it to retool their defense. We lose Jalen Ramsey over the offseason. You lose Javon Holland, a key corner like that, the safety and cornerback duo that we all kind of knew and loved in Miami for the last season and a half here. And then you just need somebody on that back end. I obviously want to protect Tua Tagovailoa. I think he needs to stop taking hits if he wants to be an NFL quarterback for much longer. And we lost offensive linemen this offseason. So we definitely need to address a lot of different issues. But defensively, I think that we're only going to get worse because of the subtractions that we made this past year. So I'd like to see a guy like Jahdae Barron or Will Johnson here.
Yeah, and the Dolphins are still on the clock. They're actually taking their time with this pick, and I think that's because some players that we didn't expect to be here are here. Now, to weigh in on this pick is fellow Dolphins fan. He has great taste. Jordan Evans, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great, y'all. I'm really hoping that, we can get a good defensive back here, secure our defensive side of the ball, and just, just shore up our aerial defense. We really need that.
Yeah, and Jordan, when you look up at the big board,
pick is officially in.
Oh, no.
Ty, who do we need? Big board, who's best available? Hasn't been announced yet.
Who's best available? Malachi Starks, Will Johnson, Nick Emenwari, our big 3. Sitting behind is Jahdae Barron. Now, the one thing we don't want as a Bucs fan, as a Tampa Bay guy, no Malachi Starks, no Will Johnson. Happy camper.
I mean, I'm fine with Emenwari too.
That would be
if you guys give me Emenwari.
I love Nick Emenwari. Ty and I both love him. He's great. I don't love the fit on our defense. I don't know if you would agree with that.
Kind
of a little bit clunky.
I haven't been high on Nick Emenwari to the Dolphins ever.
So Jahdae Barron's here. Will Johnson's here. Okay, sleeper pick. I would love Jalen Walker here. We could use both the linebacker help and the edge help. Did you shake your head? Did I see that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
boy.
I'm not a big Jalen Walker guy. At least not to the Dolphins. I don't think the fit is exactly right, and obviously we need help in a lot of different places. But I'm not. You guys have always been higher on Jalen Walker. I mean, you had him all the way at 8, and you guys self-proclaimed yourselves as geniuses. Oh, he's going to the Panthers. He's going to the Panthers. Well, he's still available at 14.
Well,
now
no one claims the Panthers were geniuses.
So was Tyler Warren tried to put Jalen Walker with literally everyone.
I did.
Like 8 different teams Nick Cohen tried to put.
I will own up to that. Tyler, should it be Jahdae Barron? Should it be Will Johnson, Malik Starks, or
Nick Emenwari?
No,
or Nick Emenwari,
or
Walter Nolan, or Jalen Walker.
Jalen Walker.
There's so many players it could be. I'm pretty sure though defense, right?
Definitely, this is going to be defense. I think. Walter Nolan, I think if it has to be a D-line, makes the most sense. He is an interior guy. Though if I had to go defensive back, I love Malachi Starks. He was the second best safety in all of college football outside of Caleb Downs, but we won't see him obviously till next year. Malachi Starks is an outstanding safety, and I think can really help replace Javon Holland and give whoever new younger cornerbacks they're probably going to get later in this draft be that nice safety blanket for them.
Okay.
Because Will
Tyler,
Johnson,
I don't mean to cut you off.
Here.
But I'm in a bad mood. The Dolphins pick has been announced. It's Kenneth Grant. The
D lineman? My goodness.
Nose tackle
I mean,
out of Michigan.
Another Michigan guy.
I mean,
Jim Harbaugh's Michigan guys are really good though. They've been outstanding. And Kenneth Grant is. I thought I had him going way lower to like the Vikings. Honest to God.
Exactly.
I actually had him going to the Vikings as well.
I don't think this is like the end. Okay, this
is 2 years in a row. Every draft show that I have been a host, I have been disappointed. They took Chop Robinson last year, who actually ended up being pretty good, and now they took Kenneth Grant. This is not our biggest need. Walter Nolan was right there. We don't need nose tackle.
I don't even want to hear about you and your Walter Nolan
It really
talk.
should have been a cornerback or just any defensive back.
Look, Will Johnson and Malachi Starks live to see another day.
Okay.
When Tampa Bay Bucks fan, read the little.
I think Will Johnson will be waiting a while.
When Josh Allen has 500 passing yards against us, this is going to be the issue. Sure, Zach Sealer has a good season, and sure, we have some gaps on the defensive line, but we don't have a cornerback, and we barely have safeties. What are we doing?
Do you understand that we have a corner starting for us named Storm Duck? That is not a joke. That's so much worse than DJ Glaze. Storm Duck as our cornerback 1, if we trade Jalen Ramsey, is atrocious.
Bro,
unacceptable.
I'm getting as emotional as when Tyler left bets, bro. This is
so bad.
This is so sad, bro.
Andrew Greig is crying on air over Kenneth Grant.
I might. Jordan, what's your thoughts?
Look, it's okay.
At least it's a defensive pick.
Our defense was better than our offense last year.
Look, we got something that we needed to shore up on our defense. Even though we still have Zach Sealer, we lost Christian Wilkins, who was an absolute stud for us 2 seasons ago. But I really
Jordan, tell me 2 facts about Kenneth Grant right now.
I don't even know.
He is large.
All I wanted was a defensive pick. I got it. I wanted it to be in the secondary, but hey, at least it's defense.
Yes, but he's not even going to start. Okay, we have a guy named Matt Dickerson starting on the defensive line at left defensive end. He's not going to start there because Kenneth Grant is a nose tackle. Starting at nose tackle is Benito Jones. He's okay. Walter Nolan could have started.
That's an elite reference. You wouldn't get that. Benito Fish. Only real ones now.
Okay,
Kenneth Grant is a 335-pound nose tackle, Nick Cohen. If you replace Benito Jones with him, that's an upgrade in my opinion. Now,
just not the upgrade.
Was it the right pick? No, but it's fine.
I know that Andrew and I could rant about this for maybe the next hour, but we don't have any time for that because the Colts pick is in. It hasn't been announced yet. So Tyler, what do the Colts need? I think we all know where they're going to go though.
Right.
The Colts they're kind of middle of the pack team. Obviously, they finished 8-9 if we look at the board here. A middle-of-the-pack offense, 13. I mean, slightly above average. One of the worst defenses in the league, though, in terms of yards per game, 29th. Though tight end is their biggest need. They still have Mo Alley Cox, who is a guy, I guess. But Tyler Warren, he's here. It makes sense. He's the best player available on Ty's board. I'd say he's the best player available. Tyler Warren he's a good safety blanket for AR. So I think Tyler Warren could be the guy here.
Yeah, and I think you're 100% right, unless they decide to blow things up. Andrew.
Wait, I figured out why the Dolphins drafted him.
We can't spend too long.
We needed a Calais Campbell replacement. It's all good, guys. Don't worry. And if this guy turns out to be great, I don't want to be on air just actively. Yes, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I just didn't want to be actively trashing him because I low-key did that with a lot of these different Dolphins
picks.
Last year. Jalen Phillips wasn't a big fan of his when he first got drafted, and even watching him out of UM. So I mean, hey, you know what? I actually love this Dolphins pick.
Now,
thank you guys so much.
At Hitting the Field, we only have one Colts fan, and that would be Diego Ortiz. He joins us for this pick. I assume you are hoping for Tyler Warren, right?
Oh, yeah, and I just saw we got him. Oh,
Tyler
my
Warren's
goodness.
officially a Colt.
Oh,
How do
my
you
goodness.
feel, Diego?
Dude, literally, you talk about, you think back to Chris Ballard's post-season press conference. We talk about we need a guy who can really control the middle of the field. None of the receivers that we have really have that. All right, I mean, we had Josh Downs, sure, a good slot guy. Pittman, kind of a deep threat. Same thing with Alec Pierce. He led the league in yards per reception.
Yeah.
Getting a guy like Tyler Warren is huge for your offense. Huge. I mean, you get somebody who controls the middle of the field, gets open on those intermediate routes, right? Obviously, we know Anthony Richardson needs to work on those intermediate throws. Daniel Jones is also on the Colts.
Indiana Jones.
So, yeah, sure. So this is just a huge win for the Colts. I am amped up.
I am so happy for you as my bets co-host here. Now you guys have a tight end and you have no quarterback. Shout out.
Hey,
Go
man.
Colts, baby.
Who's going to throw to Tyler? Who's going to do it?
Well, we'll
Tyler was just going to have
stick
to run it himself in the
you know,
Wildcat.
yeah, exactly. It might not matter because his pro comp is Jeremy Shockey, which is insane.
Yeah.
Now, Ty, how good do we think Tyler Warren will be on the Colts?
I think Tyler Warren is going to be phenomenal. And the main reason being, we've thought for quite some time, hey, they're going to be sticking at 14. Maybe they trade up, but they're trading up to settle for Colston Loveland.
Exactly.
Okay, they're trading up to get a guy they don't even really need at that point. Nobody, and I mean nobody, thought Tyler Warren was going to be sitting here. And this is a guy that is a little bit undersized height-wise, but he makes up for it in the fact that he is a Taysom Hill that plays like a Jeremy Shockey. He will run out of a Wildcat, okay? He can high point a ball. His vertical is ridiculous. But more than that, he can run stride for stride with most corners in college football, which is unheard of. Imagine him doing this to the rest of the DB course in the AFC South. This is going to be a different animal.
I mean, when you think about it too, like in the past drafts for like a number of years, like the Jaguars get all these crazy prospects. The Titans now, they just got Cam Ward. The Jags again this year, getting a guy like Travis Hunter. Like you've kind of been waiting for the Colts to get a crazy, just like elite prospect like this, and I feel like the Colts finally hit on one. I mean, we know last year Latu, the first defensive player taken off the board, but he hasn't really panned out yet. You kind of wonder what he's going to do. Adonai Mitchell also hasn't really panned out yet either. If the Colts can finally have an elite draft class this year, they get an elite first rounder. Who knows, dude? Maybe they're back. Maybe they're back.
Maybe they got something cooking.
Yeah, for sure.
They could be, but you know who else might be cooking? The Falcons, who are now on the clock. Tyler, I want you to tell me who the Falcons need now. And we all know one position that they need and refuse to take. What is that position?
Every year.
For like the 10 billionth year in a row, the Atlanta Falcons need a defensive lineman. But I don't think this. I do think this is the year they do it. They have no more excuses. They lost Grady Jarrett in their interior, right? We look at this. A great offense overall in terms of yardage, 6. Michael Penix is now your guy. You have all these offensive pieces. It has to be defense now. There's no other position on your offense you can draft. All right, defensive lineman. You could get wide receiver, I guess, to pair up with Drake London, but don't. It's not worth this pick at this point. You have your pick of the litter. You have Jalen Walker. Or you have Walter Nolan. You have Derek Harmon out of Oregon. Any of them. Just take one of them. It doesn't matter. You can take an insane reach. Who cares? Just pick a defensive lineman, please, for the sake of your fans. They need this.
They're sad. They're very sad.
Now,
they're so sad.
I think
Such a tragedy.
that the Falcons, if they were to pick an edge, I think it would be Mike Green.
Yeah, I actually have the same thing because what organization is dumb enough to get a guy from Marshall that hasn't been tested other than the Falcons?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Whoa.
Now,
Whoa.
Hey, Marshall has
was
a great
uncalled
Hall of
for.
Fame rate.
Where does Marshall play every year?
The Oviedo culture of Oviedo School of Agriculture and Farming.
That's my bad. They're basically like a top 5 SEC school. That was my bad.
well, speaking of SEC schools, number 1 on Ty's big board is Jalen Walker. Ty, who else is on that big board for the Falcons here? I know you're not a Falcons fan.
Yeah, it's not going to be Jalen Walker. Okay. I know
You
the
like him too
Falcons
much.
organization like the back of my hand. It's going to be either a non-power 4 edge rusher or Matthew Golden. Okay, it's going to be one of the two. Behind Jalen Walker up there on this big board, we have Malachi Starks. Okay, as we know, him, Will Johnson, Nick Emenwari, the big three DBs outside of Travis Hunter still left on the board. Josh Simmons, who we've already seen, James Pierce Jr., who snuck in just a little bit ago, Walter Nolan. Nothing's changed outside of these top 7, crazy enough. The only addition we've had is Matthew Golden, the speedy guy who ran the 4.29. Everyone thought that player was going to be the Isaiah Bond, the quick Texas receiver, talking all the smack about how he's going to run the fastest 40 time in history. Little did he know, he ran a bum time, and his receiver opposite him, Matthew Golden, decided to run the 4.29. I don't think there's very much that can happen here. I mean, if I'm going to throw any hat in the ring, Shamar Stewart, okay, 290 pounds, 4.5, 240 time. Yeah. Defensive end, don't really need much of an edge, but more defensive end in Atlanta. I think that's really the only pick you could go with, unless you want to be a bum like Atlanta is, and take Mike Green and a non-power 4.
Now, Diego, I want to ask you, Because we're now under 2 minutes and the Falcons still are on the clock. Could they be looking at a potential trade? You know, we see guys like Will Johnson and Jalen Walker, and you have Malachi Starks, who I think will keep falling, but whatever, still available. Could they trade, Diego?
I think if you're the Falcons, yeah, sure, you could trade back. Me personally, if I was their front office, I wouldn't think so. I would try to get the best edge rusher possible. Obviously, we just talked about Jalen Walker. I think they need somebody that can really take over the game defensively, like a Jalen Walker can. And I mean, also too, like, I mean, when is it going to be time for the Falcons to finally make a splash move? I think they're missing something on their team. I feel like every year we kind of think about them as kind of this team that kind of needs a little bit of everything. And the Falcons, if I'm them, I just take the best edge rusher possible and really, I mean, just finally just go after it. I mean, yeah.
Breaking news, Diego Ortiz thinks that drafting an edge rusher is more important than drafting a quarterback, bro. Splash move, what are we talking about? They drafted a quarterback with their first-round pick last year.
Hey, and maybe
I'm joking. I'm joshing you, Diego. They definitely need a defensive lineman.
At the time, it wasn't the right move.
Yeah,
so
most definitely.
He looks good now.
Most definitely. We are now under 40.
Sorry.
We're now at about 30 seconds, and the pick is not in yet. Tyler,
what happens?
Are they going to trade?
Wait, Nick Cohen, what happens if, like, the time
I hope they don't trade.
I
yearn for them to miss their pick. Oh my God, do I want them to miss their pick as a Vikings fan? The Vikings did this 2 years in a row. I would give anything for them to miss their pick so they don't talk about us like that anymore. Every draft year is like, oh, you know a draft fun fact? The Vikings missed their pick 2 years in a row.
To be fully transparent, I didn't even know you could just miss your pick. I thought they would be like blowing up your phone.
What happens is that they have to, like, at any point now they can turn in their card, but all the teams that can still pick ahead of them, you know? So
yeah,
that's what happened last time.
That's very, very interesting. So now the pick is officially in, as you see on your screen.
Luther Burden.
God, maybe
you think it's Luther Burden?
It's going to be somebody like that.
I think it could be. Matthew Golden is there, and I don't think that would really be a bad pick.
There's not a big difference. Like, obviously there's a differential between Luther Burden and Matthew Golden.
But the pick is now in, and it is Jalen Walker, number 1 on Ty Patton's big board, linebacker and edge rusher. They finally do it. Oh my! Now
Atlanta fans can finally sleep.
They can.
Now
prayers have been answered.
Why are you shaking your head?
I'm a Bucs fan. I like Jalen Walker a lot.
Well,
I mean, you know what the biggest problem here is? What upsets me so incredibly much is I'm looking at a defensive core that has Arnold Ebiketie, okay, that had just made a move, and I don't know why I'm blanking on the opposite edge rusher's name. I can't remember. Somebody, anyways, and then a defensive end core that is buns, and you look at the defensive end core and you say they need to get somebody down there. Let's get them a big hefty piece, I should say, that can play down at the defensive end slot. They don't do that. Okay, they don't get anybody that can play down there. They get Jalen Walker, who's going to line up as the edge, who's going to line up as a strong safety, who's going to line up as a nickelback, who can play pretty much anywhere on the field. Do I like it for the new head coach regime and all that in there? Sure, Raheem Morris will make something happen with it, but do I like it as a Bucs fan? No. I think Jalen Walker is an absolute dog. It pains me to see him go to Atlanta.
And you look at their offense or defense. Now you got Bates up top, AJ Terrell in the corner.
Yeah.
Now you got Walker on the edge. I mean, still don't really have an elite linebacker, but I mean, it looks better than what it was. I mean, yesterday. So if I'm a Falcons fan, I'm happy.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, their receiving core does consist of Drake London and some other bums. So are they going to be regretting this, or are they going to be comfortable taking receiver maybe round 2 or 3, Kathleen?
I mean, they definitely could still take a receiver in the second round. I think there are going to be plenty of decent prospects left, but they also could make a trade.
They could?
They could trade for another pick in the first round and still end up with Matthew Golden or Luther Burden.
Well, and Andrew, Amari Cooper is also still a free agent. Could they potentially just look for the free agent market?
Yeah, no, I don't think so personally. Okay. I think that everyone kind of acknowledges the fact that Amari Cooper is probably past his prime, and if anyone was
he wasn't bad though with the Browns.
He wasn't great though.
I mean, he didn't look bad on the Browns because the Browns look so bad overall.
That's valid. Now, with
also Jerry Jeudy got a lot of the attention there, but yeah,
that's also true. Now, with under 7 minutes left for the Cardinals that are now on the clock, Tyler, I would like you to tell us who the Cardinals need, and I know firsthand that it is a lot. I'm a secondary Cardinals fan.
Yeah, the Cardinals have a lot of need, especially in the trenches. Obviously, this is being a reoccurring theme with every team. You're gonna be hearing, oh, they should take defensive linemen or offensive line for quite a while here. Still, we look at the Cardinals, slightly above average offense, honestly, 11th overall. Their defense pretty lackluster though. You lost Josh Sweat. That was a pretty big loss. Baron Browning as well. Both pass rushers by nature. So defensive line obviously is a big need. Offensive line as well. Kyler Murray does constantly get injured, it feels like, every year. So you want to protect him as best you can. Though Jalen Walker just went. We could start to see these D linemen start to fly off the board one by one. And this is usually what happens in the draft. Once a position starts going, all the teams that even need it a little bit start to just take them left and right, even if it's a reach. Walter Nolan, totally fine pick. Darren Harmon, totally fine pick. Anyone on the D-line, again, I would not be upset at it.
Okay.
Well, you have to remember also, Kyler Murray is extremely undersized. This guy's going to be injury prone basically no matter how good your offensive line is, literally regardless. So I think that going defense here is the right move for them.
Yeah, patching up a secondary that obviously hasn't been like that great as of recent would be like, I think the move here, especially because none of the cornerbacks have gone. Like you maybe thought Will Johnson was going to go a little bit earlier. I wanted Jahdae Barron to the Dolphins personally, so it just makes sense to maybe patch up their secondary with every single person who would be currently available.
I
for
like
the
Will Johnson a lot.
Yeah, I mean he came in
I've
as
done
like,
it before.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's in my final mock draft.
Is it?
Will Johnson going to the Cardinals.
And speaking of those final mock drafts, I mean,
I do as well. Yeah.
Okay.
I had Barron personally out of Texas.
I had
Will Johnson
Barron.
has dealt with injuries
I don't
this
hate
past
that
season. He
either.
missed 7 games.
I had Barron to the Dolphins, I believe, and
I did.
my mock draft is just ruined. Ty,
32
how are you
for
doing? But
32.
first, before that, Ben, we welcome Ben Huber for the first time in this mock draft. Dolphins fan did unfortunately just miss the Dolphins pick. I hope you're doing okay from that. But the Cardinals, how are you doing?
Yeah, I was watching that Dolphins pick. It made me pretty angry, but I'm I gotta get my spirits up. Hopefully the Cardinals go and do something exciting. Maybe I can live vicariously through them. Maybe they pick up Will Johnson. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah, if I had to put a final guess, I would say this is going to be Will Johnson. Tyler, what would you say for the Cardinals?
I think Will Johnson, I understand the appeal. He was a great cornerback in Michigan. You look at that year they won the national championship. He was the best corner in college football, period. However, he was injured a lot this year, missed 7 games. That's a big hit to his stock. Teams are going to be kind of nervous and scared about that. We see this with talented players who get injuries. They fall. It happens. And again, Derek Harmon, I wouldn't hate it here out of Oregon. That defensive tackle, just addressing, again, the D-line. Now, obviously, your secondary does have a lot of holes. So I understand how people would want, we want Jahdae Barron or we want Will Johnson, Cardinals fans. I understand, but Barron is he's a slot guy, not a true, outside corner. And Will Johnson, again, those injuries are concerning. And he had a very down year last year with Michigan this past season. It was not the same from their title run.
Yeah, and the pick is in for the Cardinals. Before it gets announced, Ty, who is at the beginning, at the top of your big board? Now, if I know I said Will Johnson would be my pick, another pick I want to acknowledge would be Josh Simmons, offensive lineman out of Ohio State. This would be the 3rd year in a row they've gone Ohio State in the first round. They took Paris Johnson 2 years ago, Marvin Harrison last year. Paris Johnson they were all teammates at Ohio State 3 years ago, with Josh Simmons being a longtime Buckeye. I want to at least acknowledge that pick, and I know he's on your big board, Ty. What's it looking like?
So, okay, starting things off, you mentioned Will Johnson. Okay, Will Johnson was the one guy everybody thought was going to wind up in Arizona. Okay, Jahdae Barron, great pick, not the right pick. Will Johnson, everybody believes is the guy they should go for. I like the Josh Simmons mention because Arizona is Philly to Georgia, but
the pick is being
Arizona to
announced.
Ohio State.
For the record, the pick is being announced as Walter Nolan to the Cardinals. I think this is a home run pick. I do.
This is a great pick. They missed out on Milton Williams in free agency, and now they get Walter Nolan.
Yeah, Walter Nolan to pair with Darius Robinson, one of my draft crushes from last year, who's buried on the depth chart for no apparent reason. What's that face for?
I mean, I made the face too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about 300 plus pounds guys that can rush the passer.
I'm actually more making the face about
Your draft
crush.
crushes, bro. All right,
he was on there.
I understand.
He was on there. I'm going to defend that.
Okay,
it's
just the terminology.
yeah,
I think
I
is
would
what
say
we're
it's
batting.
just
Whatever.
the phrase.
Whatever.
But-
Okay.
Semantics.
Whatever. Ben, what do we think about the Walter Nolan pick?
Yeah, I mean, this guy's an absolute beast. I think it's a can't miss pick here. I really like it. I really don't think you can go wrong with it. They needed defense. I think adding a guy that can really get after the quarterback, stop the run, stuff like that, that will really help him.
And Ty, do we have any thoughts on Walter Nolan to the Cardinals?
Not many. Realistically, this is one of the best fits they could have gotten. We didn't get to get all the way down the big board, but I do really, really like the fit. I don't have very many notes. I like this through and through.
Yeah, I think they really, really did need help on the defensive line, and now they got it. So
100%.
I think we should move on to the Bengals with the next pick, though. The Bengals, as you mentioned earlier, all offense, no defense, and yet they still could use offensive linemen. But I'll let Tyler tell us about those team needs.
Yes, the Bengals, one of the high-flying offenses, and they put a lot of money into that offense, keeping T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and obviously Joe Burrow is one of the highest-paid quarterbacks. But if we look at here, the defense is bad, horrific, 25th overall in yards per game, a top 10 offense, but they can't score 50 points every game. It's just not sustainable. Again, defensive line. Offensive line would also make sense here. I originally had Tyler Booker going here. You want to try and protect Joe Burrow. He has dealt with injuries in the past. Linebackers another thing. You lost Sam Hubbard to retirement, and Alex Kappa also is gone. Trey Hendrickson is still, I think that's a bit of a question mark still. But obviously anyone on the defensive line, again, still could be a very good pick here. Offensive line, guys aren't really available here. Maybe Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. I see him go really high on people's big boards. I'm sort of at a loss for this pick, if I'm being honest.
And I think that's sort of fair because the Bengals, they need so much. As we've mentioned, they need so much. They could use safety. They could use offensive linemen. They could use defensive linemen. I'm pretty sure multiple people here. Okay, I'll let you get to that. I'm pretty sure multiple people here had the Bengals maybe taking Kenneth Grant, right? I had done it multiple times.
No.
They also could take Mike Green. Okay, you guys disagree. What's your big gripe with linebacker and the Bengals?
I have
and the pick is in.
Okay, thank you. I have John Campbell going here.
Oh, you looked at my mock drafts beforehand.
I think Jahad Campbell is actually a really solid pick here for the Bengals.
I really like Jahad Campbell here. I think he was a great linebacker at Alabama, and obviously all these guys that are coming out of Bama are doing great things. And the Bengals really need
not all of them. Sorry.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much.
Alex thought there would exist.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, farther down. But yes, keep going.
You know
Sorry.
what? No, you can talk, Andrew. No. You have so much to say about what I have to say.
No, I mean, yeah, sure. I'd love to interject. I could definitely see it happening. I had Jahad Campbell as one of the guys, or the guy that the Bengals are selecting. Obviously, they need a lot of help on their defensive line and just everywhere defensively, really. And then offensively, they have a great offense, but that offensive line has been a problem for years on end. So there's still guys available on both ends of that spectrum. You have guys like Jahdae Barron possibly at corner. You have guys like Mike Green who's still available. I know maybe not Kathleen's favorite person, but yeah, you have you have a lot of guys. Josh Simmons is still available on the offensive line, so they could go literally anywhere.
I think linebacker is a good place to start too when you're trying to build up your defense. So
they could have really used a guy like Jalen Walker. Now, Ty, I know you are a big proprietor of Mike Green to the Bengals. Why is that?
Just for clarification, Jalen Walker is your draft crush this year?
Yeah,
just making sure.
Clearly.
I think that's
far and away.
that's
Malachi Starks, Nick Emenwari, Jalen Walker, those are the boys. But Mike Green to Cincinnati makes sense for a handful of reasons. Okay, number one, and the biggest reason, is Trey Hendrickson is likely out before the season starts. There's been talk of this every single year. It's kind of wrong, but this feels like the year it kind of would happen. You know, this feels like the year Trey Hendrickson finally
Ty Paton, I'm going to cut you off. It is Edge. It is not Mike Green.
Donovan
it is
Ezraku.
Shamar Stewart.
Yes. My boy!
Shamar Stewart goes
I like this
to
pick too.
the
These A&M
Bengals.
guys, him and Scorton, they're kind of beasts.
They are. Those Aggies edges this year. That was weird.
What about Texas A&M?
Whatever.
I love it.
Oh.
I like that one.
A&M. Okay, I like that. Now, I mean, Shamar Stewart, he went viral at the Combine for running a good 40 time, and he's a very large edge rusher, and I think he would pair pretty well with Trey Hendrickson. So, maybe he sticks around.
And I also think he'd be a good replacement for Trey Hendrickson if he ends up being gone, He didn't have a lot of numbers on the stat sheet at A&M, only 11 tackles for loss and 4.5 sacks in his career there. Pretty not great, right? But you watch him play, you see this explosion. He's very off the line. He's good with his hands. He has a plan when he's rushing the quarterback, right? The talent is undeniable. The production will come, all right? You don't have to look at his sacks and be like, oh, he didn't produce at college, he's not going to produce at the NFL. No. If a guy has talent, the numbers will come with time in the NFL, all right? So don't be scared by his low production, Bengals fan.
Okay. Not that we really have any at hitting the field, except for Jack Kelly, who could not come on for that pick. Shout out to Jack. New producer of Nighttime, by the way, right?
Yeah,
Figured
very
that's maybe a good time to announce that. Ben, thank you for everything. We will see you later in that for another pick. But now on the clock is the Seattle Seahawks. And, I mean, do we think Trey Hendrickson will stay around for the Bengals before we jump into the Seahawks?
Yes, yeah. I personally do.
Okay.
But I think
Andrew?
Definitely some question marks around that. I mean, I think he maybe sticks around for the rest of this season, but we'll see where that goes into the offseason.
Yeah. Also, the Seahawks are going to be a shell of what they were with Pete Carroll. A shell.
I mean,
they could. Now, we do welcome back Matthew Bracker. He is back, and it won't be the last time that we welcome him back. Now, how have you been? How has the draft been so far for you with some of these shockers?
I've been chilling. Like I said earlier, draft is Christmas time, and I feel like Santa came down my chimney. I love it, man. It's been fun. It's been fun. Close your mouth. Close your mouth. What's so funny, guys?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I mean, we got St. Nicholas sitting center desk over there.
Oh, okay. Now, Tyler, I have a question for you. Seahawks. What do the Seahawks need?
The Seahawks need quite a few things, obviously.
Where did this all go
They have their new
wrong?
quarterback, Sam Darnold, Vikings legend. And you look at their stats here, they're pretty middle of the pack. I know Kathleen said she doesn't believe him after Pete Carroll. Mike McDonald in his rookie year went 10-7 and won the division, all right? Now, obviously, the big losses. DK Metcalf traded to the Steelers. Tyler Lockett, Seattle legend, now gone and is a Titan and is in wide receiver washed hell, as they all do. All right? Edge, a very good pick here, I think. You have a lot of talented edge rusher guys. Offensive line as well. Wide receiver, though, this could be it. Emeka Egbuka, he was Jackson Smith and Jigba's teammate for a long time for there at Ohio State. This could be quite a good pairing. Give Sam Darnold another weapon to throw to. You obviously have Matthew Golden. They have quite a few options at receiver, quite a few options at defensive line. So it's going to be kind of interesting because, again, they were a very middle-of-the-road team in terms of their stats, both offensively and defensively. But Mike McDonald, he is such a great defensive coach. He came from Baltimore. They had one of the best defenses with him, and Seattle's defense improved extremely with him as their head coach. So I expect him to go defense, being this defensive-minded guy.
Yeah, I think that's a valid assessment. One thing you mentioned, I didn't even think about for some reason, Emeka Egbuka and JSN being teammates, because I was going to say, maybe Luther Burden, if we're talking receiver here, maybe even Matthew Golden, but having that team chemistry already would be pretty nice for the Seahawks.
Especially just with the loss of a lot of crucial guys to at least the culture in Seattle. I think that building up that culture in another way could be very beneficial.
Except for the fact that they lost DK Metcalf, which might be a culture raiser actually for the Seattle Seahawks.
That guy's a unit, though.
Yeah, he's definitely a unit. I think that Tyler gave a very accurate assessment with their needs on defense, but I think that this could also be a spot for offensive line. Obviously, we know Sam Darnold has seen ghosts in the past, and that offensive line wasn't very good. It's also the Jets, so take that with a grain of salt. But I think that maybe giving him an opportunity to thrive as a quarterback and putting him in the right situations, obviously. They have JSN and they have guys at receiver, but maybe just beefing up that offensive line here, just a spot for maybe Josh Simmons or Gray Zabel would also be, I wouldn't mind that either.
Well, and Josh Simmons happens to be on Ty Patton's big board right now. Who else is on that list? Who do we think the Seahawks might take as the pick is in, by the way?
So incredibly right now. Malachi Starks, Will Johnson, Nick Emanwari, the big three DBs that are not named Travis Hunter, are still 1, 2, and 3 on this big board. Okay, following up, Josh Simmons, James Pierce, both still on the board. And then Matthew Golden, who had snuck in the last time we updated you. And finally, sneaky good UNC running back Omarion Hampton is sitting at the number 7 slot. And finally, Jahdae Barron, the probably nickel cornerback out of the Texas Longhorns, rounds out the list. For the Seahawks, not much on here that kind of makes them feel any type of way. Okay,
Yeah.
Emeka Egbuka is going to be the pick if it is a receiver. If not, interior offensive line has been a huge point of contention with Christian Haynes, that UConn guy we mentioned 2 hours ago, being the only left guard they have under roster currently. It's a bit of a toss-up here between that interior offensive line selection or receiver, or even maybe something on defense. You know, D-tackle was a big proprietor. We thought maybe Kenneth Grant was a pick.
Yeah. I mean, look, if I'm picking here, I either want to protect Darnold or I want to give Darnold any advantage he can have, because this is the most important season of Darnold's career. Let's be honest. So I'm going to go Simmons because, like we said, we don't want him seeing ghosts out there. I want him standing upright and delivering it, because you still have Jackson, out there. DK is a huge loss, but nobody you're going to get here is going to replace him. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Now, the pick is officially in.
Who's it going to be?
Well, I'll hold off. I'm going to gatekeep. I'm just going to do it. Now, looking at that big board of yours, Ty, I don't think it's going to be Jahdae Barron here. It could be corner, but Jahdae Barron, like you said, likely a nickel corner. They already have that in Devon Witherspoon. And it has been officially announced, and I'm not going to gatekeep anymore. Gray Zabel to the Seahawks.
Ooh.
They get their left guard, or he's very versatile. He could play anywhere on the offensive line, right?
I like him.
And if anyone was wondering, this is the 3rd correct pick in my mock draft. So we're 3 for 18, which is a joke.
If anyone else is wondering, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first FCS football player to go in the top 20 since Trey Lance.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say Trey Lance.
From the same school?
Yeah.
SDS.
It's always some NDSU guys.
They actually might have been teammates, honestly.
NDSU always making these gems. Everyone knows it.
And Nick Cohen's just happy that it wasn't Emeka Egbuka because this guy hates him for some reason.
Yeah, Nick Cohen hates Emeka Egbuka.
Not his biggest fan.
Hey, a couple minutes he might be a Bronco, dude.
Hey, well, in my final mock draft, I had Emeka Egbuka to the Bills, so I could just hate him even more. That would be ideal.
See, this guy has hate in his heart.
Kathleen, you are the biggest hater I know.
Oh, Hunter, you are a bigger hater than me.
Right.
Oh, yeah, fight it out.
Yeah,
no,
literally, Matthew.
Because I think it's Bucks time. I think.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Okay.
Oh, God.
All right.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
God.
My jersey on
boy.
here. I am a part-time
It's the
Bucks
Tampa
fan.
Bay
My dad.
Buccaneers.
What do we got here?
I don't even think he'll
What do we got here?
The mic's gonna
Little
get old.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers flag, and right next to me is Matthew Bracker with
go.
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey.
Crazy.
You know what? I'm gonna
I
introduce the
didn't care
pick,
about him
and
anyway.
then
We can
I'm
just
not
talk
gonna
about
say
the
anything
Bucks,
else
dude.
because Ty
Oh
is
my
the biggest
goodness.
Bucks fan there is. Matthew and Tyler are both from Tampa. Matthew's a secondary Bucks fan. Tyler might be. I know he's a Vikings fan.
I like the Bucks. I'm a
Okay.
little bit of a homer. I can't lie.
Yeah.
I was
I-
there for Tampa Bay and all that.
I don't think any of us
You got it.
really
Thank you.
care about the Bucks, so
I
we're just
actually
gonna
really
keep
don't.
That's
quiet.
fair.
We're just gonna keep quiet. Tyler, tell us the team needs, and then Ty and Matthew, you guys can take it away.
All right, so if we look at the Bucks by the numbers, offensively, they were outstanding. 3rd best offense, just under 400 yards per game, but obviously you lost Liam Cohen, your offensive coordinator. Baker Mayfield has been a great quarterback. Shout out Oklahoma. Their defense, slightly below average, though they did win their division, though it's a pretty bad division. It's the NFC South, guys. We've seen it a bunch of times before. Edge, linebacker, and DB. Those are their top 3 needs, I would say. And I feel like a good pick here could be Jahad Campbell. Levante David is getting up there in years, all right? He could really mold Jahad Campbell. He's a great player to learn from. A future Hall of Famer, Levante David, honestly. So Jahad Campbell, and again, being a Bama guy, I think that is a good pick right here, honestly.
I think that's a fantastic pick. Ty, why not? Because I don't understand it.
Let me stop you right there, Tyler Brownrigg. Okay, Jahad Campbell might be the biggest bust in the draft. Okay, this guy sucks.
Really?
Oh,
this
wow.
guy
This
is
bold language
atrocious.
here from Ty
All right,
Batten.
the only reason he is even in this conversation is because he plays at Alabama and he gets good looks more often than not. Okay, Jahad Campbell, if you walk into this room, if that pick says Jahad Campbell, that is my 13th reason. You can write it down. Okay, no other. Oh my God, the pick is in. I don't even want to look.
That's crazy.
Up on our big board, though, I want to make it known. It should be, it needs to be Will Johnson. We're paying Jamel Dean $15 million a year to do nothing.
Really?
Will Johnson
corner doesn't
is
seem like
the
a
guy.
need that should be addressed right now.
What do you mean?
Especially
We have
with
no pass
19th
defense.
overall
We moved
pick.
our corner 3, Christian Isian. We bumped him from corner 3 to strong safety 2. Why? Don't ask. But our only 2 cornerbacks
So what if he's
are
not good
Zion
at it? What if you
McCollum
need a
and
Nick
Jamel
Emenwari
Dean.
or a Malachi Starks?
Emenwari has
I do
been
love Malachi
connected
Starks.
to the
I
Bucs
know.
for as long as I remember in this process. But
Yeah,
you do have Will
Emenwari's so
Johnson.
good.
I do agree with you. I
Yeah.
think Will Johnson has. I'm surprised he fell this far. Truthfully,
I actually,
Yeah.
as a non-Tampa Bay Buck fan and just looking out for all teams in the NFL except for the Bills, I think Jahdae Barron is the pick. He's so versatile. He could play at safety. He could play nickel. He could play
but he's
boundary.
He's
yes.
more of a nickel corner. I'm looking at him as a nickel corner. We just got Tyke Smith in the 3rd round, which, by the way,
Tyke
Jason
Smith
Lighton,
is a safety.
But he's playing nickelback for us.
There's an issue with that.
No, there's not. He's a dog. This guy doesn't watch tape. I just found this out. Nick Cohen doesn't watch tape.
I believe it.
Hey, you know what? though?
Wasn't your secondary an issue for a reason?
Yeah, because
Isn't that why we're drafting secondary, right?
No, but the safeties are good.
Maybe
The
it's
safeties are
because
good.
Tyke Smith was playing nickel corner.
No,
maybe there's a correlation. I think there has to be, and you just don't want to admit it. Jahdae Barron is the smartest pick, and we all know that.
Antoine Winfield Jr., they can never make me hate you, okay? Malachi Starks, though, does fit the bit of a Jason-like safety, okay? Kind of a shorter guy.
Yeah.
Shout out my
He's
cousin.
6'1". He's not that short.
But he's not that big. Look at Nick Emenwari, who's coming in at 6'3",
Nick Emenwari
6'4".
is Kyle Hamilton. You only get one of them every 3 years.
Actually, I wouldn't be upset with a Nick
God, is this
Emenwari
what it's
pick.
like,
No,
guys?
with my
I yell a
dog.
bunch,
Matt,
and it's
you know
just
what?
like-
Yeah.
I will actually, let's do this. Matthew Bracker, you know as well as I do who's going, whether that be from me talking about it all the time or your own research. I know you know ball. Who should, out of these big 3, the Bucs take, or is there a dark horse not in the DB room?
I mean, we've been talking about Emenwari for a while now, but like I said, I'm going to hold strong. I think if Johnson is here, I think we take it. I mean, Johnson is one of the best corners in the draft. I remember.
Oh my God, the pick is in.
You're gonna be so mad.
It's Emeka Egbuka.
No, it's not.
Emeka Egbuka.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Why?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not.
Oh my God.
No, it's not.
You got the only top wide receiver to not be wide receiver 1 on his own team. Shout
No,
out. Let's
it's
go
not.
Bucs,
Do
baby.
not tell me it's Emeka Egbuka. Is it really Emeka Egbuka?
Chris Godwin did get hurt, guys. All right.
doesn't mean
Chris
anything.
Godwin got hurt because Todd Bowles is a dunce, okay?
Oh my God.
Wow.
Go get another haircut, okay, bald man, and ship off. Nobody likes you.
He's a national
Don't tell me
champion.
this is.
He's a
it
dog.
was-
Oh,
Graphics on
my.
the screen. It's
Oh
official.
my.
Oh my God. This is.
Oh
insane.
my. We have to go to commercial. I just have one question
Emeka
while
Egbuka,
your thoughts
though.
are
Shout
not
out Camden
fully
Mowry.
with you, Ty. Where's he even going to slide in if all your guys are healthy? You love Jalen McMillan.
Apparently, defensive end, if I had to guess, okay? Jalen McMillan, Chris Godwin, Trey Palmer, Mike Evans. I can go on. We
Well,
have
not Trey
Raheem Jarrett. We have
McCain
enough
provide.
receivers. When do we need Jason Light?
And
I
with
trust
that,
the process.
and with that,
Get out of here.
Bro's so mad he's mentioning Trey Palmer, bro. It's over.
oh
It's over.
my. You know what? We're gonna head to commercial. Maybe Ty won't be any better when you get back. Just don't go anywhere.
I would like to talk about the University of Nevada, Las Vegas's hip hop titled Spit Yo Game. And you know what? They did. They came through and they spit that game.
Yes, they did.
The entire dance was just absolutely electric. It was the form changes, the stunts, the hype from the second they got on and hit that stomp and watch this, dude, the stomp, crazy from the jump,
That's exactly
jump.
what you want from hip-hop.
Nothing but energy, hype, and you see that and you're
Look at
like,
these
okay, I'm about to
costumes,
be
too.
sat, mouth open, jaw dropped.
For the Mets. Juan Soto,
At least
Pete Alonso.
win the NL East. You have to win the NL East.
Do you
At
think they're
least.
going to?
Yes. Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no,
Justice?
that's not happening. What? What are we talking about here? Okay, I can give you the Phillies. Oh, the Braves, not a chance.
Braves.
You lost Max Fried. You lost your best pitcher. Who else did you lose? You lost your catcher.
Yeah.
And you lost AJ Minter, your best bullpen arm, who went to the Mets.
So
I
you're
think
fine.
we're in a great spot. I don't know why he doesn't think so, but actually I do know why. And division rival. I can understand it.
So I'm excited to talk the Four Nation NHL.
I think
Okay.
Four Nation
HL?
Yeah.
As it's on his computer right now.
Camera said it action.
Don't expose
There you
them.
go.
Yeah, don't expose them.
It was awesome.
I love the Kachuk brothers. So
They're
and I know they started
Matthew
that.
Kachuk, I love you.
Oh man, it's hard because I go to the Trop. I buy my dad a ticket every summer. And go to the Trop. And we go get a every single game we went to, they've won. So I think they need to give me a season
So you
passes.
guys just have to go to
Yes, every
game.
single game.
I've never
forever,
been to the Trop. I almost want to go to the Trop now.
I parked
I
there
will
for
go
an
to the Trop
IndyCar
with you.
race.
All right, right here.
Now I don't know how
There
we're
we
gonna get there because parking's obviously gonna be a nightmare.
Yeah, a little bit.
But
Unless you're going to an IndyCar race. Awesome. Because then you could park there for an IndyCar race.
that's the only
that's
sport
what
though that you
Trop's
can
known
park there
for.
for. You can't even park there for baseball. It sounds like.
It's true.
Yeah. Frankie, you want to come to a Trop game with us?
Yep.
All right.
Girls
cool.
Got
We're
Game
on.
takes over the Trop.
Girls Got Game
Yo,
takes over
low-key.
the Trop.
That'd be fun.
We're gonna plan
Maybe they'll let us throw out the first pitch.
Thank you for sticking with us through our final commercial break of the draft. We have only about, 12 more picks left, and it's time for the Broncos. We still have Matthew Bracker here wearing his Broncos jersey. How maybe excited are you after how things have gone?
Listen, last draft show when they picked Bo Nix, I didn't know how to feel. I was very stoic in my reaction.
Ooh.
But hey, listen.
Big words.
Listen, here I am a year later wearing his jersey. Okay, so that just goes to show you anyone can pan out and anyone cannot pan out. So, if I'm the Broncos, I like best available here.
Okay.
And looking at the best available, we got some pretty great names. Starks Johnson, Evan Warren. Listen, Broncos have been building a great defense. I coming in, I was going to take best skill player, but why not just load out the defense? Get a Johnson or an Evan Warren. Evan Warren can line up in a bunch of spots, Ty. I know you're still upset, but you got to talk at some point, okay?
Oh, yeah. This is basically Matthew Bracker's big board for this pick. Now, Matthew, I did notice you forgot to mention one player that I think you're intentionally forgetting to mention.
Matthew Golden.
No. Possible, but running back. You guys need running back terribly bad.
Desperate.
Omarion Hampton is in Ty Patton's top 10 right now. How would we feel about Omarion Hampton? It's a possibility.
I mean, look, I wouldn't hate it, right? He's a great player, but the last time I picked a UNC running back, what?
Did not work.
Williams, and then look how that turned out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate it, I suppose. I think any pick can be a good pick here. Yeah, I don't know. But listen, this is my bold prediction. We go get R.J. Harvey tomorrow.
Ooh.
We go get R.J. Harvey tomorrow. Let's get a good guy on. We have these generational prospects out of Chiefs. I'm going to call him generational. Will Johnson, I think he's a little generational. He is a great defender, okay?
Okay.
And we get R.J. tomorrow.
The nighttime
all this RJ
RJ
talk, I'm gonna
Harvey
change your name to DJ
glazing
Glaze.
never ends. The
So-
nighttime glazing never ends, folks. Not even on draft show.
So Matthew's saying Will Johnson at corner, ideally. R.J. Harvey tomorrow. I think that sounds pretty great for Broncos fans personally. Tyler, tell me, what do the Broncos need?
I think the Broncos pick here should be offense. Their defense was a very strong. It was their best strong suit last season. All right, if we look at the board here, number 7 offense in the league, top 10, outstanding. Obviously, you had PS2, the reigning defensive player of the year. Running back, wide receiver, O-line, all offensive positions I have as their top 3 needs. Javonte Williams, it's a big loss. You're starting running back. Omarion Hampton, he's been a guy, though there are still other options that have been getting a little first-round hype. Travion Henderson out of Ohio State, though I think that pick personally would be a bit of a reach. And then if we're looking like best player available, obviously, we have this cornerback duo in Johnson and Barron. There are still defensive guys on the line, Derek Harmon, James Pierce out of Tennessee, right? Mike Green. So I think, though, that this pick should be offense. And wide receiver would not shock me at this point with the way the draft has fallen. There's still a lot of quality receivers on the board. Give Bo Nix another guy. Cortland Sutton, is he going to stay? I don't know. Maybe for at least another year. But getting another weapon, you can't hurt.
You might. Now, Kathleen, any thoughts on who the Broncos might take here?
I mean, personally, I think it's going to be Omarion Hampton, just because they are in desperate need of a running back, and I don't see them going defense here, especially considering like how good a year defensively the Broncos had it. They were not the top defense, obviously, but I mean, I know they were top 10.
I could see, with the way the draft has gone so far,
Broncos?
I could definitely see them going corner. I could see them maybe going with Jahdae Barron. Like, we've seen some reaches, and I think just Barron, while I do think Will Johnson is a better coverage corner, true corner,
100%.
Barron is so versatile
He is.
at defensive back. I could see that happen because, while they do have a great defense and a great secondary, we do still have Riley Moss and their nickel is, I can't remember who their nickel is, but that's why maybe Jahdae Barron would be a good pick here.
Oh, wow.
McMillan.
Jahdae Barron, you say? With the 20th overall pick in the NFL draft, the Denver Broncos select Jahdae Barron. Wow, what a call by Nick Cohen here.
Oh, my God. And I didn't even see that. Matthew,
guy knows ball.
I think that's a good pick. Ty, what do we think with that pick?
I don't hate this whatsoever. The Broncos fan is currently fixing up his Broncos mic so he can give us some Broncos talk. But in the meantime, Jahdae Barron will work well. Okay, we add this to that collection of Riley Moss. I don't know why I am blanking on the name of your star cornerback. PS2, Riley Moss, Jaquan McMillan, all the boys over there. Barron only adds to it, but I kind of would question the fact why they don't take the offensive skill position. I did think there was a need at 2. I did think there was a need at running back. Every mock I think I've done all year has been one of those 2 positions. And for neither of them to go, it's a little bit of a head scratcher, but I can't complain all too much.
I mean, yeah. If we're going to take corner, why not take Johnson or Emenwari? But, I mean, whatever. I think Bo Nix is going to succeed no matter who we pick.
You're a believer, ain't that right, Matthew Becker?
That's just bottom You got to believe,
What can you do?
Yeah, I mean, I personally also like the pick because although you guys were rated as one of the better just overall scoring defenses in the league, passing defense was the major issue, which is funny because you guys have Pat Surtain II, who is like the reigning defensive player of the year, as we mentioned earlier. But you guys were only, the Broncos, as you guys, were only the 19th best passing defense in the league, even with Patrick Surtain. So there are some holes to be fixed in that like area. And Jahdae Barron was one of, if not the best cornerback in the draft. So especially to get him at 20, I think you skip on a guy that it may be a position that is useful, but maybe not as big of a need. In running back, you can always fill that hole and get some decent production, even from guys that you might not think are star names. And you guys have the receivers, you have the quarterback. I think addressing the defense even more so and ramping it up even more makes a ton of sense here.
And Jahdae Barron, I actually had him going way earlier in my mock draft. So I'm glad that he's like found his home.
For the reaches that we've had today, I think this is one of the picks that probably should have gone earlier that
100%.
didn't. And now the Broncos have another great player.
Now they get lucky and they get a steal.
Well, and the good news for all Matthew Becker fans across hitting the field, we will be seeing him again, and we will let him give his Broncos take and reaction then. But for now, we do welcome Augie Aronson, Steelers fan, as the Steelers are on the clock. What? Real quick, first thought, what do we think the Steelers are going to take here, Augie?
Knowing my Steelers, unfortunately, it's not going to be the guy who the franchise fans want us to take, and it's not going to be Shador. We're probably going to take a defensive tackle.
Okay. Now, Tyler, what should the Steelers take?
I would say that quarterback is obviously a need here, right? They've had the constant rumors of Aaron Rodgers, of this will they, won't they, will he sign there? Probably not. He sucks anyway. But to go to the board, their offense, pretty abysmal. 23rd in the league. Defense, pretty all right. 12th overall. But, yeah, quarterback, running back, O-line. Anything offense here, obviously this is the spot for Shador that it seemed in more recent weeks as we've gotten closer that this is where he's going to end up going. I don't hate Shador here. He has great weapons to throw to in both DK Metcalf and George Pickens. And then, obviously, running back is a bit of a hole there. You lost Najee Harris. Jalen Warren's still there. Very solid player overall, but maybe not your true bell cow back. Omarion Hampton could be the pick here. We've seen the Steelers take running back in the past. So, again, I think this should be Shador. It makes too much sense. If it's any of the other quarterbacks, really, that would also just be, I think, insane.
Yeah, I would agree. And the pick is in. It hasn't been announced yet, but Okay. Uh-oh. Ty, what's so funny?
I know the pick, guys.
All I see is the Steelers decide to pass on Shedeur
I know the
Sanders
pick. I
to
know who
take
it is.
a certain defensive tackle out of a certain Big Ten school.
What did I say?
Hey,
Just reveal it at this point. I haven't received word. Who did they pick?
Probably Harmon.
Derek Harmon.
Probably
Hey,
Harmon. the
Derek
defense
Harmon,
top from
very
Oregon,
good
every
player.
single mock
Derek
draft.
Harmon.
Very good player.
Every
Okay.
single mock draft. What are we doing? We have Mason Rudolph as our best quarterback on our roster.
Well, and he's going to
Aaron
have to
Rodgers
remain
is
that way, I
grabbing us
guess.
by the balls and holding us hostage. What are we doing? Take the damn quarterback. Take the quarterback. He fell all the way to you. We didn't even have to move. Take him. Aaron Rodgers is literally.
Ballad crash out, my
What
friend.
are we? I know
Ballad
Cam Hayward
crash
is
out.
37, but what are we doing?
This makes me feel just a slight bit better about taking Emeka Egbuka. I hope that makes you.
That's
I hope
honestly
that-
not a bad pick.
What do you mean
It
it's not
is
a bad pick?
It's not a great
It's a bad pick.
It's not a great pick. But
It's
it's
a
not
bad
as bad as
pick.
this
Let's
pick.
not dance around it.
And
It's a bad
therefore,
pick.
Shedeur Sanders will fall out of the first round.
How
I don't
laughable.
think so.
How
I
fitting.
think somebody-
Hey,
Team
big
could
quick
still
round
straight
of
up for him,
applause for
honestly.
Kathleen
This
Moore,
could
who
still
called this
happen.
pick like 2 weeks ago. Hey, Kathleen Moore called Derek Harmon to the Steelers.
I did.
And low-key, I laughed at her.
So did every
You did,
single
yeah.
mock draft that knows Pittsburgh. But it's
I've
also,
done
it's
it.
A great, it's a, it, no, I'm not trying to take away from you, Kathleen. You
Okay,
did
let's
a
not
good pick.
diminish my
Everyone-
acknowledgement
We
here.
understand,
He's a very good
Augie.
player, Derek
It's
Harmon.
tough
I wouldn't
being
be
it.
like-
It's tough being it.
You didn't get a
Something's
bad
iffy.
player
Mediocrity.
here.
Yeah.
Y'all have it rough.
Yep.
Not like defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
Kick her off the show, bro. I'm tired of this.
Kathleen,
I'm
you want to play
tired of
quarterback
this
for us next year?
floating.
And
We're
to
going to need you to
think
play
we
quarterback
haven't
for us next year,
gotten to the
Kathleen. You want to
Eagles
play?
How much are you gonna pay me?
I'll give you the rookie
He's not in charge.
veteran
Omar
minimum
Khan is.
of $1
Go
million.
talk to
We'll
him.
give you the Russell
Yikes.
Wilson deal. Come play
Yikes.
quarterback for us, Kathleen.
Meh. Okay, so overall, we're upset about the Steelers pick. However, I'm not upset about it.
I'm not upset either.
Thought about
I'm kind
this
of
a few
okay
weeks
with
ago.
this.
Leads
so.
Like,
more to like a lot of
I
questions
see the
on
vision
what
kind of
happens with
long
the rest of this
term.
draft. I think that a lot of these players, like, you don't really, there's no real standouts at this point. There's a lot of players that like you like at the top of the big board but like don't love, and there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback at this point. So it just like leads to the questions: who's willing to trade out, who's willing to trade up, and who do we see going? Because I definitely don't think it's just going to be one quarterback in the first round. I think Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders finds their way into these last 11 picks.
I hope it's not Shedeur because I've been saying I want him to fall out of the first round 4 weeks.
Guys,
4 weeks.
Shedeur Sanders is going to the Eagles. Just
No,
lock that in.
no,
It could be big. Hey,
no.
the Super Bowl winning
Oh,
team,
no,
theoretically,
no,
you might
no,
only be a
no.
backup quarterback away. We'll see.
Also, a tweet from Ari Mirov just came out where the Steelers don't have a second-round pick this year. So it was either this or they had to trade up or they had to get Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, we'll see what they do. But they're either trading back into the first round, finding a quarterback, possibly if Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders slips up into the second round, possibly doing that as well. But this was their pick for the next 30-plus picks.
Well,
So,
I could
we'll
maybe
where it
see
goes.
Jalen Milroe falling in the third round. However, we're going to move on from Steelers because, you know what, all they did was improve their defense, and honestly, that's what we expected them to do. Before we jump into the team that is now on the pick in the Chargers, we welcome back Matthew Bracker to give his thoughts on Jahdae Barron to the Broncos finally.
Listen, guys, I have the mic now because I'm about to do stand-up on the joke of an organization that is the Chargers. Listen, Jahdae Barron, I like it. Jim Thorpe winner. I think he's going to pair well next to PS2, and Riley can be in the slot. I didn't really. I have my thoughts together when the pick was announced, but I don't hate it. I like it. Will Johnson, see you in a next life, buddy. I guess.
I think
we were never going to have you, and now we aren't.
I think you should be very happy with
Yeah,
it.
it's a
And
good
you know what? At the end of the day, it's not another UNC running back. And the hope for RJ Harvey on day 2 tomorrow.
Still alive.
You can still get him.
This Steelers pick all but confirms that that Aaron Rodgers is going to the Steelers. Like you'd have to say it now. Like
I don't know.
I mean, it definitely.
And also, Aaron
could.
Rodgers isn't good.
No, he's definitely not.
He's
He
washed.
should have retired 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I hate that guy.
I don't know.
God, do I hate him. I'm so sick of him.
That's very understandable.
Announce your retirement, dude.
Very understandable.
You have
Hey,
thoughts.
when he
Okay.
announces that he's going to be the backup Vikings quarterback in a week, we'll check in on you.
Legendary run. Legendary
We
run.
have
for the
JJ.
Panthers.
It's fine.
Okay. Well, whatever. We're going to move on to the Chargers, who are now on the clock. Now, Tyler, who do the Chargers need?
So I originally in my mock draft had the Chargers taking Colson Loveland, but he's been gone for a long time now. So if we go to the board, wide receiver, tight end, defensive line, those are the big three. And you still have guys like Matthew Golden, Luther Burden. So you could get those if you want to address offense, give Justin Herbert another weapon. Your defense was pretty good. Your offense was bad, all right? And you did lose franchise icon Joey Bosa and J.K. Dobbins. He also left, so running back is a bit of a hole there. But Joey Bosa, that is a loss in so many ways. You lose an icon of your franchise. You lose a very good pass rusher. And obviously, he's not in the form he once was, but he was still quality. He could get you double-digit sacks, right? So defensive line could be a pick here. James Pierce out of Tennessee strikes to mind. He's the top guy there right now, though he's obviously had those character concerns that has caused his stock to really plummet over the past month and a half. But the wide receiver, I also don't hate. They've been trying to find another guy for Keenan Allen for a long time, and then Keenan Allen's gone. Mike Williams isn't great. And now you finally have the guy from Georgia, who I'm just totally blanking on right now. But you pair him up with a Matthew Golden, that's a very good
Lad
receiving core.
Big Lad McConkey guy?
Yes, Lad. Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Lad McConkey.
What a lad.
What a guy.
Ty, who's on your big board for this pick?
Quite literally the exact same players that we previously had from 1 through 7.
Saying this for a while.
Except
few more picks.
For Mike Green. Okay, Mike Green has snuck into the conversation again. The non-power 4 edge rusher out of Marshall. Sneaking up in here, there are a few edge rushers that could still go, that still have a chance. Your Nick Scortons, okay, your Mike Greens, players of that nature. But, I mean, it's just so shocking to me right now that these big 3 DBs are still on the board. I'm still holding out hope that the Bucs trade Chris Godwin and 4 firsts to move back up and get Will Johnson.
What?
I want Will Johnson
4
so
firsts?
bad. Give up whatever it takes.
I know you're doing a bit, but that's crazy.
I need it.
Matthew, as a fan of a division rival in the Broncos, obviously, what do you want the Chargers to take here, realistically?
I mean, I guess the quarterback out of Bowling Green.
Yeah.
If we still have any of our choices. But I mean, realistically,
I totally forgot.
You know, they always, I feel like, skip out on a wide receiver every single year in the first round.
Yeah.
So, and you have Golden on here. Would I waste a pick this right here? Maybe not, but I'd see Golden or Edge. Pierce Jr. I could see Edge. I say, you know what? Get a wide receiver, get Golden, and let my guy battle him out.
Yeah, I do think Golden or even potentially a Luther Burden wouldn't be too bad of a pick. But you know what? I will point out that their left defensive end at the current moment goes by the name of Morgan Fox. And I don't think any of us have ever heard that name before in our entire lives. So that stands to reason that they desperately need a defensive end.
Left defensive end?
You lie.
Nick Scorton.
No, Morgan Fox.
Morgan Fox, the defensive end.
You've never heard of Morgan Fox.
I have.
No, you haven't.
I'm a big Morgan Fox guy.
What is his number?
Just like the quarterback from Bowling.
What is Morgan
I'm
Fox's
going to
number?
guess his number is 90.
Why do you have to include Jess in there?
What is the name
of
of the quarterback
I
out
didn't
of
say
Bowling
I'm
Green,
a
by the
Morgan
way?
Fox stan. I said I'm a
Bazalek.
Morgan Fox fan.
Connor Bazalek.
Morgan Fox
I
is
think
also
we're
just
all.
a Falcon.
I think we're all forgetting the fact that there is just about under a minute left on this time.
Yeah. The clock is still winding
Chargers
down.
are really milking this down.
And they haven't submitted the pick yet.
Big
Are they
board.
looking to trade down? With Baltimore, like I had in my initial mock draft,
Azaria Thomas?
in my final mock draft, I had the Harbaugh brothers calling each other, and the Ravens traded up for Luther Burden in my fantasy. So could that be what's happening? Tyler,
Again,
do we
the
think
wording. Again, the wording.
And with that,
God.
Tyler, do we think the Chargers could be trading?
Calm down, Nick Cohen.
I mean, obviously, when you see the clock run down so much, you're like, oh, the team's going to probably trade. But I imagine Jim Harbaugh thought he could get one of his Michigan guys at this pick here.
And he
But they're
still
all
can.
gone. All the top Michigan guys are gone, except for Will Johnson. He's still there. If he does want one of his Michigan guys that he loves so much, the Michigan man that he is.
10 seconds
but,
left.
I mean, and you did lose Asante Samuel. So Will Johnson, he fills a need if you want that Michigan connection there. But I feel like wide receiver makes a little more sense here. Help Justin Herbert. That offense just becomes just better overall.
And the pick is officially in for the Chargers. They barely made
We're doing a little countdown in here.
Zeros on the clock.
Oh my! They barely made it.
Yeah, down to the wire.
Oh, man.
Well, draft day action.
The Vikings could have almost been saved, but no. You guys still are the last
Still
team to miss
screwed.
it. So now we just wait for the pick to be announced. But
yeah, I mean, I feel like we didn't give enough love to Luther Burden. He came in as one of the highest touted prospects going into the season. Obviously, they didn't have the greatest season, just Missouri in general. But I mean, Brady Cook wasn't cooking as much as he probably should have been. Luther Burden is a really good receiver. He gets open. He's really physical. Probably one of the bigger wide receivers in this draft class, and just one of the best wide receivers in this draft class. I definitely wouldn't hate pairing him alongside of Ladd McConkey.
And for his size, he's a really good route runner as well.
Yeah, so I mean, just a lot to like there. I liked him definitely over Mecca Buka. Sorry, Ty.
Yeah, me too, unfortunately.
Hey, Mizzou produces some great, talent. Drew Lock, as one.
Matthew Golden, guys. Matthew Golden is still available if they're thinking about receiver, and I think that could be a good fit, like Tyler was talking about. I mean, Quentin Johnson is still a big question mark, and they brought back Mike Williams. Like, come on, he's so past his prime. Matthew Golden and Ladd McConkey could be very, very nice.
Really?
Oh.
You heard that?
Whoa.
No, I didn't.
I
Break
heard
the
it.
news.
Yeah,
I
heard
yeah.
Wow.
I heard
Break
you
in my ears.
Omarion Hampton has been selected by the Los Angeles Chargers.
I don't hate it.
I don't love it.
I don't love it either.
I
They
don't
just
like
got Najee Harris.
Yeah.
Najee Harris is not that good.
Yeah,
Really? Is he
What do
really
you
a
mean?
great starting running back at this point in his career?
Najee Harris had like 3 years of
but you don't pick
1,000-yard
a first
seasons.
round.
But
You
out
have
of,
an
out
okay
of
run.
all of the skill positions that you
Need,
could
yeah.
be getting, it's not running back for the
No.
Chargers. But here we are.
All right,
crazy,
Morgan
actually.
Fox, you live to see another day.
Hey, maybe after
Morgan
this we'll
Fox
all
is
become
an
Morgan
Atlanta
Fox
Falcon.
fans.
Yeah,
You know?
maybe we'll all get his jersey.
Yeah, I'll start a fan
Yeah,
club.
well, I
join?
will not be.
Sure.
But,
All right, bet.
okay, well, Chargers now have Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton as their running
And
backs.
Darius Davis.
One of the best running back duos in the league. Whoa. Najee Harris paired with Omarion Hampton.
I think you're forgetting
just
about
talk
Bucky
about a
Irving and
UNC
Rashad
guy?
White.
I'm Josh. And
Can we just talk about a UNC guy being drafted in the first round? They had an abysmal season. Like, abysmal. This guy did.
Punk University.
He was one of the lone bright spots though. I mean, you look at him busting a.
Oh, but that's
an
NC
80
State football. They're terrible.
Oh yeah,
Terrible.
but hey, look at that JMU, bro. The Fighting Dukes, bro. They're getting in there. Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
60 to 24.
I
when
mean,
he
Omarion
scored.
Hampton was a good pick here. I mean, it's maybe not one of their biggest needs, and definitely receiver is a question mark here. Justin Herbert can obviously throw the ball, but who is he throwing to is
himself?
probably I mean maybe. But
Well,
Ladd McConkey
Marcus
had a
Mariota.
beauty.
Not running.
Yeah, Ladd McConkey made a bid for offensive rookie of the year at the end of the season though. So I mean he's obviously really good at football. You just maybe wanted to see him pair someone along. The Chargers defense was really good last year too though. So if you wanted to go skill position, I don't hate it. Maybe you would have rather to even see not having to make the decision, letting the Broncos take Omarion Hampton at 20 and then just sitting back and maybe drafting a wide receiver here. But I don't hate the pick, and I mean we'll see how he turns out. But I definitely don't think that Najee Harris is a serviceable running back one at this point in his career. So getting somebody else to beef up your lineup isn't bad at all.
Yeah, and Matthew, any final words for the Chargers pick?
Final words. Broncos D-line is going to fold them like a pancake. We're
yeah.
grabbing at IHOP after this. Have a great summer, guys.
Yes, thank you very much to Matthew Brackert for all the work with the picks that he did today. We're going to give some more shout-outs later after the draft is officially over. But with the Chargers over, now we move on to the Packers. And Tyler, I would like you to tell us what the Packers might need.
Well, the Packers, as much as I hate them, are still a pretty good team overall. They were top 5 in both offense and defense. 11-6 record. Cornerback, though, is a pretty big need, and there is obviously Will Johnson. And if you just want to get DBs overall, I guess, Malachi Starks and Nick Emmanwari wouldn't be bad necessarily. But offensive tackle, another big need. They lost Josh Myers. He's not a tackle, but still, it's a needed fit. Wide receiver, the Packers always need wide receiver, it feels like. They never take him in the first round, though, so I wouldn't expect to hear one there. This could be Will Johnson, and if it is, I'll hate him forever. Really, I'll hate whoever this is. Because it's such a loser organization who just loves sniffing cheese. I don't know. It's just, I
This
guess
just
corner
in,
could be who
Green
it is.
Bay Packers,
Why not?
loser organization that just sniffs cheese all day. Now, we have a Packers fan on set with us in Daniel Valdez. How are you doing, Daniel? And what do you think about that comment?
I mean, nothing I would expect less from Tyler. I mean, he's a Minnesota fan. But I also love the dude. I mean,
Shade.
constantly living in our shadow, of course. haven't
Yeah.
appeared in a Super Bowl in a while.
Tell 'em.
That's valid. Now,
Hey,
Green Bay.
Packers haven't missed a
Green
pick.
Bay is the host of this year's draft, so you know, I'm imagining there's a bunch of Packers fans, cheeseheads, if you will, at the draft currently, losing their minds. Now, Ty, tell us who's on your big board for the Packers pick.
So, nothing's changed here. The only addition that I might add is we have Josh Connerly Jr., the offensive tackle out of Oregon. However, for the Packers, there's only a handful of needs that I think are worth mentioning. The handful of them are offensive guard to replace Sean Ryan, or potentially an edge rusher. I mean, we see this all the time where the Packers will reach on a Lucas Van Ness. They'll reach on an edge that they don't really need, and I think that edge could be Mike Green. That feels like the kind of pick we would see here, especially with how random this draft would be. Also, it is worth mentioning that the Packers have been on the receiver train for quite some time, okay? Matthew Golden sitting right there. Luther Burden obviously still on the board. There's a lot of players they could take, but namely those receivers, those edge rushers, potentially maybe an interior offensive lineman. What do you think, Danny, on this?
Yeah, for me, in my opinion, I think what Green Bay really needs to emphasize is the offensive lineman, because as much as I think that we could use like an edge, unlike me, we don't really need to edge. We just need ourselves some offensive linemen to actually help protect Jordan Love, because like classic tradition, constantly getting sacks almost every single year, kind of like expected at this point where like every other play we get a sack.
Mm-hmm.
We really need some offensive linemen to help protect Jordan Love, especially considering how he's supposed to be like the future of our franchise per se, but we definitely need to help emphasize it. I really like Jay Simmons, but I also like Jake Connerly. They both are really good choices for this pick, and hopefully they could perform well in the NFL, in my opinion.
Okay, now I want to send this over to Tyler, because if I had to choose one position that I think they need desperately, I'm not saying this is my final pick for the Packers, I think they should really take Malachi Starks. Well, we'll come back. I think they should really take Malachi Starks, and I know that you, Tyler, really want Malachi Starks to fall one more pick to the Vikings.
I would love if that were to happen. That'd be so sick. They shouldn't take Malachi Starks because, honestly, I feel like corner is a bigger need. And they have Xavier McKinney at safety, who was stellar this year. He was leading the league in interceptions for most of it, and I think he did finish with the lead. I'm not 100% certain. I don't have that stat in front of me. But, like, safety isn't a big concern right now. I would say corner is the bigger one. Obviously, Jair Alexander, though there's been like rumors maybe he could get traded at some point. He's been a little unhappy. So just getting another corner. Will Johnson, or maybe Hairston out of Kentucky.
Maybe.
If you're scared of those injuries to Johnson.
Well,
but I imagine it will be a DB.
Well, I will say that if Tyler doesn't get what he wants in one pick, we will be 3 for 3 for draft show hosts being upset with their team's picks so far. We just need Kathleen to be upset later.
Oh,
but
guys, I think Malachi Starks needs to fall to the Eagles. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, but it would be awesome.
No.
It'd be awesome.
However, there are a couple positions that the Packers need here. Tyler and Ty have both told us about it, so I want to get your guys' opinions. I think Malachi Starks would be a great pick. I also think Donovan Ezraku would be a great pick here because their new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, he is coming from Boston College, where Donovan Ezraku is. So edge, receiver, and safety are all team positions of need. Andrew, what do we think is the number one?
Yeah, I mean, corner's thrown in there too. Obviously, you have a guy like Will Johnson who can shut down a complete side of the field. So that is something that you're just like looking for in general. And the fact that he's fallen this far, and the fact that corner is also a position of need, I think that I could see them going Will Johnson. I don't know if that's the pick, but I mean, we'll see. There's just a lot of people on the board at this point. Mike Green is still there. Jahad Campbell is still there. So I mean, a lot of people still left on the board.
Yeah, and the pick is in. Kathleen, what position do you really think it should be?
Yeah, I'm kind of going edge here because I originally had them going edge in my final mock draft. I do like wide receiver, like a Matthew Golden type guy for the Packers, but I think I'm going to go Ezraku
You smart cookie. You should have stuck with Matthew Golden. Do the honors,
Matthew
Nick
Golden's
Cohen.
the pick
I
for
mean,
the Packers?
No. I didn't say.
Yeah, he is.
Matthew Golden is a Packer. Wow. Danny, how are we feeling about that? You finally get another quick receiver alongside Christian Watson, but maybe this time it'll work.
Too long.
No, someone should have cut me off.
I tried. I was going to.
Danny, what do we think?
I feel both happy and kind of mixed on this. Like, yeah, cool. It's a great receiver. You know, maybe it could be great with Jordan Love and stuff. But once again, it's another receiver. We've been driving receivers for the past several years at this point. So what else could we really need for another receiver? I think we mostly need someone to help protect Jordan Love and many of our offensive players.
No, your wide receivers are Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs right now. You need a
So
receiver.
valid.
I'm not gonna lie to you, like those names are like they're decent, they can produce, but they are not X receivers, bro. Like those guys are far too small. Like Matthew Golden is a speedy receiver. You can put him in the slot. You can play a lot of different places on this field, and I don't dislike the pick personally. I like Matthew Golden. I'm not Matthew Golden. He's the one who got picked. I like Luther Burden over him, but I mean, I think you guys definitely needed something on from the receiver point of view. Christian Watson also has just not been who you thought he was going to be. So I definitely don't dislike the pick, and wide receiver was definitely an area of need for you guys. So
yeah,
I mean we'll see how it pans out, but Matthew Golden definitely.
And we know that the Green Bay organization just loves their SEC picks as well.
They do.
So I think that's one thing to note. Now, Tyler, Malachi Starks is still on the board.
They're
but
not going to do it. They're not smart enough at draft.
No,
are you going to take that, Tyler?
They're not smart enough.
Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is one of the best GMs in football, all right?
True.
He is. What pick has he missed yet? Any? I can't tell you.
I said that about Jason Licht.
All right, listen, the Vikings, there are plenty of needs, okay? But a lot of them were addressed in free agency, especially on the offensive. We look. The big loss was Sam Darnold. No question there. But you look here, you have the 12th best offense, the 16th best defense overall. Pretty middle of the pack. They were a great team, though, 14-3. I have it as defensive tackle as their top need. They did sign Javon Hargrave, though he is getting up there, and he has dealt with injuries. Harrison Phillips has been okay. He's not the best ever. But I really want this to be a defensive back. Malachi Starks is here. Will Johnson is here. Nick Emenwari is here, though I don't like him as much as those first two.
So should
honestly, there's not there isn't really a player that could upset me because I know Kwesi would be like, these are our clear top needs: defensive back, defensive tackle, and running back. I guess is another one if you want to throw that in there. But Omarion Hampton's gone. It's not going to be a running back here. Malachi Starks is my dream pick. I've wanted for this whole time. And it would be so awesome to get the guy I want for this would be the second time because I wanted J.J. McCarthy last year. We also had Dallas Turner, which is pretty cool. We had 2 first-round picks last year. Oh, wow. But Skull Vikings, I want it to be Malachi Starks. Especially, and that's a Cam Bynum and Harrison Smith replacement because he's getting up there. Malachi Starks just makes too much sense to me.
Yeah, well, and we have another guest as well. Danny is still around. We'll get to Danny in just a second. But also, in the podcast room is Ashley Rowe. Do you have any thoughts on this Vikings pick, Ashley?
She is struggling to give her right here.
Oh,
my
no
goodness.
worries.
There she is.
Hi, Ashley.
Oh, she is.
We're trying.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes,
There
yes.
she is.
Thoughts on
There
Vikings
she
pick?
is.
Honestly, I don't really know too much about the Vikings. I'm definitely a voluntold fan, but I think I trust anything Tyler says about his team. So, except I feel like I have great picks with WNBA. Everything I say comes true, so I'm gonna say whoever we get pick will take us to the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah,
I like that. That's
Basically,
pretty
I mean,
sick.
I will say all the offseason moves that you've made, like Tyler mentioned, have been very good. I think bringing in Jordan Mason as your backup running back was a great move. You improved your offensive line majorly by adding Ryan Kelly and Will Fries, and just safety is a big need. Now, Danny, flipping the script, you don't like this team. What do you want the Vikings to take?
You know, as much as I want to say that the Vikings would like to get an asterisk because it's probably the best thing, the most exciting thing to happen in Minnesota in forever, but I do think that probably their best option right now would be Starks. He has a great player, and of course, according to our board, #1 over here. So I definitely do think that he has a great option and would be probably one of the better picks for Minnesota to take. Considering how well they have been playing as well, it should also be great for them to be performing as much as they can, especially in the safety spot.
Tyler Brownrigg, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
The Minnesota Vikings select Landon Johnson, edge out of Jackson, edge out of Arkansas. Oh my god.
Landon Jackson,
Jackson.
I'm joking.
No.
okay.
Now, I do think it is.
Hey, the guy's 6'7".
I do think it's worth mentioning, just to ease my own conscience about the Bucs pick. It turns out, before the draft, there was one last round of physicals, and Will Johnson did not pass. He had a knee injury that apparently is scaring every NFL GM, and that's the only reason he's slipping so far. But that just came up from Adam Schefter on Twitter about 5 minutes ago.
Very interesting. I mean, Will Johnson, I think he's still a great corner. And could we maybe see Will Johnson to the Vikings here, Tyler?
Possibly, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It could be offensive line also. That is another thing I wouldn't mad. Ed Ingram was lost, and he sucks. Obviously, I would love Starks. I hope it is. But I know Kwesi can get a lot of good players. There are still a lot of good players. And we have a great development system now with Kevin O'Connell and this coaching staff. And we have our young quarterback, J.J. McCarthy.
Now, Tyler, I don't mean to cut you off, but to protect J.J. McCarthy, the pick is in. It is Ohio State offensive lineman, tackle and guard, Donovan Jackson. What are your thoughts about Donovan Jackson?
Donovan Jackson? I don't hate Donovan Jackson, actually. This is kind of, again, offensive line was probably like the fourth need I had if we had 4 slots here on these graphics. And one of my best friends from high school, Braden Hanrahan, he was a big Donovan Jackson fan. And I like the versatility of him. Darisaw is going to be coming back, so our tackles are great with him and O'Neal. The interior of the line, we lost Garrett Bradbury, but then obviously we have Will Fries and Ryan Kelly from the Colts, we signed in free agency. Donovan Jackson fills that final slot, and he has that ability to play tackle. He has good size for it, 6'4", 308, right? If Darisaw or O'Neal gets hurt. So,
well,
Donovan
and I
Jackson,
think he could slide in
really good
day
for us.
1 over Blake Brendel.
Oh, for sure. That guy stinks.
Yeah. So I will say, though, I mean, like, this is arguably another reach, though. If you look at Ty Patton's big board, so Ty, I'm going to send it to you.
Yeah.
Gabe Jackson was taken over Josh Simmons and Josh Connerly.
Yeah, I will say, though, for Josh Simmons is a tackle that can play guard. Same thing, we go down. Josh Connerly is a tackle who can play guard. Donovan Jackson, I believe, is a guard, truthfully, who can play tackle.
Yes.
So when you look at the Vikings and the holes in interior of the offensive line, okay, Donovan Jackson slides in the best. So is it a reach? Kind of. Yes, I think Josh Simmons has the better value at the pick, but if you're going to plug and play day 1, Donovan Jackson's probably the smarter pick, all things considered.
Yeah, and so that does do it for the Vikings pick. Now, Tyler, I think, is the first host that we could fully say is happy with this. And apparently, there's a trade. The Giants are now on the clock, ladies and gentlemen.
My God!
One player that this could be.
It's got to be quarterback.
Oh,
it's got
my.
to be a quarterback.
It's between Jackson and Shador, no?
It makes too much sense.
It has to be.
Is it Jackson or is it Shador? Is it
Tyler,
Jackson?
Tyler, let's get your thoughts. Who is it going to be?
I'm going with Shador Sanders.
This
I
feels
don't
like
think,
Shador, no?
Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe are worthy of being first-round picks. They're definitely late day 2 guys, probably at best. Shador he's been rumored to go to New York for a long time in the mock drafts, and Dion would love the big market. I know Shador would love the big market, so I'm going with Shador.
This feels like a Sanders pick, too, no?
It does.
If there is going to be anybody that's going to shine in the bright lights that is New York City, it just feels like a Shador Sanders, son of Deion Sanders, son of like prime time, son of one of the greatest NFL players of all time, and now like gonna be his own star in Shador Sanders. It feels like he'd be a New York Giant over a guy like Jackson Dart, even though the mock draft projections had the final lines for quarterbacks closed at Jackson Dart being the favorite at like -130.
Look at you, Mr. Betts host.
Oh yeah, I try.
I don't think it's going to be Shador.
You think it's gonna be Dart?
Yeah.
Ty, what do you think?
You know what? I'm thinking about this right now. I saw the clips of Shador Sanders throwing with Malik Neighbors in the streets of New York, and I saw that when the Giants had the first overall pick. They sold off that first overall pick. I think they have totally forgone Shador Sanders' decision. With a guy like Russell Wilson, with a cannon that Russell Wilson has, and the mobility in the pocket that he has, it screams Jackson Dart mentor to me. I really hope Dart's the guy right now. That's just the ideal pick.
That's my thought as well. I do think that Jackson Dart is going to be the
Jackson
one to
Dart
slide in
is
here.
not a first-round quarterback.
What are we talking about? Not a first-round quarterback. Okay, Jackson Dart has a crazy high ceiling.
It'll be 2-on-2 here because I don't know what Nick has to say about this.
Is it something that? What about his game moves you? I don't see it.
Okay, I'm watching a guy with a good arm,
decision-making
an accurate touch, okay, and he has legs under him and power. That's the important part. He runs hard like a Josh Allen does. Okay,
These Ole Miss quarterbacks play in this pure college system. All right, none of them have ever done anything in the NFL. Matt Corral.
Okay, but then let's also look at this though. Let's also think about this. Against all the quarterbacks that were slated to go in the first round, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, both one win or less against ranked opponents. Jackson Dart 7-6 against ranked opponents throughout his college career.
Don't give me that.
I'm giving you that. An Ole Miss quarterback doing better than Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders.
Okay,
what are we doing?
Hold on. I'm going to cut you guys off for just a second. The trade details have been announced. The Giants get pick number 25, obviously, and the Texans get pick 34, 99 in a 2026 third-round pick. That's kind of a haul to move up 9 picks.
You hold on just a second. It's in.
The pick is in. We're going to wait.
We know what it is.
It's Jackson Dart.
Let's go! Let's go, Shedeur, you're a bum! Wait till day 2!
Wow.
High five.
Okay,
yeah, hey,
hold
air
on.
high
We
five
also
from across
need to
the room.
welcome in.
Air high five for you,
We
bro.
also need to welcome in our
There we
guest,
go.
high-fiving Ty Paton right now, Austin Lamana. I know you came here to talk about the Texans, but Jackson Dart is now a Giant. What are our thoughts on that? They have their quarterback of the future.
Sucks so bad.
Honestly, I gotta say that's pretty exciting right there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
What can I say about Jackson Dart? Honestly, with Jackson, pretty good choice. I don't know too much about Jackson, I'm not gonna lie, but overall, I do have to say, for that team, I think that's a pretty good choice right
What I will say about Jackson Dart is the point that I was going to make. Obviously, it's going to look a lot worse if I would have said this about 30 seconds ago. But
you're welcome.
This is I mean I saw it too, but but I always think these guys that rise in the draft after not playing football are so interesting because I feels like a majority of them don't actually end up working out as well as like some of these mock drafts have them going. It feels like these guys that skyrocket 20 picks through not playing any downs of football, it feels like it's a little superficial and people are looking a little bit too hard at something that's not there. If you don't like him when the season ends, you can obviously progress and like him more, but was he on their board as the season ended for them? Maybe not, and he fell into their lap at 25, or not fell into their lap. They trade up for him, so they must have really liked him. But I think that those picks are always just so interesting because while Shedeur Sanders was falling, Jackson Dart did the exact opposite and went from like being mocked at maybe somewhere in the mid to late second round to all the way up to number 25.
Hold on. There's something we haven't even thought about yet. The Giants might have traded up with the Texans specifically to jump the Rams at 26. What if the Rams are thinking about taking Shedeur Sanders, another huge market, another team that really could use quarterback? Tyler, I think that is potentially a possibility. What do you think?
Before I go into it, I just want to reiterate, Jackson Dart sucks.
No, don't start.
Beyond god awful.
I'm not doing this right now.
Can you tell me one time he was ever under center at Ole Miss? Never. It's actually
okay, but he doesn't operate under center. Why you take the quarterback to help him play in the system? Okay, we're looking at a Russell Wilson who's gonna be playing out of the shotgun.
He has. There are so many things in his game that need to improve. Obviously, he's not gonna start day one, but to take him in the first round and trade up for him, oh my God!
Here's the deal. On a good day, if you put him in, okay, here's the deal. We talk about quarterbacks. Jalen Milroe, for example, you need to put him in the right system in order for him to work, okay? But Jackson Dart, if you get him in the right system, there's a great chance that he works. I think his ceiling is as high as competing with a Josh Allen. He has the build for it. He has the power for it. And he has the arm strength for it. But at its low, we're talking Anthony Richardson or worse. Okay? This guy is very...
No, I think his floor is a lot lower.
My goodness.
A lot lower than Anthony Richardson? Anthony Richardson sucks, Nick Cohen. What are we talking about?
Anthony Richardson
his
still
floor is like Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Okay, actually, Zach Wilson's probably a better comp. Okay, Zach Wilson's probably a better comp.
While he's
Zach
not
Wilson
a good
here,
one,
Josh Allen here, he fits somewhere in the middle of it.
because
okay?
while he's not a good one, Anthony
it's
Richardson
definitely not the middle.
Anthony Richardson is still a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Okay,
Not for long.
As we welcome,
So is Deshaun Watson.
maybe not though. As we welcome in our Colts fan, as we're talking about Anthony Richardson, he is back. Diego Ortiz.
He's so nonchalant.
Giants now have Jackson Dart, but Andrew wants to say something.
Wait a second. Also, another storyline that'll probably develop through just Jackson Dart being a quarterback for the Giants now. This is Brian Dable's job. If Brian Dable didn't get this pick right, he is fired. So they better have a good season and then continue that with Jackson Dart, because if not, Brian Dable is out of that job.
I think
still could be.
Yeah. I think we might be overreacting a little bit. We got to remember they still signed Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson wasn't coming off of the worst year ever.
Okay, Diego, I'm going to totally cut you off. There's another trade that just happened. The Rams are no longer on the clock. I'm being told the Falcons are now on the clock.
What? Oh my God, Shador!
Don't say that.
Do it again.
This will carry my entire draft.
Use my prank of the day.
My entire flop of Emeka Egbuka will be saved if the Falcons take Matthew Golden, Shador Sanders.
Matthew Golden is off the board.
Matthew Golden's a Packer.
Guys,
Luther Burden.
What if they take Nick Emenwari?
Oh.
No.
Realistically, they really need Will Johnson here. Would you agree, Mr. Big Boy?
What if they went and got Malachi Starks to pair with Jalen
Campbell,
Walker?
I think is another good pick that could be here.
Tyler, you know what? Keep cooking. Jahad Campbell, what do the Falcons need now that they're on the board?
Yeah, linebacker was a need I had earlier. I mentioned it was their top third need, Jahad Campbell. He can fit that perfectly, I think. A guy who is a great run defender, sideline to sideline, and he can develop and grow as a pass rusher as well. He has that in his kit. So Jahad Campbell, I think, is a very good pick here.
Wait a second. All right, the bigger question of the draft at this point: Where did Ty Brownrigg get a chain from? What is going on?
Oh, he had it on that chair, waiting for the Vikings pick.
I've had this sitting down here on the ground for like 2 hours waiting for the Vikings to go on the clock, and then I was going to put it on when they made their pick, and then I did.
Now, obviously, the Falcons don't trade up if they don't actually know what they want. The pick is now in. We wait for that to be announced. I'll let you know when it is announced. But
Thank you.
Of course. Now, what do we think this could be? Their first pick of the draft was Jalen Walker, so they've already fixed edge / linebacker. Could this be corner? Could it be wide receiver? I mean, who would it be at wide receiver, though? Luther Burden?
I'm still thinking linebacker, though.
Okay. Jahad Campbell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Boss to the draft.
Oh, Ty.
Oh, you would love that. You would love that.
I'd love that.
I don't have the honor of
This would be
having
easy for
Emeka
you.
Egbuka on the Bills and disliking him more, because you get to dislike him now. But, we're not going to...
Let me have my moments when they come, Cohen.
All right, trade details have been announced before the pick has been announced. It is number 26 and their third-round pick this year for a 2026 first-round pick next year and number 46 this year from the Rams.
Wow.
And a seventh. That's a lot. A first and a second.
Trading a first.
No, it's
trading a first is big, especially this low in the draft.
It is
in
big,
the first
but
round.
it's a first and a second for a first and a third at the end of the day. So kind of maybe they cooked, but that is kind of a lot.
I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on this pick too. It needs to hit.
Will Johnson, right?
Why is that, Diego?
If they're smart.
It's got to be
why
Will Johnson. I mean,
to pair him alongside AJ Terrell would be very nice.
exactly, because you just got to think about, the upside that Will Johnson does have. Like, if you make a move like that for a player, like, it has to be a player of like a crazy upside caliber. Like, it has to be Will Johnson.
Yeah. Well, what if I told you it's not? Tyler,
Oh.
I'm sorry. The pick is in. It is James Pierce. The Falcons double dip on edge rushers in the 2025 draft.
4 years of skipping out on edge rushers.
They have to
take
double
two
down.
of them
They
this
get
year.
two now.
How?
I mean,
That's
yeah.
kind of crazy.
I can't believe they traded up for him.
Why?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
It is shocking,
Oh, wait.
especially given that Pierce has such character concerns. That was his big thing. That's why he has plummeted down this draft board. His talent is undeniable, but it is the character, and is like he's had issues, and like he's not done great in interviews, and so teams that really scares NFL GMs. But looking at it from a football perspective, if he does pan out and clean up his act, your bookend defensive ends are set for the future. And though there is a lot of pressure on this guy now, though, to pan out, this has to hit, and I think it's a really big risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely giving away your first-round pick for the next year to trade into this draft. But James Pierce Jr. could be a generational talent. He's one of the players that fell because of, obviously, character concerns, as Tyler was mentioning. But, I mean, if you watched him at Tennessee, he was straight-up dominant in almost every single game he played. And he was a force, and, I mean, I definitely don't dislike it. And it gives you a chance for Jalen Walker, who we talked about as a versatile player, to, maybe play more of a natural position at linebacker. And then they have an edge rusher in James Pierce Jr., who could be dominant for the future to come. And we've talked about it for years now. The Falcons don't do enough at drafting defense. They're always going offense even when they don't need to. Now they double dip, and I don't fault them for it. I think that these two players, edge rusher was one of the deeper positions in this year's draft, and I think they got a really good one.
Also, I agree. Shout out, he's from Charlotte.
Shout out Charlotte.
Which is where I'm from.
Shout out Charlotte.
Charlotte, North Carolina is 30 minutes from my hometown.
And you know what?
James Pierce Jr. and Kathleen Moore, the epic duo.
We're best friends.
Heck yeah.
No,
And
actually, I shouldn't say that. He has
the
character issues. Yeah, disregard that, guys.
Well, anywho, the Falcons had to replace Morgan Fox. We mentioned him earlier. He's on the Falcons. He's now replaced by James Pierce and Jalen Walker. Now, that's two back-to-back big-time trades. Going back to the Giants for a quick second, Ole Miss quarterback, first Ole Miss quarterback that the Giants have drafted since who? Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Again, puts a lot of pressure.
What a bag
the dots together.
Hey, I'm just a little detective.
First overall.
Oh, and if we're going to do fun stats, Green Bay Packers selected their first wide receiver in the first round since 200002. Matthew Golden wasn't even alive.
What's his name?
That was the year
Oh my God.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
so fun fact central here at HTF Network.
Is Matthew Golden younger than you, Ty?
Oh, that's evil.
What
Matthew
year?
Golden definitely is.
What year was he drafted?
He was born, I believe, in
I hate to say it, a ton of
02 or
players
early
in this draft
03.
are younger than some of our hitting the field members.
Wow.
However,
What could I be doing with my life? I could be in the NFL.
Oh, well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you could.
Yes, you can. Yes, it's
Anything is
2025.
possible.
Now, we're going to move on from the Falcons pick, unless, again, there's any big-time trades. We kind of had a boring draft for a while. There was some reaches, but only one trade until,
I wouldn't say
20 minutes ago?
boring. This has been fun.
I'm not saying I've been bored.
Excitement
I'm just
here and
saying
there.
it was a little less eventful than it
Change the
could
lower
have been.
third. Nick Cohen hates the draft show. That's what he said.
Edit
That's
the
what he said.
graphic
Hey,
right now.
We have it. Go back. Replay.
No.
Okay.
No,
All
don't
right.
do that. Now on the board, barring any trades, is the Ravens.
Back-to-back trades. Holy heck! I just realized that.
You just realized that?
As you were talking.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm going to break a sweat with all this news. Now, Ravens picking at, I want to say 27. We're at, oh my God, 5 more. Tyler, what do the Ravens need?
The Ravens are still a great team overall, top to bottom their roster. Number 1 offense in the league last year in terms of yards. If we look at here, over 420, almost 425 exactly. Their defense, top 10. People thought it could really take a dip after Mike McDonald left to take that Seattle job. That was not the case. Still a very great unit. Obviously won their division. Though their big needs, I would say, edge, O-line, and DB. They lost Marcus Williams, one of their better safeties, obviously. They still have Kyle Hamilton, and the top 2 safeties are still here on the board in both Starks and Emanwari. And you look at edge, you still have a guy like Mike Green, who got a lot of hype to be maybe a top 15 pick, and now we're here at the bottom end of the first round. I think Malachi Starks might be the guy here for the Ravens that they go. You replace Marcus Williams, you maybe have the best safety duo in the next 5 years. For the next 5 years, it's what a matchup that would be.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with that. They could also use corner. We've talked about Maxwell Hairston to the Ravens a couple times. I think for different reasons, though, just because of his speed. I don't think Will Johnson would be the pick here for that exact reason.
Yep.
I don't know, Ty, who could it be? The top of that big board hasn't changed in a while because we have seen some picks that were unexpected.
So I will bring
by
up the fact that Kyle Hamilton, opposite of him, is Ardarius Washington, who had a phenomenal year last year. I think the safety core is good enough to get by. In the first round, you want to get somebody that's going to make an improvement immediately. Okay, so I'm going to rule off Starks and Emanwari. Okay, but then I'm going to look at my corner room because that is another big need. Okay, we have Trey Amos. Okay, we have Maxwell Hairston, Will Johnson, Siobhan Revel, a handful of names, but the only one that really makes sense, like Cohen said, is Maxwell Hairston. He's the lanky, tall, quick kind of cornerback that can make something happen. Okay, setting up opposite Nate Wiggins, I think that is a perfect duo. Down the board, not much else I think they'd go with outside of maybe edge rusher. And you mentioned Mike Green. Another name I want to throw in there is Donovan Ezraku.
Yep.
I don't think he's too great. I've had my gripes with Ezraku, but I still think he is a Baltimore Raven-esque pick.
No.
They're sweating over there. I don't know what they're sweating about.
No.
I don't know. I mean, this draft has just been, as of late, has been
Kathleen
a little
has
bit
her
crazy.
head in her hand.
So crazy.
My goodness.
Thank you, Tyler.
Tyler, final predictions on who this pick is going to be.
I'm sticking with my gut. I'm sticking with Malachi Starks. It's a great fit. I feel like it's really a very Ravens pick, honestly.
Be honest. You checked
Or maybe you just know ball. The pick is officially
Look at him, bro. He knows he did.
Do you want to know how many times I've done that?
Malachi Starks. Yeah, we know, Tyler. We can tell. The pick is Malachi Starks, and you get exactly what you just said of pairing up, two of the best young safeties in the league, potential best. Malachi Starks hasn't even entered the league yet, but for the next couple of years. And Kathleen, why are you so upset?
I wanted Malachi Starks. I wanted him.
You've had enough Georgia players. You don't need any more.
What?
This guy, Tyler Brownrigg. I think that the pick is going to be Malachi Starks. Bro,
I did say that before it was announced. I was like, Malachi
announced
Starks.
a minute ago. You knew.
I'm actually really upset. I was really hoping to continue the Georgia Eagles legacy.
It's okay.
Sadly, it was not in the cards because I hate
Draft
the
like
Ravens.
Tate Radledge in the
I hate
32nd
the
overall pick
Ravens.
just to get a
I
Georgia
hate
guy.
them.
Yeah, that's valid. I mean, hold on. There's still some big-time players available, like Will Johnson, the player I would have loved to go to the Dolphins however many picks ago, 14 picks ago, is still available. Why can't the Dolphins be one of these good organizations that trade back into the first round?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you know this,
Oh, God.
but
Are you going to totally
your team is led
dunk on
by
me?
a guy whose brain is
Oh,
pudding.
don't do it. Don't
led
Don't
by
do
a
it.
pudding guy.
Don't do it.
I'm sorry.
You're not
no,
wrong,
I
though.
refuse
No,
to hear
she's
this
not wrong.
No,
slander.
Stephen Ross stinks.
It's time for
Oh,
Tua
you're
to
talking about the owner. I thought you were talking about Tua for a second.
Oh, I actually was talking about Tua.
Oh, yeah. I thought,
Tua
yeah.
is not the reason for draft
that's
picks.
messed up.
No, I'm not talking about
That's messed up.
draft picks.
Whatever. We're not talking about the Dolphins right now because I would love them to trade up, but they probably won't. We have to move on to the Lions pick. Thank you so much, Diego, for your analysis on those last two exciting picks. Now, talking about the Lions, Ty, I know you absolutely love this team, so we're going to come back to you right after talking to Tyler about the Lions team needs.
I hate the Lions.
Oh, okay.
No, no.
All right. I really thought we had a chance to win the division, but that's neither here nor there. All right, looking at it, second best offense in the league, just under 410 yards per game. Their defense, though, wasn't great by the numbers. Big reason for that, Aiden Hutchinson was hurt, all right, and he's coming back. But you look at their top three needs, edge, wide receiver, linebacker. They lost Carlton Davis. They also lost Kevin Zeitler on their offensive line. But I think getting an edge rusher here would be good to pair up with Aiden Hutchinson, and in case he does get hurt again, maybe have him play a little less snaps, do some rotation. Mike Green is still there, right? This could be him. He feels like a Dan Campbell guy. I don't know, though. Really, they just kind of have their pick of the litter. There is also the Boston player Donovan. I'm not even gonna try.
Ezraku.
Yeah, that. He's another good pick here, I feel like, for edge rusher. Honestly, either of them, I think, are fine.
Okay.
But
and with
I
that,
hope
the
it's
pick
a
is in.
bust.
Ty, again, I know you are a Lions fan, so Ty and Ezra, who we welcome back, I want you guys to tell us who the Lions should take here.
Yeah, so before I tell you that, hey, we got to welcome back one of the members of the GOAT debate, okay? One of the best people who's ever lived. We're going to go ahead and show Ezra Hines, okay? Ezra Hines.
Too kind, man. Too kind.
This guy's the best, okay?
That's the sweetest thing I've ever
Had
heard.
to say hello.
Too kind.
My absolute dog. But, okay, so the Detroit Lions have a handful of picks they could make, okay? First off, we do have edge rusher, actually. Mainly defensive end, Josh Paschal. Marcus Davenport not cutting it. Okay, Aiden Hutchinson needs someone opposite him that can make things happen. Clocking in 2 inches shorter, but around the same weight, Nick Scorton from Texas A&M. Those two opposite each other. We round out the Texas A&M Twins in the first round. Leads to a very, very good front four unit. I don't think you can complain all too much. You could complain, though, about Donovan Ezra-Rocky. Way undersized. Definitely not a defensive end. And when you need a linebacker, it's not really necessarily the pick. However, I have seen so many times, time and time again, Will Johnson be mocked to the Detroit Lions, and nobody ever thought he was going to slide all the way down here. He did. The knee injury, rather concerning. Knowing Brad Holmes, knowing Dan Campbell, knowing how they like to take the guys that love ball, I would put all the money in my wallet on Nick Emenwari being the pick right now.
What?
Yep.
Honestly, I'm not.
That is also a
mad.
very
They just
Dan Campbell
extended
guy.
Kirby
Just get the
Joseph.
great
I know they
combine,
did. They have Brian
Yeah.
Branch. I know they did. They have decent corners and nickels. But Nick Emenwari, I really feel like, is a Dan Campbell pick.
I kind of agree.
The way this draft is going,
Yeah, it's like fit's kind of out the window now. It's like, dude, when you're this late in the draft, get a dog on the team.
Yeah.
Like obvious pick would be like an edge rusher here. Like you said, Nick Scorton, I've seen him mocked 1,000 times. Even Mike Green being this low character, it's kind of gonna mess him up a little bit. But no, like when you say it, that is an absolute Dan Campbell guy. So I would not be surprised if Nick Emenwari got picked right here.
not at all. Unless it's Charles Grant from William & Mary.
Ooh, he's a dog.
He is a dog.
That's a
Wrestling
dog.
background.
Fun fact, he donated his one of his kidneys or bone marrow or something like that to someone with Hodgkin's lymphoma when at the age of 20-something.
So he's just an all-around guy.
Oh, he's
Maybe
the best.
He should get drafted.
And he wrestled.
Absolute stud.
You know, I
Did
like,
he wrestle?
He did.
I guess. I like Emenwari for this too, but what do we have any quarrels with Josh Simmons?
Actually,
Joining the
no.
No, not
That's
really.
a bag
Good
pull,
pick.
too. I forgot he was sitting right there.
Yeah.
I know.
Do we have any quarrels with it? Because I really like him with Dan Campbell, personally.
I think Josh Simmons goes here. They're locked on their O-line for a long time now.
They have been. The only one that they've recently lost was they let Zeitler walk.
Yeah.
So right guard, Josh Simmons has played a
can fill
tad
in.
bit of a right guard.
This could also be like a development thing, too. He could sit behind this great Detroit Lions O-line. Oh.
The pick is in.
It's probably not.
It is an Ohio State big boy, not Josh Simmons. It is Tyleek Williams, the defensive tackle.
What? The
That's
D
my
tackle?
boy.
The
That's
D
my
tackle.
This is such a Dan Campbell pick.
That's my boy.
Wow.
This is such a Dan Campbell pick.
That is my guy. I love
Oh,
him.
yeah.
My goodness.
Tyler, thoughts on this? Because I think it's a little bit of a reach with some of the other defensive tackles available, and you don't like this team. What are your thoughts on this pick?
I think this is a bit of a reach. You still have other defensive tackles who are probably better, at least higher ranked on like bunch of networks big boards. Darius Alexander out of Toledo, another A&M guy, Shamar Turner. Tyleek Williams, I know of no one who thought he was going to be here in the first round. I couldn't tell you any analyst at NFL.com or ESPN who was going to tell you Tyleek Williams was going to be the guy here for Detroit. But the Ohio State guy goes to Michigan now, I guess, that's a little fun fact thing. Mason Graham did that going to the Browns.
Yeah. Ty,
But
as our
very
Lions
weird, I feel like.
secondary fan, what do you think about this pick?
I could care less. They could have taken that Bowling Green quarterback and he would have thrown for 4,000 yards. Okay.
Shout out Connor.
Yep. Tyleek Williams is going to have 10 sacks and 500 total tackles. Okay. This is a Dan Campbell pick. Some random third-round defensive tackle. Let's let him start now. Let's pull Aiden Hutchinson back, make him a backup, and throw in this random third-round D tackle to start a defensive end. Okay. This feels like one of those picks. And I mean, I don't think it's a very good pick, but I couldn't be happier.
I'm not mad at it. I think it's a solid pick. It's a definite reach, but like, dude's a stud. So he's gonna be good. He's definitely gonna be good. He's probably gonna be mainly just a run stopper, but like, that's all you really need. You have Lee McNeil. You have Aiden Hutchinson. You got people rushing the QB. Have somebody stop the run up the middle.
And now we're going to move on to the next pick, The Washington Commanders, man, have the. I know you don't like this team. They have been.
Not necessarily, actually.
Okay.
I actually don't mind the Commanders, truthfully. As much as the Combine TikTok comments think that I don't like the Commanders, I do like the Commanders. I have a lot of respect for their organization. Although, obviously, I hope they get a bad draft pick.
Because they're coming for you guys. I mean, the
I
Commanders
know.
had
Jaden Daniels is scary.
had a surprising season last year. They absolutely killed the draft last year, hoping to do the same thing this year. And their offseason in general was very good. Tyler, what do the Commanders need?
I would say that the Commanders were the darling of the NFL last season, making the NFC Championship, and now you have your guy Jaden Daniels. Now, if we look at the needs, overall their offense and defense both pretty above average. They won their division, keeping the tradition of a new winner every year. I have their top need being running back, honestly, and then edge and corner following after it. Though I wouldn't take Travion Henderson here with this pick. I could see if they really wanted to, but I think in my mock draft, my final one, this is where Will Johnson finally went for me. His weight ended here, and I think it could make sense. You pair him up with Marshawn Lattimore. If Johnson is healthy, his knee is okay, what a duo that would be in their secondary, him and Lattimore. They'd shut down both sides of the field almost every play. It'd be so hard to throw the ball against this Commanders team. Now, Jonathan Allen was a big loss, obviously now a member of my Vikings, and you still have some edge rushers here. Nick Scorton, Mike Green, the Boston College guy who I'm again forgetting. Ezraku. I'll remember it next time if I have to say it again. But I think Will Johnson will finally no longer have to wait anymore. His wait ends here, personally.
Well,
do you agree with that, Andrew Greig?
Actually, I need to make a correction first. The Commanders did not win the division. Who won the division? The Philadelphia Eagles, baby.
How did you make that mistake, Tyler?
How do you make that mistake?
Because they went to
Super
the
Bowl
NFC Championship.
Crushed them.
I forgot. Yeah.
In the NFC Championship game, absolutely creamed them.
And that's why everyone loves Eagles fans. So
they're always so humble.
Yeah,
You should totally be thanking them though, because if they didn't beat the Lions would have beat y'all.
Not true.
So
Not
true.
They
So
were
true.
Let's not live in the past.
Yeah, because we won.
Okay, Andrew, any gripes with Will Johnson being the pick here?
Yeah, no, I mean, none at all. I mean, the thing that Ty said earlier, the fact that
as the pick is in.
Yeah, pick is in. The thing that Ty said earlier about him failing his physical is definitely something that teams need to look at, especially given the fact that he did have injury concerns in college as well. That was the only thing that was really hampering him in college. So, I mean, Will Johnson is a pick that should have been taken a lot earlier, so I have no problems with him going here. But, I mean, Mike Green was supposed to be one of the top 10 picks on a lot of people's big boards. He's fallen, or maybe not a top 10 pick, but one of the top 10 overall players. So they need an edge, possibly going and doing that. Also, Trey Amos, if there is a lot, I know that there are a lot of concerns with Will Johnson at this point. That could be the only reason he fell that far. Maybe they go for a guy like that. I think that if addressing a need in cornerback or maybe defensive edge could be one of the picks that they used in this part of the draft.
No, I agree with you. I actually also have Trey Amos going to the Commanders.
I've been having those reactions to your talks all night, bro. I'm glad I finally got to steal one.
But that was because Will Johnson certainly was not available, right? Hey guys, hey. That was because Will Johnson wasn't available, right?
Are we still doing a show? Yes, yeah. It's because Will Johnson was not available.
Yeah, because I have Will Johnson going at 16. Like,
right.
He's been gone for a while in my predictions. So.
Now, Ezra, do you think that this could be Will Johnson to the Commanders?
I honestly, if you want my honest opinion, this could be anybody. I think they literally, I'm looking at the big board right here. Like, Will Johnson, yeah, obviously. But he's fallen this far. Who says he's going to not keep falling? I feel like that the Commanders could use him, but, realistically, they're going to want somebody that's going to help immediately. If they're scared of this knee, they're gonna probably pass on this pick and probably take somebody like a Trey Amos. But what I'm really thinking of is Jahai Campbell is still here. I think Jahai Campbell would be a great piece to have underneath Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner, you just re-signed to a one-year deal. You have him understudy him for a year, and then next year, if Bobby Wagner retires or finally moves on, or moves on again, you have Jahai Campbell to replace him. I'm not the biggest fan of Jahai Campbell, but sensibly, this is the pick here. But I would not be surprised if they just ended up going best available with Will Johnson.
Well, they did not do that. The pick is in, and it is Josh Connerly offensive tackle from Oregon. He is number 5 on Ty Patton's big board. I don't love the pick.
I hate
What
pick
a
with
what
a
a
burning passion.
That is a pick of all time.
Yeah,
for sure.
Ezra and I sitting here thinking about this. I could tell I was bouncing information right off of him. Like, you just traded for Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. You just traded for him. And then you go and sign another left tackle. Like, where's our mindset here? Where are we thinking?
Did they just not trust
anybody?
Tunsil long term or something?
Well,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because exactly, where's he going to start? Because if Tunsil is there, starting at your left tackle for the next season or two, you have Nick Allegretti at left guard. You have Tyler Biotish at center. So those two are fine. And Sam Cosmi at right guard is better than fine. And then Andrew Wiley at right tackle. But Josh Connolly doesn't play on the right side. So it's a little interesting. I mean, Josh Simmons was right there, and Simmons knows how to play all 5 positions.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely didn't go with the most diverse player here. Josh Connolly, he has a lot of limitations, I think, with where he can play on the ball. Josh Simmons would have been a way better pick, personally.
Yeah.
I still can't believe he's fallen this far. But.
Right. And so with that, we will say thank you very much to Ezra for coming back to hitting the field and absolutely killing it on those last couple picks. We are going to move on. And I'll tell you one reason why I was not happy with this most recent pick of Josh Connolly to the Commanders, because Will Johnson is now available for the Bills. And that aggravates me so much. Tyler,
you might not like what happens.
Tyler, do the Bills need corner? Because I know the answer.
Yeah, they do. They do need corner.
Oh,
they lost Rasul Douglas. Pretty big hole there. Yeah. So if we look, great offense overall. Obviously, Josh Allen was your MVP. You did lose Amari Cooper. Your defense, though, a little below average. Great overall season, though. I have all defense for their needs: linebacker, edge, and cornerback. And they do have one of the best corners right here. Obviously, injury. Again, that is a concern. But you lost Von Miller, though. Obviously, you lost the corpse of Von Miller. But still, he was a starting pass rusher for you. So if you want to go pass rusher, I think that's fine with a guy like Mike Green or Nick Scorton. I like both those guys a lot. But if you're sitting here at 30, Will Johnson, yes, the injury concerns have been a thing. It's why he continues to plummet and why he may fall out of the first round entirely. But you could take a chance here with the 30th overall pick. I mean, like, it's not the worst thing in the world if he's not really healthy day one, but he may take some time. But if he's even like a little bit like he was that year when they won the national championship with Michigan in his rookie season, oh my God, what a steal it would be.
Yeah. Now, Andrew, as a fellow Dolphins fan, that we've already established, what do you want the Bills to draft? And hopefully it's not Will Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a pick for who I want them to draft. Initially, I had them taking Nick Scorton, but I mean, I don't think that's going to happen at this point. There's just too many good guys available for Nick Scorton to go here, especially like edge guys at this point. But the fact that the Bills obviously can get a player that the Dolphins wouldn't have minded at 13, at 30 is just classic, like Bills to Dolphins. And as we're saying that, of course, the pick is in. They're going to do something special with this, and then we're just going to be tortured for the next couple of years. But I mean, that's just how life goes as a Dolphins fan. You get accustomed to it.
I just want to talk about the possibility of them taking a wide receiver like Luther Burden. Because
that
wide
is
receiver
also terrifying.
is a need for the Bills.
Yeah, I would say wide receiver is probably 4th. Just missed the cutoff, honestly. And again, Luther Burden wouldn't hate it.
And it's also important to factor in right now that these last few picks in the first round are all going to withhold a 5th option, a 5th-year option at the end of their contract. So 4 years going by, every first-round pick gets that option for 1 more year on a cheaper deal. Does this mean Shedeur Sanders sneaks up later in the next 2 picks on a trade-up? We have no idea, but that does mean that the Bills will be valuing this pick a little bit higher than all the rest of them.
Right.
Makes sense.
I don't mind a corner for the Bills as well, but I also kind of like Mike Green sliding in here for the edge.
Ooh.
Just because, again, like he has fallen really far out, and I think that they could use edge over corner in this situation, but I think I'm still going to
I actually disagree. I don't know really if they need edge because they do have Greg Rousseau and they have Joey Bosa. I also, wide receiver, while it is a need, and they could use a 4 or a 3, however you want to order them. I don't think Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Josh Palmer is that bad of a 3. Ty Patton has flamed me for that in the past. I don't care. I think Will Johnson should be the pick here. I'll be very sad about it if it is. But I also think at safety, Nick Emenwari could be very good for the Bills here. I have done that a couple times in my mock drafts, and I'd be upset with it, granted. But I think it could be the selection here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't enjoy it either. I think that, like, definitely their edge guys are pretty set right now. I mean, Mike Green could fit in there. Obviously, they had, like, we've talked about him all night. He's fallen, like, he's one of probably the more historic draft falls just because of, like, where he was mocked to start. Maybe not historic
and
at
Will
this point.
Johnson. I mean, they've both fallen.
Yeah, but I think that they could go any variety of different ways. Any of the top guys that are still available, like Jahad Campbell, could maybe fit in here. Just based off like best overall player. I don't really see the fit being as big of a need on Jahad Campbell, but Will Johnson makes some sense. Luther Burden, getting a guy like him so late in the draft, or at least relative to where he was supposed to be taken, would make a little bit of sense, especially given the fact that second round pick last year didn't really pan out as well as you thought he was going to. Khalil Shakir is a slot guy and a really good one at that, doesn't drop the ball, but I don't think that he is like a second receiver on a championship-winning team. So, I mean, they could go any number of different ways, and any of them probably look pretty decent for the Bills.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen could sleep a little bit better at night if he has Luther Burden on his team. Again, I do hope that's not the case. The pick is being announced. According to Rappaport, before we announced the Bills selection, the Eagles and Chiefs have swapped picks, literally one pick. We will let you know of the trade details. The Bills have officially selected Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky, corner, blazing speed.
I like that he comes in here.
Interesting pick. Passing on Will Johnson is atrocious. We will get back to that.
I don't think it's atrocious, given the injury concern. Harrison's still a good pick here. He dresses and fills a need, and he's still a very good corner. And getting a fifth-year option on this guy, I think, is fine. Taking a chance on him here late in the first.
Yeah. We welcome in again Ben Huber as well, another fellow Dolphins fan who couldn't join us for the Dolphins pick. What do you think about having Maxwell Hairston, blazing speed? Maybe they did this, by the way, to guard Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, it's definitely a little scary. I thought they were going to go with Jahad Campbell. I think that would have been perfect for Sean McDermott, if you know, you know. But I don't know. I do like Maxwell Hairston, though. He's got blazing speed. He is a great player. Will Johnson just keeps slipping down the board. I think this is like an obvious Chiefs selection, or Eagles even. He slips down the board. They pick best available. That's what we see them do all the time. But, I mean, I do like this pick for the Bills, but I don't think it's a game breaker. I don't think it's a guy that's going to come in immediately and have a huge impact. But it's a position of need, so I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. What if the Eagles moved up for Nick Emenwari to replace C.J. Gardner-Johnson?
So we're just,
my
I guess we could just move on.
I feel
from
like
the
I'm going to be
Bills.
sick.
What a pick that would be.
I don't think you will be sick. Eagles historically just take the best player available.
100%.
What do you want this to be? Because now the Eagles are officially on the clock. You've waited 31 picks for this.
Oh, yeah. I would love Nick Emenwari. I would also love Josh Simmons, but I prefer Nick Emenwari for this just because C.J. Gardner-Johnson was such a huge blow. I was really upset to see him go. I think he would slide in here really nicely. I know that was on like all of our original like agreed upon picks, and bring him on. Bring him on, Howie.
Yeah.
Call him up. Call him up right now.
Tyler, before we pitch it to you, Ty, your big board hasn't changed because Maxwell Hairston wasn't on it.
Actually,
go over that big board.
We've had one addition over the past 5 or so picks with all these random changes and picks that have gone through. Will Johnson, Nick Emenwari, obviously still up at the top. Josh Simmons following Mike Green, Jahad Campbell, Donovan Ezeraku, all early 20s or sooner projected talents. And then finally down here at the edge we have Trey Amos, which it says a little cornerback, and finally Nick Scorton, the edge rusher. Okay, now the only change that's worth noting here in my opinion right now, but outside of Nick Emenwari, Nick Scorton is big enough to play a defensive end, and after losing Milton Williams, replacing him with Moro Ojomo, which is maybe the worst name I've ever heard. The Eagles need a defensive end rather badly. Nick Scotton just big enough to fit in, a little smaller than the Eagles' status quo of 310 to 15 pounds. Still big enough to make it work. So we could see a little look around there, potentially even Darius Alexander.
So much defensive talent left on the board. I think you really can't go wrong here. There's just
Not at all.
so much talent, especially defensive back still. I mean, yeah, I like anything for Eagles right here.
I really hope Will Johnson finds a way to slip to the Bucs. I'm losing hope as we speak.
Yeah. Now, it has just been announced. Kathleen, brace yourself. The pick is Jahad Campbell out of Alabama officially. I think this is a good pick. Kathleen disagrees.
It's not what I wanted. It's just not what I wanted.
Well, join the club. Join the club.
Oh God.
It is not a
What do you
club I
think
am a
about-
member of.
Yeah, no, this is a great pick. I mean, like if we're going best available and you don't like Mike Green, Jahad Campbell probably sits at the top of your big board right now for a lot of people. Obviously, like number 5 on Ty's big board, but it's still like one of the best players available in this draft. And I mean, I don't see why like. This is just another SEC guy that falls into Philadelphia's lap. I definitely don't dislike the pick. And for a Super Bowl winning team that like has some holes, but like not a ton. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl just a couple months ago. I definitely don't hate going best available, especially if it's going to be a guy that could be game breaking in Jahad Campbell. And I mean, I really don't hate the pick. So
yeah,
and I feel like all of these other guys like. You can make cases as to why not to pick them. Like Ezraku clearly has like question marks if they're not like people are mocking him all the way in the teens, and then he falls all the way down here. So a guy that maybe was mocked a little bit later in the draft and like falls a little bit later than what he was supposed to, I definitely don't hate the pick. And Jahad Campbell was by Pro Football Focus rated as the 13th overall best player on their big board. If he falling all the way to 31, definitely doesn't seem like a bad pick to me.
Not a huge Pro Football Focus guy, but I have I feel like the question that everybody else is having right now. If Jahad Campbell was the pick, it's almost a certainty he wasn't going to the Chiefs at 31. Why do we think the Eagles sent a 5th-round pick to move up and get Jahad Campbell? Just one spot.
I agree. It doesn't feel like a super necessary thing to do, honestly. I feel like the Eagles could have maybe even addressed bigger needs, like wide receiver, edge, corner, honestly. I would see those are maybe a more pressing matter if we look at it. Obviously, you are the Super Bowl champs. But it's fine with Jahad Campbell. I mean, you have Zach Bond, you just signed to a big deal. You have Nakobe Dean, who's been good. Maybe he is still undersized for the linebacker position, obviously. But it is, I guess, a 5th-round pick, which is like kind of whatever. But I don't think they needed to trade up to do this, especially just one spot.
Yeah, I definitely don't see wide receiver being like a huge Eagles need. Personally, I mean, like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, obviously great wide receivers, and I don't really want any of the ones that are left anyway. But I don't know. I would have liked to see us take a corner over a linebacker.
Yeah, ideally. We do welcome in, although she's not wearing an Eagles jersey, a Eagles fan in Natalie Bermudez. Are you happy with this pick of Jahad Campbell?
Yeah, so my original pick, honestly, was Malachi Starks, but obviously we see that Ravens got him first. But I'm not mad at all with the pick that they have. Jahad Campbell is obviously the 2nd linebacker in the draft, and I'm really happy. I think that he brings that raw athleticism that the Eagles do need. Philly just needed him, and I feel like he fell into their hands. So, yeah, I'm not mad about this at all. He was my 2nd overall, pick in the Eagles. So, yeah, I'm not mad about this at all.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad one of us is happy.
Well, we are going to move on from the Eagles. You guys got your time to shine last in, February when you won the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
So,
shout out that.
Enough with Eagles. We are on the final pick of the draft at the time of recording this. Right now, it is 11:36. One more pick. Kansas City Chiefs, our least favorite teams for pretty much everyone here. Tyler, what do the Chiefs really need?
I would say that the big need for the Chiefs are in the trenches, as I've been saying for almost every team, it feels like, as every pick has gone by. But it's one of the most important positions, both the offense and defensive line. Those units need to be good for your team to have success. And they didn't win the Super Bowl. Why? Philly kept getting to the quarterback. So I think it should be offensive line here, especially after you just lost Joe Thuney. You traded him away. And so again, you did lose DeAndre Hopkins. Your defense is still very good. Nothing to slouch out there. I think this could be Josh Simmons. I think we could finally hear his name get called here right at the end of the draft. And, of course, he goes to the Chiefs, right? This versatile offensive tackle from Ohio State who's just kind of just great all around, goes to Kansas City. Why wouldn't it happen, honestly?
Yeah, I don't hate the thought of Josh Simmons going here at all because they do need a offensive lineman after losing Joe Thuney, as you mentioned. I also don't hate absolutely hate the idea of a defensive lineman, like a defensive tackle, maybe a Darius Alexander, to eventually replace Chris Jones. Any counter arguments to potentially a defensive tackle? Tyler mentioned in the trenches.
Yeah, just like going back to the opposite side of the ball, right? Like what Tyler was saying with Josh Simmons, I think that probably makes the most sense to pick here, just because of the fact that
that is who I had going my mock draft to the Chiefs. Was Josh Simmons.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think it just makes the most sense if he falls this far to make sure that you get an offensive lineman, like Tyler was saying. Like the major defining factor in that Super Bowl run for the Eagles was beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, obviously, but the reason why they did it was defense, and the defense just kept on getting to Patrick Mahomes, as Tyler mentioned, and it was just almost borderline unwatchable. It felt like a repeat of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl victory a couple years back. So getting an offensive lineman, especially after losing guys like Tyler mentioned, I just think that Josh Simmons makes a lot of sense here, and I don't think that they have as big of needs on defense. Their defense always seems to put it together. They're always one of the better scoring defenses in the league. Wide receiver, they've addressed it kinda over the last couple of years, and they have Patrick Mahomes. As long as he can stay upright, I think it makes sense that they try to make sure that happens.
Yeah, I can't disagree whatsoever. Josh Simmons is definitely the move here.
Okay, the pick is officially in. Josh Simmons sits at number 3 on your big board, Ty, and we do welcome back Ben. Go over your big board for the final pick of the draft.
So, looking up top, okay, Will Johnson and Nick Emanwari are still here, alongside with Josh Simmons and Mike Green, 4 of the best players on the board. I mean, granted, I know big boards are opinionated, but in truth,
these guys are the
best of the best. Okay, moving on down, Jahad Campbell is still on our big board. It's okay. Ben Huber was editing. He's got to be on show.
Got to be here, man.
Got to accept it. Number 5 should be Donovan Ezeraku. 6, Trey Amos. 7, Nick Scorton. And number 8, who did not make a physical appearance, but a surprise one, Benjamin Morrison, the cornerback out of Notre Dame, is next up on this big board. For the Chiefs, you do mention Josh Simmons, and I love the pick. I'm surprised he fell this far, frankly, and to be honest. But outside of that, I do know there has been conversation around edge rusher. And just to be as transparent as I can, every single pick in this draft has been different than what I thought it would be.
Yeah?
Mike Green.
Okay.
Mike Green's the pick?
That's what I was thinking.
We will see in just a moment or so, because the pick has been in. We are just waiting for that to be announced. While we have time, though, it's been a long 4 hours. It's been a very enjoyable 4 hours.
I'm so tired.
I know we are all very tired and ready to just get to Friday. However, I want to give some draft show shout-outs to everyone who helped in the production of the show. First of all, thank you to all the crew who has helped out for the last 4 hours plus before that. So, round of applause for that. And then I also wanted to give everyone a rundown. All the graphics you have seen tonight have, one, been designed by Justice Cover, our current director. We've had a rotation. So thank you to Justice for designing all the graphics that you've seen tonight, including the lower third. Thank you to Shay for designing our clock and our transitions. Justice also did our ticker, and then on the same token of graphics, we made, how many graphics did we even make?
140?
140 graphics. You have not seen 140 graphics because there's not 140 first-round picks, but at Hitting the Fields, we have to stay professional. Every possible player that could get drafted, we have to make a graphic for. And as I say that, the pick is officially in. I'll return to shout-outs. It is Josh Simmons, as not everyone, predicted.
Hush, child.
Most.
Okay. Yeah. It's Josh Simmons.
Hey, good call. Good call. They did a good job.
Great pick overall.
That's good.
Oh, I will say, though, rip Shador Sanders.
Oh, man.
Officially not a first-round quarterback.
Yes.
Round of applause for Shedeur Sanders not being a first round
Yeah, Shedeur didn't go in the first.
Did not go in the first round.
Yes.
This is
Fantastic.
Wow. Mr. Ego showing up with his $100,000 iPad-sized chain doesn't go in the first round of the
Deion
draft.
Sanders right now. I don't
I'm
know.
gonna go
what
check
he
his
could be
Twitter
doing.
account.
Probably deleting Twitter right now.
Sure, he's losing.
Probably deleting Twitter.
Tyler's checking his
It's a
Twitter.
great day today.
It is.
It's a great day.
The Chiefs now have their offensive guard to replace Joe Thuney. And
Well,
you know,
hopefully he ends up sucking in the NFL.
I mean, you know the age-old saying there, Nick Cohen, sticks and stones may break my bones, but Shedeur will never go in the first, okay?
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
The old
Indeed.
saying.
Truly a tragic fall.
Tried and true.
for
I'm
Shedeur
going to
Sanders.
continue with our wrapping up the show because it's been very fun, and we are officially done with the 2025 draft show. So thank you to everyone who made those 140-plus graphics. I want to thank Tyler. I want to thank Kathleen. I want to thank Andrew and Ty, all of our hosts. I want to thank Diego, Matthew, and Jack Kelly, Ashley Rowe, and Kirsten Blaylock for helping with graphics. We held a graphics night. So thank you all so much for making those graphics and highlights, which took quite a bit of time. So thank you all for all of that. And again, the production of this show, crew for the last 4.5 hours or so, whatever it has been.
And they're having fun now with the
Oh, yeah.
scrolling bar.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
Una Mas.
Okay.
Una Mas.
Okay.
We got to give one more big shout out. I don't know if you mentioned, I haven't heard, Anya Garbashvili
Yeah,
is
huge.
kicking
Big shout
tail all night today.
Yes.
She is doing the best job ever.
Yes, our co-executive producer in the fall, Ani Garibashvili. So thank you to everyone in studio today and that has helped with the production of Draft Show. Thank you again to all the hosts, but that does it. We got through one.
And shout out Nick Cohen.
Oh,
Shout out
yeah.
Nick Cohen.
Hey, Nick Cohen! He did it again!
Thanks.
Yeah! Look at this guy. Now we're going to go to IHOP and eat 40 pancakes.
Yay, pancakes.
Well, and also one more final shout out for Tyler Brownrigg. The last time we will see him at Hitting the Fields. He did his goodbye on bets a week and a half ago. But thank you very much, Tyler, for everything and great job tonight.
Yes, thank you.
We love you, brother.
But for the rest of us, I mean, same time next year.
Same time next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah,
I'd love to, yeah.
Put my name down.
And like you were saying, I
There you
mean,
go.
just from everybody that helps out with crew,
It's like the
it's
dentist, are you
like
free in
more
the
than
year?
appreciated. And we can't do this without you. And everything that the show genuinely, like we have the monitor here. The show looks really,
Yes.
really
It
good.
looks
I
good.
think
It did
probably
look so good
The
this
like
year.
probably one of, if not the best individual production that we've ever put on. So I mean, we thank everybody that's like
High praise.
stayed up at basically midnight to help us out with
Yeah,
this. It means a lot to
I
Some
us.
don't-
of us maybe
think-
pulled some all-nighters.
Yeah, I don't think everyone understands like if you're not in production, you don't understand the hard work that goes into having all the cameras set up and using the freaking moving camera. We've never used that
Jib.
before.
Jib.
Jib.
And just like
Shout out Jib.
sitting in one place and just staring at the same screens all night. Like you guys have been incredible. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
I would also like to give a special shout out to in here in the podcast room. Ashley Rowe has been
Oh,
here.
yeah.
She's been running everything in here for me. It's just her. It's been great. You saw her a little for the Vikings pick. She could put her camera on right now. Yeah, see there she is. Hi,
Yay,
Ashley.
shout out Ashley.
She was doing a lot, stressing out a bit at times, but really, I'm so proud of everyone. This was a great draft show. I had so much fun. It was so awesome.
Yay. Thank
Yay.
you, Tyler. And thank you to everyone. We could sit here and yap for 5 more minutes to make it a full 4-hour-long production. I don't want
And
to
I
do
think
that.
we should.
Oh,
No.
Talking
I
about
wanna
the
keep
Moving
it
on
here.
to the next
Yeah.
pick. Okay,
First
Willie
ball,
Johnson
humanly
is
possible.
still available.
See, I said
Okay,
could,
Damn
not
Buccaneers
should.
can't make
We
something
can
happen.
end the show.
Yeah.
I think
okay.
that's best.
You know what? Hopefully, if production's ready, we can leave you with our intro video and music one more time for the semester because we will not see you in the summer, but we will see you in fall with 6 shows returning. Thank you all so much. It's been a great draft, and have a great summer. Have a good night.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Back and It's Michael Penix!
No! No!